just going.
All right, welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Fake Nerd Podcast. How's it going? I'm Brandon C. McClure. With me, as always, is Ben Magnet.
Hi.
Ryan Eliopoulos.
How's it going?
And Sparks Whitty.
Hi, I'm back.
We're back together again in the same room.
In person, look at this.
I know.
In a while.
There's a camera, it's live.
So
Guess
nice.
who's back?
And you guys are still getting to see this
Back again.
all the time.
We're
All right.
older, we're wiser.
Yes.
I don't know if I'm anyways or if I'm
I mean,
being
I'm
honest.
certainly one of those things.
I am also definitely one of those things.
I am also absolutely one of those things.
I didn't get older. What are you talking about?
Every day is a new age.
I did.
What's my age again?
I'm 31 now.
Dun, 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 dun. Welcome.
What's my age again? What's that song?
What's my age again?
What's my age
Yeah.
again?
Yeah.
Like,
okay.
what
You
age
got- you
you?
got it right.
No, okay. Anyway, whatever. I didn't have a flashy intro, but we're talking about the Spider-Man movies today, the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. This starts the only 3 episodes of Fake Nerd Podcast in December. We're doing 3 episodes of Spider-Man the Raimi Maguire years, Spider-Man the Webb Garfield years, and Spider-Man No Way Home.
And really,
The-
honestly,
those
I just
years.
want to thank theaters and movie change and studios for not putting things on these weekends so we had the opportunity to do this.
Seriously.
Where we're like, you know what? There isn't anything we have to talk about. Let's talk about the Spider-Man movies.
We
We
don't
got
want-
time.
I don't want to talk about West Side Story.
Thank you for not making us cram these into a single episode.
Yes.
Good Lord.
Yeah, that would have sucked.
To be fair, I do want to see West Side Story,
I mean, yeah,
but not
naturally.
more than I want to talk about the Spider.
I don't want to talk about it on the show.
No.
I'm good.
No, that's between me and Steven Spielberg.
We don't need to talk about every movie.
But
Definitely.
it's been a couple weeks since
Yeah,
we
it's
were off
been-
the air.
Yep.
So we have some links in the description, if you don't mind
Oh, go ahead.
me saying so.
I mind.
Well, you can suck my.
Nope.
No.
Nope. This is a family show.
Hi, Mag.
4 minutes and we're in the toilet.
Hi, Mag. Mag says just indie movies. Yes, just indie movies this couple weeks. All right, we do have some links in the description. We have 2 Fake Nerds watches. I started my Fake Nerds watch series with Michael Carls from the Downward Nerd podcast. We're going through season 4 of Star Trek Discovery.
Woo!
There are 2 episodes of that up right now.
Engage.
So yeah, enjoy the first 2 episodes.
Enjoy.
Kobayashi Maru and Anomaly.
You can't beat that test.
I think those 2 episodes were good, and I really can't wait to talk about the latest episode because it wasn't.
Ooh.
Ooh.
It's tough talking about something that's just kind of like okay.
That's why they're my least favorite things in the world are okay things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, but it's Star Trek, so I'm watching a Star Trek show.
Yeah.
I won't talk. Actually, I won't talk about it at all here. Go check those out. They're a lot of fun. I really like talking to Michael.
There's a show for that. Hell yeah.
Ryan, you did a Downright Annoyed just earlier today.
Nani?
Yeah.
Yeah, I did. It's on a movie called Hush by Mike Flanagan. Came out in 2016. It's about a deaf lady in the forest living alone, and she gets a burglarized, and how does she handle herself? It's real cool. Man, Mike Flanagan, he is the. If Ari Aster made more movies, I would say this, but he doesn't. Mike Flanagan is the best horror director right now. Every single thing he's made is fantastic. Midnight Mass is like my favorite thing of the year, I think, and that's I think the best thing he's ever made. He's just exceptional, and every new thing he comes out with, I'm like, I can't wait to see it. He's mwah.
He's riding that comfortable line between the mainstream and the indie horror space.
Yeah.
He's dabbling in both.
Yeah, he made a sequel to The Shining, and it's really good.
Yeah.
Some would say he's the Christopher Nolan of horror movies.
I wouldn't say that.
I would never say that.
I remember there's Christopher Nolan rides the line between art house and blockbuster. And it's like, no, he just
Oh, I see why
blockbusters.
you're saying it now.
I gotcha.
Okay.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah.
No, he's the best.
I think
he's
Matt
the best.
Flanagan has a lot more to say than Chris Nolan.
That's true.
He's the best at doing Stephen King shit. His influence of Stephen King is so there, and everything he does, and he is he's the next best Stephen King. If he did his own original shit, which he does, if he keeps doing more of it, he's the next generation of Stephen King. He's
Yeah.
so good, man. He's so good.
He's doing Scott Derrickson. Sorry.
Yeah,
Black Phone.
Yeah, that's him. Yeah.
Ben.
Yeah.
You have 2 things in the description.
I
You
do.
were on an episode of Synth Spacies this week.
Yep, that's one of my buddies down from Australia. He was also a guest of mine on Basic Arcade Pause Menu, and he has his own show. And this was one time I was actually able to be on it because when he normally records it, I'm at work.
Mhm.
So it was really cool to be on his show. I've listened to it. I listened to a few of his episodes. I'm like, man, I really want to be on a show. This is a bummer I normally miss out on.
It's really funny you say that because generally the normal populace would also say I'm asleep when he records
Yeah.
the episode.
Mhm.
Yeah, seriously.
But that's your work hours.
So I have the Twitch link and the YouTube link in the description for those of you who want to check out Twitch, I guess. And you have an OSG article.
That I do. So obviously the pandemic's winding down, and
Is it?
kinda a little
There's
bit.
a new variant out there.
I heard.
Depends on who you talk to, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, let me rephrase. Stores are opening up
There you go.
if they haven't been open already,
Mm.
and people are going out and to buy things. It's the holiday season, but as we have seen, a lot of collectibles that we enjoy over pandemic have gone up in price, i.e., retro
Toilet
video
paper.
games.
Oh, sorry.
That
You don't collect toilet paper?
no, I do not collect toilet paper.
You're missing out, man.
Oh boy. So it's pretty much a little it's an article about buying retro games post the pandemic.
Nice.
And because things have gone up in price and people say, like Ryan, you mentioned to me about that game I got at GameStop that I got bought for $14. I keep checking eBay and sometimes price charting. The price is still in the hundreds.
That's
And I'm
bananas.
still looking at this like, what the damn hell? So
Yeah,
well,
I
oh no. So if you're a retro video game collector, be careful out there.
and go to GameStop apparently.
And I have a link in the description. I wrote an article, a listicle, I should say, of all the live-action Spider-Man villains from the Sam Raimi films on and where their movies left them. So a little bit of a refresher if you don't want to do what we did, which is watch 5 to 7 Spider-Man movies.
But you should.
But you should. I also have some behind-the-scenes stuff about it. I actually got one entry wrong when it was first published.
Oh, Brandon. Come on.
And I wrongly remembered that the lizard died at the end of the Amazing Spider-Man.
Did you
Tisk,
you did
tisk.
do the just research it?
I researched everything else, but I was so confident in my
Brandon,
knowledge
well,
of the
this is how
Amazing
you learn.
Spider-Man.
This is how you
This
learn.
is how you learn. This is how you learn.
How could you
Wait.
forget the important Sinister Six setup scenes where the guy in the man in the hat visits
See, I
him while he's in
forgot
prison?
about that in the
Oh.
Amazing Spider-Man. So I was watching the Amazing Spider-Man. This was like an hour after the article was published. And so I was watching the movie and I was like, oh shit, he's not dead.
Yeah.
Oh crap.
Well, that's why you can't shortcut.
Oh no!
things.
Oh no!
Yeah.
Retraction! Retraction!
We haven't retracted in 20 years.
we were able to correct that with a quick sentence change.
Mhm.
But yeah, so there you go. I had a really fun time writing it, honestly. Outside of the lizard, I researched a lot of stuff and it got me really excited to rewatch the movies, which I've done now. Which is why we're here. So yeah, that's in the description below if you want to check that out. That's all the links.
Beautiful.
Who wants to go first there?
I'll go first.
Do it.
I played Halo and I watched some Spider-Man movies. Go.
Cool.
I want to get through this week because we have a lot to talk about and everyone else has a lot of things to talk about. So go.
All right, I'll go next. I played a lot of Pokemon. Pokemon's awesome. I watched the Spider-Man movies. That's great. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I played Pokemon and also I did other stuff.
Okay.
I want to hear what Sparks did.
Okay. It's kind of impossible for me to talk about my time without talking about why I haven't been around.
Absolutely.
Which we've addressed if you've been around on the podcast, like it came up. But my dad did pass away way sooner than we thought he was going to, unfortunately, from the cancer. And that happened just before Thanksgiving. And so that was really hard. And I was with my family, so there was a lot of, like I did pop culture stuff and I did consume a lot of things in this span that I haven't been around, which is a long time, just as distraction. Before I talk about my week, I guess I just want to take a moment and just say that like what I kind of wanted to say something about my dad on the podcast, and I thought about what I wanted to say, and I think the main thing is that I thought a lot about that my dad is the core of where my passion for movies came from. He's the person who brought Turner Classic Movies into my life. He's the person who was so excited to share films with me. He had me watch movies maybe before I should have seen them, but a lot of my fondest memories with my dad are tied to him sharing something that he saw value in film with me, and us finding a common interest with certain types of films, and even in our different opinions about them, recognizing a enjoyment and appreciation that is similar. So a lot of what I love about film and why my range for them is so vast comes from him, and I will always be grateful to my dad for that.
It's the same with my dad.
Yeah. And I thought specifically because we're talking about the Spider-Man films, I remembered how giddy my dad was for me to open a birthday gift the year that Spider-Man came out on DVD.
Bro,
because it was a DVD player and Spider-Man all in one
I got the exact
and
same
like
thing,
he was like, you gotta open it like soon. He was so excited for me to be able to watch that movie at home and me to have access to like DVDs now, and because he knew how much I cared about it. And I remember my dad having that and watching it with me when we got it all plugged in and everything. And I'm gonna miss him, guys. That's really all it comes down to.
If you don't mind, Mag just says my condolences.
Thanks, Mag.
Thanks, Mac.
Anyway, there's a lot of things. Only a few do I want to spend a lot of time on, so we're just gonna go through. Cowboy Bebop. I watched a little bit more of the anime. I was watching some episodes with Mom. It was just kind of a thing we were able to do. I'm not done with it, but I did it. I've read some Venom comics. Catching up on Venom. That's cool.
Nice.
We watched Enchanted at one point. That's a great movie, guys. Enchanted's like the best Hallmark movie script.
I'm really excited
Honestly,
for that sequel.
Disney's
Hell
Enchanted, I realized while we were watching, is the perfect Hallmark movie script. Yeah, I am also excited for that sequel. I watched Scream 2 again. Scream 2 is great. I watched Ghostbusters and Ghostbusters 2 again to watch Ghostbusters Afterlife. I hadn't seen Ghostbusters 2 in a long time. That was fun. Ghostbusters, the original, is cool. Ghostbusters Afterlife, I thought was okay. This is all right. I don't need to get into it. You guys did a great job reviewing it. I was not as positive. I'm fine with it. I agree about the girl. She's great. I read Department of Truth. That was great.
yeah, baby.
Thank you for picking that. I want to read more. I really.
I just found issue 13. I'm like, cool. I got to find the 7 other issues I have.
Yeah. Supergirl ended. I saw it. It was pretty good. It wasn't incredible, but it was pretty good.
Was it super?
Okay, so the cool thing is that the emotional arc of the show is put a button on it by the final moments of the show. The last half of the last episode is all about Cat Grant helping Kara to recognize that she's struggling to find balance and happiness in herself.
OG?
Yeah, OG Cat Grant.
Calista Flockhart?
Yes, she comes
Nice.
back for the last episode.
Wow,
Yeah.
awesome.
And she reveals to Kara that she knows she's Supergirl. And because Kara's saying, like, Kara had stepped away from the paper at this point because she felt like she was being split between two and not being good at being either. And Kara reaches a point where she's like, there's just no value in lying anymore about it. Like, I need to be, if I'm going to be happy, I have to be my whole self. So Kara, at the end of this series, spoilers, sorry if you haven't watched it or you care, Kara reveals herself as Supergirl to the world in an interview with Cat Grant. And I thought that was actually a really powerful decision to make for the character and like the whole arc of the thing being, and they did tease it very well. There's this whole thing where like 7 episodes before they're having to do these trials to get these totems that are the special things that Lex and the other villain Nixley are going after. And one is the Courage Totem. And Kara is taken back to the very first day that she saved that airplane in the first episode and became Supergirl. And she goes through the trial like 3 times, and every time she fails, and she doesn't understand why she keeps failing the Courage trial. And at the end, she looks back on it and she's like, I think it's because I chose to hide behind Supergirl that day rather than be myself. Really interesting way to take it. I thought that was cool. Batwoman's the best it's been. Batwoman's real strong. Batwoman's pretty good.
It's good to know that they bounce back.
Yeah, I think now that they are completely free of the Kate Kane stuff and able to do their own thing, it's and post pandemic, like post the hardest part of the pandemic, they're doing much better.
Yeah, that's cool.
Legends is great. Legends continues to be great. Nothing more to say about that. I watched the first episode of the Flash event that's going on, Armageddon. It's good. I do find it interesting that we're doing like this 5-episode event, and then the rest of the Flash episodes for the season won't air until like months from now. So that's cool.
That's weird.
I watched the first 2 seasons of a show where now I praise a character. Hold on. Sorry.
I think
it's
I know
just
it.
doing something. Yeah, Queen Bumpy.
Yeah.
Camp Cretaceous. I watched the Jurassic World Camp Cretaceous show with family while we were there. It was something that I put on kind of a whim, and then we all ended up watching it together. Good show. Not great show. Good show. Sometimes great show. Sometimes okay show. The kids are... I want the kids to be more like people than like children's show kids
Mhm.
sometimes. I think the best example of this is like every time they're in a dire situation, and I do mean every single time that they are in a dire situation, and it looks like maybe they haven't even successfully done it, but it looks like they probably have successfully handled the situation or gotten away or whatever it is. They immediately all cheer and applause each other. and then it'll go wrong again. They'll do the thing. They will resolve it eventually, and they'll cheers and applause each other again, sometimes 3 times before a thing. And I'm like,
Why?
this is some bad children's show bullshit. Like, these are not people. Like,
Yeah.
they just barely escape death. This is not. There's also like some candidness that just doesn't work for me when I'm like I know we didn't see the gore, but they did just watch a man get eaten alive by a dinosaur. Like, I don't think that this is exactly the kind of jokey joke attitude they would have. And that's really where I think the show like rubs the hardest against me, is just this. It is the problem of it being a children's show where I'm like, I want to believe this is in the world of these films, but sometimes they do some bullshit that's just so like, no way.
Right.
Like, you can't be this cavalier about some of the stuff you're doing here.
But for those of you who don't know, Bumpy is an ankylosaur.
Mm-hmm.
That imprints on one of the kids, and then when it's fully grown, it becomes kind of their pet.
Yep.
And guardian. And she's wonderful.
She is wonderful. I love her. I would die for Bumpy.
Queen Bumpy.
Yeah, there's one character in particular who has like an atrocious accent problem that is rough.
Yeah. But wait, I want to say, I'm actually really glad you started watching it. I thought you might enjoy it, and I'm glad you did.
I do. I think there's some really neat stuff. I will like shout out like a particular moment I told Ryan about that I think is really cool, is like they get to show things like after the events of Jurassic World. Oh, like the vet area for the dinosaurs where they had to be kept in cages so they could nurse them back to health. They just got abandoned. So these kids come upon them and they're like, well, we gotta let these dinos out of the cages. I think the things like that, the way they're thinking about how the island operates and the things they find is cool. Yeah, there's a lot. There is like really genuinely cool, interesting stuff going on in that show. Daredevil. I had my mom start watching it, so I watched 2 episodes of Daredevil, the first 2 episodes again. Man, that show's great.
Yep.
I'm so pumped. I don't know. You know, we just felt like watching some Daredevil, I guess, for no particular reason whatsoever.
Why ever would you think so?
Yeah, I'm real glad that she's watching it. She's liking it. Daredevil, good stuff. Good stuff, guys. I watched Muppets Haunted Mansion. I do kind of want to talk about this because basically what I was concerned about in the trailer was 100%, 1000% true about the special, which is that it's fun. There's some good Muppet humor in it, but the whole thing is filmed in front of green screen. So all of the Haunted Mansion is recreated not through sets, but through green screen. And I get it because it is cheaper to film people working with the Muppets and having to operate them if you can just hold them up in front of a green screen rather than like building sets for them.
Right.
I do get that, but it makes the whole thing behind them look so flat, and like they're playing everything very like directionally flat. And I like there's an occasional moment where you get like a real background, but it's so rare.
That sucks.
The performances are pretty good. There's good stuff in it. It does have its good humor in it. But it just
Low effort? Like, seems low effort?
it only in like the broader production sense, not in like the Muppet writing is more or less there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it doesn't sing because they're not able to connect to the environment. Like it does feel like something that they just filmed because they could. Like there's so many of the guest stars like are not in the same room as the Muppets because they're filming during a pandemic and they're in front of a green screen, and you can tell because it's already all green screened, and it's like it just hurts it. It's just visually like kind of visually like overall one of the most boring Muppets things I've ever watched.
Oh.
because there's just not a lot they're able to do with the environment, so it's all just like shtick. It's all word shtick.
Right.
There's very little physical comedy with the Muppets. Some, but not much.
Mm-hmm.
You good?
I hope so.
Caught her in time?
Yeah, she's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a bummer. I hope that this is just a kind of like because of the pandemic, because of this moment, what it is. I hope that is not the way they make Muppet stuff going forward, because it's not ideal, guys. I do recommend like watching it if like you have a passion for the Muppets. It is a better product, I think, in writing and Muppets representation than those episodes of Muppets Now, at least those first ones that we watched. But it's not the direction I necessarily want the Muppets to be in right now.
Right.
That green screen really killed me.
Maybe that was just like they need to rush it out because it's a pandemic thing.
That's what
kind
I'm thinking, and
Yeah.
I'm hoping that that's the case. Yeah, they need to be able to interact with their environments. They could so little physical humor could be done. It was a bummer. Dragon Ball Super, a new chapter came out. I read it. Stop me if you've heard this one before. Vegeta's written so good, guys. He's great. Oh my god. He's awesome. I love Vegeta, the best.
Same.
So Dragon Ball Super is real good. Scream 3, I watched it. I was watching that with a friend, so we're getting him all caught up for the new Scrum.
5 cream.
Yeah. Scream 3 is cool. Gilda. You don't like Scream 3?
No, Emma's climbing boxes.
Oh, I see. Gilda. Gilda's a really it's an old movie with Rita Hayworth. Real good. Friend showed it to me while we were up there in Monterey. I really enjoyed it. It's a cool classic film. There's a lot of neat stuff in it. I don't want to talk too much about it, but like if you haven't watched Gilda and you like classic films, go watch Gilda. I played some board games because I bought some board games. I played one called Horrified. Y'all are gonna want to play it. You fight the universal monsters. It's great. It's really great, and it's really easy to pick up, and you can play with up to 5 people, and you can also play by yourself.
I'm into it.
It's fun.
I love those
It's
guys.
a good time. It's basically like you're playing against an invisible dungeon master.
That's cool.
For the monsters. Yeah. Gargoyles Awakening. I also got that board game. That's pretty cool. They have
I saw that on your table.
they have episode scenarios. So
Gargoyles
there's like
the
different
show?
Yeah, Gargoyles, the Disney animated show. You have like progressional episodes arcs that you play through.
Cute.
And you like play through like movement is based around like you can, if you're a gargoyle, you can like glide to travel a different way. Or if you're traveling usual spaces. It's neat.
That's cool.
I also got Scooby-Doo Betrayal at Mystery Mansion. Yeah.
Is that like Betrayal at
Yes, it's Betrayal at House on the Hill. Yeah, it's that game, but Scooby-Doo.
That's cool.
And it's all based off like Scooby-Doo stuff, including Zombie Island,
That's cute.
classic episodes, all these different arcs. It's a good time. It's a little broken because the monsters almost always seem to win, even on the easiest setting.
Sounds good.
But I still am enjoying it, and I want to put more time into playing it. We watched Hawkeye. We recorded a thing about it. You'll see it soon.
Up soon.
I played Halo also. That game feels pretty good. I got to get better at it again. Spider-Man Homecoming. I watched it because I wanted to. That's a good movie, guys. Can't imagine why I did that. Okay, and the last thing is today we watched Aquaman Chapter 2 Primordius, which is the animated Aquaman specials on HBO Max.
Actually, it goes Aquaman, King of Atlantis, Chapter 2, Primordius.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my god, this show's so good.
That was really fun. I really enjoyed that. I am looking forward to watching the third one.
I probably watched the last half of it.
Half of it, yeah.
I would say 3/4, the last 3/4.
Very funny.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Need to go back and watch that show.
Yeah, I definitely recommend, especially because it's just 3 45-minute specials. I think they're worth it. And that's it. That is it. I'm done.
Beautiful.
Cool. I guess my turn.
Guess so.
I watched the movie Clifford the Big Red Dog.
So does it answer the question that's been plaguing us all since this movie's inception?
Is it a kaiju?
Is it a kaiju?
No,
Okay.
I don't care.
Yes.
It's a cute little kids movie. Clifford's real cute.
Sure is.
Ghostbusters is also a kaiju movie.
Yes, sure.
The first one is, yeah.
First one.
Statue of Liberty kaiju.
Stay
That's a
puft.
mech.
That's a mech.
That's
You're
a mech.
right.
People are inside of it.
You're
Yep.
right.
Ratatouille.
All right. We weren't on for Thanksgiving, so on Thanksgiving I watched Knives Out, which I think is the perfect Thanksgiving movie because it's about a family who doesn't want to be there.
Au contraire. I mean, that's pretty good. I admit, but I will also, related to this episode, we're gonna have a whole discussion about how Spider-Man is actually the best Thanksgiving movie
I
ever.
also watched Spider-Man on Thanksgiving.
I will concede. But Knives Out is an incredible movie. I adore that movie. I cannot wait for the sequels.
Knives In.
Give us that trailer, Ryan Johnson. And I know you're sitting on it.
He's shitting all over it.
Meg, still kaiju.
Mhm.
Clifford.
Mhm.
Okay.
I'll allow it.
I watched. So you guys recall a couple, like I think might have been this year, but it might have been last year. I watched the Rurouni Kenshin trilogy.
Yeah.
The live action Rurouni Kenshin trilogy from Japan. They made 2 more last this year actually. They made 2 more at the same time. One called Rurouni Kenshin Part 1, The Final, and Rurouni Kenshin Part 2, The Beginning. They filmed them at the same time because one is a prequel to the first movie, and then the second one, and then the final is the sequel to the third movie. So I watched Rurouni Kenshin Part 1, The Final. Did you catch all that?
The final came out before the beginning.
You watched the last one. I get it.
But the first one I'm supposed to watch, because then you're supposed to watch the beginning, because it's Part 2, The Beginning.
No.
Just whatever's chronological, whatever with chronological order.
So I watched Rurouni Kenshin Part 1, The Final. I really liked that trilogy. I thought it was a really fun trilogy with some really cool action. I found this one to be mostly dull.
Oh,
And I was really bummed about that because of how much I liked the first 3.
I'm sorry. I'm still trying to figure out where this takes place in the Kenshin.
Okay, so
so the part one,
his brother-in-law.
Okay, yeah. All right, and this is him.
Jonathan Kenshin.
And this is him getting the scar, right?
The beginning is how he got the scar. So we
okay,
see the
I know
wedding.
exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Cool.
So for those of you who don't know, the beginning chronicles the story of how he got his cross-shaped scar.
When he was Hitokiri Batosai.
And then in the final,
Is this before Rainbow First Blood or Part 2?
I don't know. And then the final is basically about the brother-in-law of his wife that he killed coming back to kill him and everyone he loves.
Revenge.
So it's the final arc of Rurouni Kenshin. Mostly, like I said, pretty dull. It deals a lot. There's not a lot of action in it. And the talking scenes are not well written. But I almost turned it off.
Ooh,
And then an hour away from the ending, it just became a long fight scene.
nice.
And I was like, oh shit. All right, I'll keep watching.
That's where all the fun and budget went. Is just that last hour.
And so like one of my it gave my favorite character, who's the cop with the sword, the samurai cop.
yeah.
Oh
Samurai
yeah,
Cop.
I know.
Samurai
exactly.
Cop. Yeah.
Wow, they actually do stuff for him.
He gets an action scene in the final movie, and
in
I was
the
like,
manga,
hell yeah!
In this era of the war or of Japan's war where they're fighting, he's just mentioned. He's just like, there he is. That's what he's doing, and then they never go because it's all about Kenshin and stuff.
He hasn't really gotten a lot to do. He had a small fight with Kenshin in the first movie.
His name's not Rurouni?
No.
I'm kidding.
So and it looks like he dies in the movie, and I was really bummed. I was like, man, they killed my favorite character. But it turns out they didn't. They just killed someone who looked a lot like him.
Oh, you hate that.
And dressed like him and was supposed to be him before they changed their mind. And so like he comes in and he does this action sequence, and I'm like, hell yeah, that's awesome. And then there's some really cool action sequences. Some bad guys come back from the first movie teaming up with Kenshin. Like all the people are like, we're gonna save the. I'm like, hell yeah, this is my jam. It was really cool.
I love it. I'm glad.
Really enjoyed that.
I'm glad the last hour saved it.
Seriously. I rewatched The Mitchells vs. the Machines. I think that movie rules.
It does. True facts.
It's coming out on Blu-ray soon, and I'm very excited.
Sick ass Blu-ray.
Yeah, it is. And I got really inspired. I was like, I want to rewatch my favorite movie of the year, and it still is.
That is a fantastic film. Let the Dark Harvest begin.
I'll say this one next. I'll skip one. I watched Last Night in Soho. And then I watched, no, I'm kidding. Last Night in Soho is an interesting movie. Ryan, you alluded to having heard some not so great things about it.
Well, I was just shocked because like
It's Edgar Wright.
it's Edgar Wright, and it's like I guess
Edgar Wright usually has all bangers.
yeah, and like this one, it's like it's
It's tone deaf.
I've heard like it's not even like the movie itself. It's like the material and how it's handled. I'm
Yeah.
like, oh, this feels like
I won't spoil
yeah.
what it is, but I do think it was tone deaf. I think it's very well shot. I love the ghost designs, and I really like Thomasin McKenzie, I think is her name. She's from Jojo Rabbit. She's in this. I think she's excellent. When Matt Smith showed up on screen, I was like, oh right, I remember the Doctor.
no, don't you mean Skynet?
I had to remember the Doctor. Yeah, it's see it make up your own mind. It was a little triggering for Zara too, so that also made it a little uncomfortable to watch. But yeah. And then I watched Pirates of the Caribbean 3, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End.
Don't you have to see the first two?
I have seen the first two.
Oh, okay, good.
I've been kind of watching them off and on for the past 6
Oh.
months.
I I don't know why I didn't write this down. I saw Encanto. My bad.
Oh, you did?
I did. That's a really good Disney movie, guys. Sorry. Yeah, Encanto. The only thing I really want to tell you about it is it's another one of the experiences kind of like Raya when we watched it, where there's no real villain. You know, it's conflict through like life. And not there is no dastardly manipulative bad person. It's just
Was
conflict and trauma.
Was Raya
and
this
trouble.
year?
Raya was earlier this year, yeah.
Oh man, okay.
Man.
But yeah, Encanto, it is tied to real events, to like, you know,
Real magical people.
real no. The why the family is where they are is tied to like the brutality that was committed of a massacre
Oh, I
through
see.
Colombia that was going on at the time. That is a real historical thing that they're playing off of, and that generational trauma and how it affects down through the family is kind of at the core of what's happening in the film.
Mhm.
And I think that's executed very well. The songs are pretty good overall. The performances are great. You got Diane Guerrero from
Doom Patrol.
She can sing. She's good.
Hell yeah.
Really enjoyed it.
That's cool.
Excuse me, I had a burp coming up. I really enjoyed it. So I recommend, like, you know, if you had a passing interest but didn't get out to see it, get out to see it.
That's
Beautiful.
awesome.
Beautiful.
I really want to see it.
I played Spider-Man 2 for the PS2 as the shocker.
I saw some clips of that on your
Mhm.
Twitter.
Mhm.
Spider-Man 2 or Spider-Man?
Spider-Man for the PS2.
I was like, Green Goblin's in that, so that's not Spider-Man 2.
That's true.
So I watched Pirates of the Caribbean 3. For the past like couple months, I've been watching them. Pirates of the Caribbean 1, 2, and then I was home for last weekend for a related reason. That Sparks was off for a couple weeks, but I was like, I need something to fall asleep to, and then I watched 2.5 hours of Pirates of the Caribbean because I think Pirates of the Caribbean 3 rules.
I'm glad you do.
I think it's amazing. It's so overly convoluted, so bold and beautiful and weird and just so kooky that I just can't help but fall in love with it. And Will and Elizabeth, this can sound really weird. I miss when blockbusters were horny because I love just the sexual tension of the will they won't they of Elizabeth and Will. They know they're gonna end up together, but for some reason they don't. And then of course the wedding and the maelstrom I think is just so cool. There's things in that movie that are just like I don't believe. There's a ship gets toppled upside down and the water rises and then they're just like back in the living world, and I think the movie is really cool. That's my 5-minute rant on why I love Pirates of the Caribbean 3.
I'm happy for you.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man. David Jones also holds up so well,
That's
agree.
true.
and
That's why the second one is my favorite movie.
and the Bootstrap Bill Turner, mostly prosthetics work on him is very good. I always forget how good some of that prosthetic work is, and so the CGI is for the fish people.
Jocks.
I don't want to start a whole thing about it.
We don't.
But
we can't.
but the only thing in that World's End that like I think it bothered me from when I saw it, it has only bothered me more with time, is just the even further, like as you get further away from it, like it gets even worse. Like the mishandling of the Calypso Tia Dalma character
Oh, yeah.
Sure.
is really hard for me to get over.
Yeah.
I think it's just sloppy and bad.
Big crab god lady.
And like the dismissiveness of the prominent black female character
Release you from your
forced
bonds.
into antagonist witch role.
Mm.
Yeah, but then she
Just
does-
shoehorned in is just not good. So
No, that I don't have any opinion on that. I don't. I agree.
I think it's
honestly.
I say it only because I think it is the chorus thing. Like a lot of the things you say about it, I'm like, man, those things are good in that movie. And then I remember that's the thing that really just like pisses me off is
It's got a lot of really great elements in it.
God,
100%.
I just love that movie so much.
you are allowed.
That is why it's my favorite movie of the three. That first one's a classic, but that third one, man, I just it's big smile on my face the whole time I'm watching it.
Everybody's entitled to feel the way they do about art.
That's true.
Mhm.
I will do.
It's okay. You're gonna do the same thing to me next week. It's good. It's all good.
Oh, I think we'll actually be a little on each other's side next week.
You've changed.
You haven't watched it yet. Who knows how you're actually.
Not that well. Not that much. I may agree with you on some things now.
Oh, good. I'm glad.
Okay. I watched Hawkeye, but before Hawkeye came out, I remembered to myself, I made a promise. I was like, I need to read the Fraction Hawkeye run. So I was like, I should do that. Hawkeye's coming out in 2 days. Crap. So I read it in 2 days. I read the entire. I have the omnibus, which collects Young Avengers issue and the annual, plus all 22 issues. Incredible series. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Believe the hype.
Yep.
I thought it was super cool and inventive and unique, unlike anything I've read before. Really, really loved it.
Can you see why back in 2012 why we wish Jeremy Renner was like this for a decade?
Yeah, sure, I can see that.
Yeah. Because like that book is so incredible.
Yeah, that book's really good.
Yeah.
I love the Tracksuit Mafia.
Tracksuit Dracula's in the comic.
Tracksuit Dracula.
I wish they would call him Draculas, but they can't.
I am also currently reading Hawkeye.
Nice.
I will say.
And I also read Stepan Sedgwick's new book, Fine Print, which was promoted as being more risque than Sunstone. I don't believe it. But it's about succubi and incubi and kind of love thing.
So it's a Stepan Sedgwick book.
It's a Stepan Sedgwick book.
Yeah,
It's a beautiful book. It's very mythology heavy, because he loves playing with mythology. Yeah, it's another Stepan Sedgwick book that I really like. And then I listened to some music. I watched this old band from the 80s. I don't know if you guys heard of it, Star-Lord. So I've been meaning to talk about this for a while, but I've been wanting to shout out that the Guardians of the Galaxy video game released the album Space Riders that Star-Lord loves in that video game, and it's awesome. It's a really good album, and I was really shocked because I kept thinking like there's a lot of tie-in albums for like you showed me like a Disney album with like Disney metal, and like it's cool, but it's still just like the songs with some background guitar.
This is all original stuff, yeah.
And this is all like original good stuff.
I think also like the flaw in that is never mind. I don't want to do that.
Well, but it's just there is like whenever they do like this tie-in stuff with metal, it's always just kind of like a warped view of what metal is, and it's just like, oh, let's just put in some background guitars and some heavy drums and we'll be good. But I thought that this was a very lovingly produced album.
If this were a real album that was released, it wouldn't be the greatest thing of all time, but it's pretty decent. Like the fact that it's like it's like if you put this on the radio, it'd be like, well, it's not bad. Like it sounds like they are real songs. They're not like fake songs. They're real ass songs.
There's the main song Zero to Hero, I think is like a banger.
It's good.
Much
really
better
like
than the Rogers the musical number we get in Hawkeye.
Not even on the same caliber, my friend.
Yeah.
Not even.
No, I know. That's what I mean. Like awful song.
But as you guys know, I love metal, so I was really into that. I've been listening to that and the Christmas Truce by Sabaton, which I mentioned a couple weeks ago. I really like both of those, and that's it. Shall we get into our bread and butter?
Let's do it.
All right. Oops, I wasn't ready.
Oops, I did it again.
Oops, I did it.
I play with your heart. You're new.
Again. Let's hope that worked.
I'm sure.
All right. So we got some sad news up top. John Shell Alexander, who played Joy Strong from The Beasts of the Southern Wild, a film that came out a couple of years ago, he died in a shooting this week.
Oh shit!
And he was 22 years old.
That's awful. Oh man.
In Louisiana, where he lives.
That's America.
Yep.
Goddamn.
No. At the time of that I wrote this, there was no information on who the shooter was or the motive, or if any motivations. But yeah, I just thought that's really tragic. That sucks.
That is a bummer, man.
And then Stephen Sondheim passed away last week at the age of 91. Stephen Sondheim, of course, West Side Story, which is coming out soon.
Company,
Into the Woods.
Sweeney Todd.
Sweeney Todd's great.
I've seen Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, really incredible lyricist, legendary man.
Yeah, 91. Like, man, but that's like
that's a good long life.
His legacy was secured like 40 years ago.
Yeah, he's been like an icon like before we were even born. So like, what a guy. Yeah. That's really.
I get it. I will like. I don't. This is gonna sound weird.
Controversy.
No. Like I really like Sondheim. There's a lot of reason to love his work. I am sad to hear that he passed away. There was so much because I used to do theater, so I see a lot of theater like people responding, and there was just so much like, I can't believe this can't have happened like this early and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, he's 91, and I'm sitting there a couple days after my father has passed away.
Yeah,
almost 20 years younger than that, and I'm like, shut up. Like,
Well,
like I
yeah.
get it, but like,
Yeah.
that like I get being sad, but like being like it's too soon. I'm
This
like,
is
The man was
impossible.
91.
I mean, yeah, he was 91. If he was in his 50s, yeah, too soon. But the 91 is like, that ain't nothing to sneeze at.
Congratulations,
We just
sir.
talked about somebody who passed away at 22, which like
Yeah.
that's extraordinarily sad. And like Sondheim passing it's sad. Yes, I am sorry that he has passed. But what a legacy, what a lifetime. He lived a full legend's life.
He's not immortal.
91,
Yeah.
I saw it in more than one space and it shocked me. I was like, why are people being like too? Did they think he was going to make another incredible musical?
It makes me think they didn't
just
know
before he hit 94.
they didn't know how old he actually was.
Right, exactly.
Yeah. All right. Also, I have merged the 2 weeks together instead of separating them because there wasn't a lot that came out last week. So
Thank the Lord.
the Thanksgiving, so it's actually not that long as it would have been.
Gobble gobble.
A Mass Effect TV series is potentially in the works at Amazon. Amazon is trying to buy it.
Yeah, well, you know, Halo was in the works for like 20 years, so we'll see.
Start the clock.
This is probably likely. They've been trying to do this for a while, but like Amazon is sweeping up properties left and right. And Henry Cavill wants to do it. If he wants to do it, let him do it.
Yeah.
He's done with Superman.
Henry Cavill's like, I will be video game man.
Yeah. He says like, I'm going to do Witcher for 7 years. I'll do it. I don't care.
I'll do Witcher and Mass Effect for 7 years.
Hell yeah.
You can't stop me.
But yeah, that's really cool. Do you think they're going to go with a girl shepherd or?
I hope they go with the girl shepherd, but I don't think they will.
Henry Cavill as the girl shepherd.
Yes.
Yeah. That's what I thought too.
Yeah. I just think they're cowards and they won't do it.
Yeah, that's fair. Rangers of the New Republic, if we recall, that show was announced Disney Plus Day. Had some news, not Disney Plus Day, the one before the Investor Day.
The
thing.
Investor Day the year before.
Yeah, the year before. Had some news actually. It's not happening. It has been shelved, as we kind of suspected it would be, and the story elements will be folded into the Mandalorian.
It's a bummer that signals to me that show was all about Cara Dune, and I'm like, damn, that's a
Yeah.
bummer because I was really hoping that show was about like other people too.
Yeah.
I didn't hear
that I
about
wanted to see.
Yeah, I didn't hear about this one. Like on Twitter earlier, I heard rumors that they wanted to recast Cara Dune, and I didn't. That wasn't like substantiated or anything. So I was just hoping that like they would just like move on and recast her. But
Yeah.
guess they care too much about that brand.
Kathleen Kennedy was like, we never even started writing scripts. We just had the story.
I mean, I guess if you're
if
you're not
that-
far off, yeah.
I think the only thing that I'm really lamenting, and again, like it doesn't even sound like the show was going to be that if they're canceling it, because like it sounds like it was just a vehicle for Cara Dune, so whatever.
Mhm.
But like I wanted to know more about what the New Republic was
Yeah.
at that moment in time.
Those pilots, yeah.
That's what I wanted to explore, that political side. I wanted to have like the kind of morally gray cop show in Star Wars.
Yeah.
And I'm sad that we're pretty much just going to get more of kind of the appearances we've had of them so far and showing up in their X-Wings and that kind of thing. And we're not
Yeah.
going to explore that.
I hope that that Acolyte show, which is about the Sith or whatever, still's happening.
Yeah, I'm sure it is.
Because that's like
the
a
High Republic show, right?
I don't remember what era. I just remember it's about like the Sith or whatever. I just want the evil perspective.
I'm pretty sure it is a High Republic show.
I just want that.
And speaking of Ryan's birthday, Ridley Scott is making a Blade Runner live action TV series.
Is really?
Yeah.
I did not hear about this.
He said it himself. We've writing scripts. We got the first 10 episodes ready.
I believe him because that dude just won't shut up about anything. I love it. Do we have any information about like studio? Or what?
No, that's it. It's
I would suspect it's going to be HBO Max.
Yeah.
likely HBO Max.
Because
Yeah.
he already did
He's a
Raised
Warner
by
guy.
Wolves there.
That's true.
And Blade Runner 2049 was done by Warner's.
It's true. Cool. Hey man, if it's good, like, I mean, the last time he returned to a beloved property, like I didn't love it, so like we'll see.
Yeah.
Then he did it. I don't know if I need another one. to
He's
be honest.
also I didn't know this, but I guess I should have. He's executive producer on Alien, the Noah Hawley show.
but
Oh,
executive
yeah.
producer doesn't. That
Right,
could mean,
but he's making he's like, yeah, we're like a creative guy on Alien too, and I'm like, oh, are you?
I don't think so. Executive producer is like the most like
Yeah.
hands off.
Spielberg is an executive producer on many NBC TV shows.
Yeah, Chris Nolan is a producer on the DC movies. Yeah, he's definitely involved for sure.
I respect Ridley Scott a lot, but I do feel like he's kind of high on his own supply right now.
Secret Invasion, Colby Smulders is returning as Maria Hill.
I
No big
figured this was
surprise.
a given.
Yeah, no big surprise.
I would be upset if they had announced she is not, and then I'd be like, "Well, what?"
Man, that's slowly like
My only question is, I hope
she's not a scroll.
I'm curious. Are we going to find out? Has she been a scroll the whole time?
Has she always been Talos's wife?
Right.
Interesting.
I'm wondering.
Huh.
I've wondered ever since the end of No Way Home.
So here's the thing: they are absolutely because Secret Invasion is a thing where like some of the heroes that you know are not who they say they are. So like they have to do this to at least one or two characters, and I definitely think of everyone listed, definitely Maria Hill
even if they're
is
going,
the one.
even if they're, like they said, they're going smaller, like it's got to be someone we know.
Got to be, yeah.
Even if it's not the whole time, like an extended period of time, it's been her. Although I would believe the whole time, considering what we know about the Skrulls in the MCU.
It could have been body swap during any movie. Who knows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Chucky TV series is doing very well and got a season 2 order.
Hell yeah! I'm
for
definitely gonna start watching that soon. I'm so excited.
And that's all the TV news. So on to comics.
I sometimes read those.
Little Monsters is going to be a new Jeff Lemire and Dustin Nguyen book. This is going to be an ongoing. I'm very excited. The new series is akin to Lord of the Flies with vampires, following the last children living on Earth, though living may not be the right word. These vampiric children have lived out what feels like an eternal youth amongst the remnants of human society's fading achievements.
So he's just taking that Monster Girl concept of like you're young or you're like young in an old body, or you're old in a young body, to the extreme where everybody is going to be old in a young body.
Yeah, there's going to be an image comic book series and out in February. So
I'll pick it up.
I love Dustin Nguyen's art and I love Jeff Lemire. So
yeah, it's cool that he's doing like something like Dustin Nguyen's doing something mature.
Yeah,
it seems like.
Dark Horse is
sorry.
Dark Horse is apparently interested in being sold.
Hey, we're broke. Who wants to buy us?
They want to sell. They're looking to hire a bank to get a major studio to buy them, and I think Universal is in their crosshairs. If I had to guess, because Universal have done a lot with Dark Horse.
Okay.
But this could mean like a ton of new Dark Horse properties being turned into live action movies.
No, absolutely.
True.
It's just Universal's never my first choice for anything ever.
Yeah, well, they did all 3 Hellboys.
It's cool. I liked
2 of those.
Yeah, sure. No,
20 years ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see what happens there.
I mean, I definitely would always like more movies of things. Just do whatever you need to do. Whatever's best for you.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. That's probably a couple of years away.
Tomorrow, it's news.
Right. Metal Men. It's getting an animated feature. Sorry, film. This sounds like it's a director's DVD thing.
A director Dan DiDio.
But the creative team leads me to believe otherwise, because it's going to be directed by Ron Clements and John Musker, who have done many Disney animated movies such as Aladdin and Moana, Little Mermaid, tons of those.
Oh, those are big directors. Wow.
Are directing the film. They've written the treatment for it, and Celeste Ballard, who is one of many writers on Space Jam: A New Legacy.
One of many.
We're going to write the script for this.
This sounds kind of like it's going to be like its own separate thing, like just Metal Men being its own weird thing.
Yeah, I would imagine if you get those guys as directors, they're not doing direct-to-DVD Disney. They're doing features.
This sounds like how DC Super Pets is like a real ass movie.
Well, but not everything they've worked on has always gone to theaters, though.
True.
Yeah.
Like even since post Aladdin, like they have not exclusively made movies for theaters.
The last movie was Moana, though.
No, I know. I understand that like their last movie was Moana, but I'm just saying like they are not theater exclusive directors.
Right. That's fair.
Metal Man is such a obscure, like only Dan DiDio loves kind of thing that like I think this just like it's a cool idea. You can do literally whatever anything you want with it.
Yeah.
Dartboard approach. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
How many Crisis on Infinite Earths do you guys want to see?
All?
I don't know.
Well, here's another one.
How many you got?
Well, so as you remember, there is the live action one on TV. There's the comic book one, of course. And now there's another one. It's going to be an animated 3-part film. So 3 animated films called Crisis on Infinite Earths that will drop in 2023 and 2024. And will reportedly, this has not been confirmed, nor has this movie been confirmed. This was a scoop that I thought was interesting. This will reportedly feature all of DC's animated universes.
Yeah.
In a Crisis on Infinite Earths.
I believe this is the Crisis that I want, where it's actually the real comic book.
Yeah, that doesn't surprise me at all.
It's the characters that we've been begging for years.
Yeah.
Yeah, that actually sounds really cool.
Yeah, it's like their big like end game multiverse thing, but for like animated form. Yeah, that sounds great. Like you can't do Infinite Crisis in like one comic or one movie. It's just too big.
Yeah.
So like making it like the big event that it is. Like I like that they're making so many 2 parts now. Making this a 3-part thing makes sense because that comic is huge. That comic is so big. It's 12 issues.
Yeah.
It's fucking massive.
Oh yeah, I would definitely say that this is definitely worth the trilogy treatment.
I'm excited.
there's so much stuff in those issues alone. And I'm looking forward to it.
So who are we seeing? We're seeing Teen Titans. We're seeing Teen Titans Go. We're seeing the DCAU. We're seeing the DCAMU. We're seeing Young Justice.
Fleischer Superman.
Fleischer Superman. Sure.
Ooh, I
yeah.
hope so.
Batman Beyond. We got Batman Beyond in there.
Yeah. The Batman.
Yeah,
Batman?
everything.
The Batman.
Static
Batman.
Shock.
Static Shock. Hell yeah.
Reboot.
I'm pretty. Yeah. Look,
Batman the Brave and the
do it.
Bold.
Do it.
Bold. Yeah.
Green Lantern. I want to see Green
Green
Lantern.
Lantern.
The animated show. Yeah.
Justice League Action. You think
Mhm.
Justice League Action with the other Justice League teams?
Maybe.
Maybe.
All of them are gonna get 1 second cameos for sure.
Definitely.
100%.
Just like the live action one. Mag says Shazam family. Did the Shazam? Was there a Shazam animated show? Because I
I don't
remember the
think
live
so.
action show.
There is an animated something.
Like an old one.
There's an old animated
Yeah.
something. Oh yeah, you get that old Superman cartoon.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the old
Fleischer,
Fleischer.
that's
Yeah,
the old
I want
Fleischer.
that. I want
Mhm.
that bad.
Then Batman Cape Crusader. Let's throw that one in there. It's coming out soon.
1981. There was a cartoon apparently.
Bat Cars.
Oh wow.
Bat Cars. Bat Wheels.
Yeah,
Batmobile.
whatever
We
it's
have a
called.
Bat movie coming out. Bat Wheels movie coming out.
All right. Yeah. Anyway. So yeah, that's cool.
It's a show, isn't it? The little kid show.
I have no
Yeah,
idea.
it's a kid show.
Yeah, yeah. The
Okay.
kid show about the Bat vehicles.
With Ethan Hawke.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. In other related DCAU news, Batman the animated series is coming back again.
Okay.
Batman the animated series will return as an audio adventure with the entire original cast returning.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Kevin Conroy said that himself at LA Comic-Con.
I think a like radio style drama was always a good move for where to bring that back.
Especially
Sure.
like with those voices. Yeah.
Hmm.
Like just listening to Kevin Conroy, Mark Hamill, just like talk to me. Yeah. I love audio plays, audio drama.
Yeah, so this will. Although I'm interested in this. I just wish that if we return to the DCAU, I kind of am getting a little sick of it always being with Batman. Like I'm like, why not?
There's that
Superman?
Justice League comic.
There is the Justice League comic. You're right. But that's like one in like. There's already 2 Batman comics going right now.
Well, because that's Batman.
I know
Yeah.
it. I know why they do it. The DCAU is so popular not just because of Batman the animated series, it's because of all those shows. And I kind of do wish that we would like maybe revisit Superman the animated series, or maybe revisit Batman Beyond.
Legion of Superheroes.
Let's do that.
No, I'm saying in
Yes,
Crisis,
I know.
I want that.
I know what you mean. Let's do it.
Love that.
Super Friends, or was that something else?
No, yeah, let's do Super Friends.
Super Friends.
Let's do Super Friends.
With the shitty Aquaman.
Because I forget that if Super Friends and Legion of Superheroes were kind of like, I don't remember.
Super Friends was a Justice League show.
Robot Chicken.
Oh, I want to put it past them. Maybe for like a 1 second cameo.
Mhm.
All right. And then kind of the biggest news in the comic book realm is that Spider-Man. Not the other Spider-Man news. This is the Tom Holland Spider-Man news. Amy Pascal and Sony and Marvel are, I should amend this, discussing doing a new trilogy with Tom Holland in the MCU. No deal has been struck. They had to walk this back once Amy Pascal was like, yeah, we're working on a new trilogy, but the deal there's no ink to paper yet.
That woman can go out there and say whatever she wants, and Kevin Feige and everyone else just has to yes and whatever crazy shit comes out
Yeah.
of her mouth.
Yes.
I-
so much power.
I do think that there is an interest from all parties to keep doing an MCU Spider-Man movie with Tom Holland.
Yeah.
As even Tom Holland said after this dropped, he was like, yeah, I can't wait. We're doing some really interesting stuff.
I think it really just comes down to a matter of like discussion about how much control Kevin Feige have over what's MCU canon and what isn't.
Right.
I think that Morbius movie sits there as a big question mark right now.
Yeah.
Which Michael Keaton is currently doing reshoots for.
Right. And because I think the thing is like they went out of their way to bring Venom into the world, establishing that Venom, yes, he is in fact not part of the MCU, but he can be MCU adjacent and appear. Great. So like Sony needs to get on its own deal of we're doing our own thing and the MCU is doing a thing, and then we meet in the middle sometimes. And I think that's where like the heart of these negotiations are really gonna rub up against each other, is that like Kevin doesn't want them to have to say, yeah, whatever bullshit they decide to say over at
Right.
Sony is in the MCU. I have to say, yep.
Right. Tom Holland, this kind of also echoes what we've been saying and what we assumed should happen, is that they were always looking at this as like the Homecoming trilogy, the Home trilogy, and then whatever happens next would be unrelated.
Some other word that continues in every title.
Yeah, but like different themes and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
aging Peter Parker, which is what we always wanted
Yep.
to see from the MCU. So, I'm sure that a deal is being talked about. I'm sure that that Amy Pascal can say whatever she wants. But I hope it is true. I want to see them.
I also
continue.
hope going forward, because of Tom Holland's interview about it, I think the better move would be to not hold, now that we're getting to where he can like start growing up and be an adult Spider-Man, not hold him to this 2 years contract.
Yeah.
Give him a little more leeway to do other things he wants to do at the same time. So
Yeah.
like we can have a Spider-Man movie every 3 years instead. We
Mhm.
don't need to have a Spider-Man
Oh,
movie
no.
every 2 years.
Another every
Yo,
3 years.
Doctor Strange is going to wait, what, like 4 years?
But that's
Yeah.
what I mean is like, like we can loosen that that strictness up a bit, especially if he appears in other things.
There's
at the
2
same time.
Spider-Man movies in Phase 3. That's really weird.
Yeah. People are going to show up. You don't need to release them that.
And he's in 2 other movies.
He's
in
in
Phase
2
3.
yeah.
Like that's 3 other movies. He's in 3 other movies. He's in 5 movies in Phase 3. Like that's wild.
Yeah.
He's
Like
there.
Nobody
like,
else is that.
No, right. And I get it. Like you wanted to get as much content with him as he's young as possible to cover that ground. And
And you
like
did.
you've done it. Now
make him old.
especially with what he's expressing in like, wanting the capability to do other things, to not just be Spider-Man. Like I hope that part of that deal, Tom Holland maybe working it out for his return, is him saying like, yeah, but like not that often. Like
Yeah.
not so frequent that I have to do it every single year.
Mhm.
Totally agree. Remember that Renfield movie we were all kind of interested about with Nicholas Hoult?
Yes.
Well, now Nicolas Cage has been cast as Dracula in it.
Yeah, I'm going to watch this.
And
There's an and?
yeah, someone else just got cast with him.
I didn't see this.
Oh, I'm sorry. Here, hold on. I'll pull it up.
Tisk.
I just saw Nicolas Cage as Dracula, and I was like, cool.
There's more to this news.
Go ahead and talk.
Well, that's really cool.
That's
all.
all.
I
That's
had.
all.
That's all I
Who's
had.
who's directing it?
Oh, this is shit. I had the director. It's the director who did Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunter. I can't pronounce his name.
Timur Beknikov.
There you go.
Aquafina. Aquafina's also been cast.
Aquafina from what?
You don't know who Aquafina is? Shang-Chi?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's cool.
I was thinking of the water bottle.
Yeah, Aquafina has also joined the cast of the Renfield film.
Very cool. I like her a lot.
So her and Nicolas Cage and Nicholas Hoult playing, that'll be
The
fun.
movie's gonna be weird. I'm looking forward to it. Spartacus,
I am.
not the movie,
Beat me by that much.
not the character.
I'm fast. I'm so fast.
Sony is reportedly developing a Xbox Game Pass competitor called codename Spartacus, but it's probably most likely going to be PlayStation Plus when it's released.
You're not going to call it PlayStation Plus because that's what their subscriptions thing is called.
Right, but there's it's going to have 3 tiers. Whatever this is going to be called, it's going to have 3 tiers. There's going to be the one would offer the current PlayStation Plus perks. Another would include a catalog of PS4 and eventually PS5 games, and a third would have extended demos, game streaming, and a library of classic PS1, PS2, PS3, and PSP games.
So many things.
So that's what they're working on to compete with Game Pass.
Sounds good. When it's out, I'll try it.
You know what else would have been great? If they just made their system backwards compatible.
Yeah.
You are absolutely
They don't need to
right.
now because you'll pay for it.
Will I? I
Yes.
still have a PlayStation 3 and a PlayStation
Come on,
2.
bro. Who are I know you?
I mean, I also just got
I am
PlayStation
not
3.
Look, here's the thing. I don't play video games enough to have Game Pass and the PlayStation 1. I can have Game Pass and not get this PlayStation 1.
Okay, we'll see.
All right, trailers.
Hell yeah.
that was quick.
We blew through that.
Damn.
Good.
Reacher, the new Jack Reacher series on Amazon.
I love this guy.
So here's the thing. I love this guy. I think the trailer looks fine.
Yeah, I also think
Yeah.
it looks fine.
I was more excited before I watched the
but,
trailer.
but I like him anyway.
I want to support that guy so hard. He's so good.
Not gonna lie, the second you guys said Reacher, I'm like, what's this about? What's he reaching for? Then they're like Jack Reacher, and then my brain goes, didn't
Yeah.
Tom Cruise play that guy?
So
Yes.
Tom Cruise is wildly miscast
Yes.
because Jack Reacher. My dad reads the books. Jack Reacher is like this big, really muscular,
Like
like
this
overly
huge-
muscular. He's like a Hulk of a man. Like
Yeah.
the furthest point a man can go before he becomes a Hulk. That's Jack
Essentially,
Reacher.
he's He-Man.
Yeah, pretty much.
He's very large. Yeah.
And so like this guy fits the bill way closer than Tom Cruise ever did.
Yeah, Tom Cruise.
Alan Richson.
Yes.
Sorry.
That Tom Cruise movie is really good though.
He's absolutely 1000% the best thing about Titans. If there is a best thing, it's him.
Hell yeah.
Is he-
As Hawk?
And he's Raphael in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles movies.
Poor guy.
He got screwed over.
Yeah. He's great, and I want to support him entirely. So, like, hey, a bad trailer can still be a good show.
It's true.
I've seen
Sure.
it happen before.
That's true.
It's true, all of it.
Halo Infinite had a campaign trailer for the single player.
Comes out in 3 days.
Very excited.
I'm gonna get home from work, and I'm probably gonna play that game for 8 hours straight.
Today was the first day I played Halo in years.
And we won our matches, Ben.
we did.
Because you're a gamer.
I appreciate that.
True
Thank
gamer.
you. Oh yeah, there's one other thing you and I did. You and I did the Fortnite event together.
Oh, we did.
Yeah.
Fortnite got flipped. I'm gonna be
Yeah,
Spider-Man
the
soon.
island got flipped over and it was really cool to watch. And then the servers went down and Ryan's like, hey, these are gonna be down for like days. I'm like, okay, because I'm not playing Fortnite for a little while longer.
It's okay. Knockout City will be there for you.
That is very true. Knockout City is gonna be there for me.
All right. Yeah, I'm really excited for this. I'm
Fortnite's back, by the way.
Oh, it is?
I was
it's
playing it
back
earlier.
Oh, okay.
yeah, it's really. I'm really glad to be excited for a Halo game again.
Yeah.
And I thought this trailer looked really interesting.
Yeah, by all accounts, everyone who's already played it, this one's a winner. Chicken dinner.
We Baby Bears.
This is actually kind of
Sparks?
cute.
Yeah, I love We Bear Bears. I'm down for a weird kooky spin-off.
A chibi
That's
version.
a chibi reinvention because this is not. We've seen them when they're young, in flashbacks, and like We Bear Bears is a much more like toned down normal show, and this is more fantastical, which is fine. I still enjoy the energy of the bears, so I don't mind. Like good times.
Yeah.
Cute show.
Who's your favorite bear?
Jonathan.
Really depends on the episode, but like it's usually Grizz.
Ice Bear's my favorite.
I do like Ice Bear, but I feel like Ice Bear doesn't always work. Like sometimes they rely on Ice Bear's shtick, and sometimes they actually make Ice Bear good. And those two things are difficult because Ice Bear's bit is being like stoic, and sometimes they use that as like that's the bit, and then sometimes they actually make that like character stuff.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
The Silent Sea.
Panda would be so sad that it wasn't him. Sorry. Yeah, The Silent Sea. Great name for a space movie.
Oh yeah, this is the South Korean one. Yeah.
I'm interested.
Yeah, it's a guy from Train to Busan, and he's in Squid Game. Hell yeah. Something's happening on a space station. I gotta find out what's going on. Oh, wait, it's on the moon. Sorry, it's on the moon.
It's on the moon.
There's something in the moon.
There's
Actually,
Moonfall. It's prequel to Moonfall.
If I remember correctly, they're actually the spot where like the
It's
movie
happening at the same time.
Well, the spot where the movie takes place, they actually do call it the Silent Sea. Or
Yes, that's why it's called that. That's why the TV show is called that. It's because of that reason.
Nice.
It's a great name.
That's where
Spooky.
That's where help me. Let her name away. Dark of the Moon.
Transformers.
No. The character.
Oh, Sentinel Prime.
That's where Sentinel Prime crashed.
Oh.
The Silent Sea.
It's like the blue side of the moon.
I don't know if that's true. Don't at me.
X-Men.
At him. Please at him.
Please at him about Transformers 3.
Make him have to deal with the ramifications of saying that.
The Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
I heard the Texas Singing Saw Massacre.
I've got a chainsaw.
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel anything in particular about this. It's a teaser.
It's
I'm
a
like,
teaser, yeah.
Who knows?
I really like the first. Just a lot of the movies are bad, and then some of them are pretty good. So like the last couple have been bad. So
I've only seen the original, the second, and the first remake.
the Jessica Biel one.
Yeah,
That one's awesome.
I like that one.
That's a real great remake.
I was gonna say it looks like the dude's old because it says 1978 horrors or something happened and now it returns, and you see an old guy hold up the leather face to the
Yeah.
sun, so it's like, oh, okay.
They're doing the Halloween thing, where it's like, yeah, 50 years later, he's back, I guess. That's cool. Like, I just hope it's good. Leatherface, like that first one is like really scary. Like, it's really scary.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I love it.
League of Super Pets.
Not for me. Not for my demographic.
I like John Krasinski as Superman, and I like the designs of the Justice League. I think they're unique and cool.
Yeah, I will agree with both of those.
Sadly, it's not about them.
I'm glad that Dwayne Johnson is the Logan to Emily Blunt and John Krasinski's Cyclops and Jean Grey. Don't at me. They're clearly getting along real good buddies. I'm happy for them.
Okay. Yeah, I guess so. All right. I'm reeling from that. I'm sorry. Anyway,
That's okay.
I
Astra.
love the Super Pets, so I was really excited for this. It's a cat problem.
Yeah, you're fine. Keep talking.
Yeah, so I was really excited for this because I really like the Super Pets, like Streaky and Kanga and Ace.
Oh, you mean all the ones that aren't in this movie?
And so watching this, I was like, oh, they changed Ace's breed. That's whatever. But then none of the Super Pets are in this movie. This is just a bunch of random animals that get superpowers.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good.
I mean, hey man, it could still be a good time, but like, not for me.
Me neither.
I will likely end up seeing it
Mhm.
because Megan wants to see John Krasinski as Superman, Dwayne Johnson as Crypto, and I'm fine with that because I don't actually have anything necessarily against this movie outside of what you guys just said. But like, it could still be enjoyable
be a
even
good
as
time.
it is. I agree. Like, I'd rather that it did have the classic super pets, but
There's just so many movies that are coming out that I'm like,
No,
wow,
for sure.
this
I don't
this looks
expect-
like nothing.
I don't expect I race to theaters to see it or anything. I think the animation looks good too.
Sure.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. All right, Peacemaker.
I'm gonna watch the show. The trailers. I think the show is more serious, and these trailers are kind of weird to me. I'm excited for the show. The trailers aren't hitting for me, but I really am excited for the show.
I love the idea that he's like changed by killing Rick, yeah. And that's not sitting right with him the way that
I'm
Rick
feeling
Flag
things.
commented on him
Also,
as he died.
also, I like how in the trailer where because obviously in the movie it's one of the taglines of the movie. It's like, I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, or children. And then he has a sniper rifle. It's like, even the kids, terminating them all. Doesn't pull the trigger, and then they bring that up. So it's
Yeah.
not something they're just gonna brush under the rug. It's like, oh, so
Yeah, something
okay,
something clicked in him, and it's dealing with like, maybe my motto is wrong. Maybe
Yeah.
I'm wrong.
And then he goes to meet his
Yeah.
dad, and like his dad's like a huge hard
I
ass. and
love
stuff,
the
yeah.
idea of his blossoming friendship with the new intern girl
Mhm.
who's there. I love the idea of that, and I like the weird energy coming from Vigilante.
Oh my god! Dude.
And I think Peacemaker has great lines. I think he's got
Yeah.
great one-liners and good moments, and I trust John Cena's performance, so I'm looking forward to watching it. I agree, like the trailers do feel a little weird, but I see where there's something I'm gonna like.
oh yeah,
in this
it
show.
feels like most trailers kind of tell their own little story. They just felt like a bunch of scenes put together. It didn't feel like a trailer. You know what I mean? Like it just felt like, oh, like I'm gonna watch the show soon. There's a lot.
There was a pace. Yeah, the trailers are paced weird for
Yeah.
sure.
Also, like any trailer that's over 3 minutes, it's like they're too long. Trailers
you
should
kind
not
of
be.
feel the length there.
Yeah.
Eat peace, motherfucker.
Yeah, that's good.
That was a good line.
Mag says Eagle 2. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Eagly.
And if you get 50%, you get a D. School's stupid.
Like I'm super excited. Like, man, I didn't realize Vigilante had so many fans, but on Twitter today, people were like, "Oh my god, Vigilante looks so stupid. How could they do that to this character?" I'm like, "What character? What are you talking about? Shut up."
Really?
Yeah. The Twitter makes fans out of anybody.
I
love the
I
silly
know
energy.
Vigilante in the comics because I
Yeah.
know a lot of obscure DC characters.
I only knew about Vigilante because he's Joe Chill's son and
Yeah.
showed up at Batman Beyond. That's the
There you go.
only way I know Vigilante.
He's definitely not silly like this, but like, who cares?
Yeah, who cares?
Who cares?
That's the thing. Like when it comes to there's like character tiers, right? You
Yeah.
know, there's
It-
characters that like
It's not Batman.
yeah.
Yeah.
You don't change Batman, Superman, but you can change Vigilante.
Yeah, you'll be
And
okay.
even then, that's not true. Like the context of the formula you're working in, like Batman can be silly if it's
Yeah.
Teen Titans Go.
Right.
It's true. It's
right.
true. Very true.
Hey, who was that one character that was only in the Flash Supergirl musical crossover but never appeared in comics? And people on Twitter,
Oh,
were saying,
Music
"But that's-"
Meister? No, that was a real
Was-
character.
But they were saying like, "Oh, that's not like he is in the comics." It's like he never was in the comics, dude.
well, there is their version of the Music Meister is a fifth dimensional imp, not the same as
yeah.
the one that was introduced in Brave and the Bold. He's never been in the comics. He was from the Brave and the Bold.
Okay,
So
Cartoons.
it could be
hey?
that.
yeah, probably because I remember the Flash Supergirl had a character that never originally appeared in the comics, but people on Twitter and
Yeah, I
another
think
person.
you're talking about.
Yeah, and another
Darren
person,
Criss.
another person in particular kept saying, "Like, oh, that's not how they are in the comics," and it's like never was in the comics.
I mean, hey, if you're mad that he's not Neil Patrick Harris in Brave and the Bold, that's fair. That's a good song that he sings. I've seen that.
He's Neil
little-
Patrick Harris and Neil Patrick Harris. and
That
David
version of the Music Meister is Neil Patrick Harris. Yeah.
Rad.
There's a bit of Ratcatcher in that character too. All right. Mag says only knew he's Watchmen comedian counterpart. Yeah, that's true.
Mm.
He's who the comedian, one of the characters the comedian is based off of.
Yeah.
And then finally, Sony decided to erase Spider-Man No Way Home from existence by providing a Spider-Man across the Spider-Verse trailer.
Man,
Well, that's
do
not true at all.
Yeah, I don't agree with that assessment at all.
I just think it's funny to say.
Sure.
I don't actually
Yeah.
agree with it.
No, I saw Patrick Willem say it, and I'm like, I mean,
I just watched 3 Spider-Man movies.
I'm,
so like, I
I'm
don't think
excited
so.
I'm excited about Spider-Verse for sure, but like, I would not say that trailer blew No Way Home out of the water.
I was scrolling through Twitter, and then this one random dude just popped up on my timeline saying, "He's like, man, Spider-Man fans, they're so happy right now. They got like so many trilogies, so many films, while Superman fans are just begging for one." And I'm just looking, I was like, how many trilogies? We only have like 2.
But he means the amount of
Spider-Man
Spider-Man.
freshman year is coming, and
yeah.
Spider-Man 2
but
the game.
I'm talking about he was talking about, this guy was talking about movies, and I'm like, but there's only like 2 trilogies confirmed. And then I saw this trailer. I'm like, oh, that's what that guy was talking about. But then I was like, I'm not mad. I'm really excited because I freaking love Into the Spider-Verse.
Well, there's a lot more Spider-Man movies than there are Superman movies, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to count them.
Yes.
Yes.
there
Yes.
are.
Anyway, Across the Spider-Verse Part 1.
Ooh, what a tease.
That was the big surprise that this is actually Part 1 of 2.
Mhm.
Very excited for this.
I did not expect them to age them up this much, but I'm fine with it.
I'm ready for it. I love it.
Yeah.
And
College baby.
I like the callback to the song. Of course, Gwen Stacy showing up.
I love Gwen Stacy's new outfit.
Got the chucks.
They gave her back her shoes
Mhm.
instead of the ballet slippers. Thank goodness.
And we see what's Spider-Man 99's 2099's name?
Miguel
again?
O'Hara.
Thank you. That's what I was gonna say. We see Miguel O'Hara, which I'm pretty sure it's gonna be voiced by Oscar Isaac.
Why would it be
again,
voiced by Oscar Isaac again?
because he was in the original.
No, I'm just kidding. I know.
Well, it's what I want to really just highlight is just we knew that they were going to do something really great with animation. Again, they did it with the first movie, and already the 2 animation styles that we see in this are so unique from anything we've seen before, even from the first film. I'm very excited for the type of animation this is going to shepherd. Maybe not more so than I am for the story, because I think that first movie is incredible, and I have no reason to believe the second movie won't be. I'm just super stoked that we finally got some footage from this movie. It looks beautiful.
Yeah, they're taking their time. They realize like, hey, this movie's too big, but let's maybe make it 2 parts.
I really like the new logo.
Yeah,
It's a little sharper, but I liked the old one, but I still like, you can still see kind of the paint dripping off of it on the spider. But either way, it's like, it's Miles Morales' Spider-Man. I'm looking forward to this.
Didn't they also confirm that Part 2 is coming in 2023?
I didn't see that. I looked for that. It's possible they also confirmed that, or it was just implied.
I would guess they're 1 year apart
Yeah,
because they've been working on them for like
Let me look and see
because
if that was an official.
they're
thing.
working on them at the same time. That I heard that they're working on them at the same time.
Makes sense. Yeah. I mean, like we see like the Indian Peter Parker's world in here. Like you see like Hindi writing and stuff. So like all Across the Spider-Verse means they're going to go to a bunch of different places. So that's real cool.
Yeah,
Different art styles for every different place. Like they did that for the first movie. Like we're blessed. Hashtag blessed.
It's really cool, and it looks like this type of like change in their this type of travel changes their animation
Yeah.
to match whatever world they're in.
At the current moment, unless something comes up, Part 2 is planned to release in 2023.
Awesome.
Beautiful.
It looks because when Miles and Miguel O'Hara end up in that world, they're animated in the same style.
It's more like hand drawn. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like this type of travel, the more controlled type of travel, changes their animation style. Whereas in the first movie, they retain their animation style in an unfamiliar world.
Yeah.
I think that's really cool.
It looks like 2099 Spider-Man's going after Miles, so that's
Yeah.
going to be interesting why he has to do that.
Cool. The only reason why I brought up like it coming out in 2023 as any kind of relevance is because when the Part 1 part appeared, I had a little hiccup of like, oh, because I didn't want to wait like a whole bunch of years for a Part 2.
Yeah. Sure.
And I don't want this one to feel like an incomplete film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So hopefully it won't.
No, see, you know
at
what's
least
going to
we'll only
happen.
wait a year.
You know what's going to happen is at the end of this movie, it's going to be Gwen and Miles. They're going to be in a desert, and they're going to be walking, and then Gwen's going to look back and say, "This is only the beginning," and it's going to cut, and then we have to wait 2 years for Part 2.
That'd be awful.
That's a Dune reference.
Yeah, I got you.
No, yeah.
For the people who didn't get
Yes.
it. That's all the trailers.
Hell,
That's all the news.
yo, what a Spidey. I played Spider-Man.
Feast.
I played Spider-Man on the Avengers. I played Spider-Man on the PlayStation 2. I watched Spider-Man movies. I watched trailers for Spider-Man. I didn't read a Spider-Man comic. I got to fix that. I'm all up in it. I'm all webbed up. I'm all webbed up.
Let's get into our main topic then.
Go, Web, go.
All right, so full spoilers for movies that are very old. I just get in the habit of doing that. I don't know why. Yeah, we're talking about the first 3 Spider-Man movies by Sam Raimi. Tobey Maguire these guys, these classics.
Kirsten Dunst and James Franco and Willem Dafoe.
So let's talk about like movie to movie, I guess. So
Let's start with 3.
Really?
No.
Really?
Okay. Let's get the bad one out first.
No.
Spider-Man 1 then. Excellent movie that holds up very well.
That's got some hokiness to it.
Get closer to the mic, Ben.
It's got some hokiness to it, but at the same time, I love it. I don't know if that's just me with nostalgia. There are a few like little outdated jokes, like when he's in the cage match. He's like, "That's a nice outfit. Did your husband make that for
That's
you?"
the only outdated joke. Yes.
Yeah.
That's the
But
only one.
Out of
true.
that, it's still a very fun movie. I absolutely love it, and of course, Willem Dafoe's performance as Green Goblin cements Green Goblin for me. Every Green Goblin since that movie, outside the animated shows, I was comparing it to Willem Dafoe. So that's like, there's no contest. Willem Dafoe is the best.
Excuse me. Hey, I'm really glad we watched these 3 movies again because it's been a long time, and I loved Spider-Man growing up. This first movie is excellent. It's and like the nostalgia goggles aside, like now that I'm at the age that I'm at, I can just look at this, and this is just an excellent movie. It has nothing to do with the comic books or Spider-Man. Just Sam Raimi made a really good movie. And the thing, watching these movies again, I'm like, holy shit, I really miss them when movies can just be movies. Because as much as I love the MCU, guys, holy shit, this can just be a movie on its own. It does its own thing. It has a beginning, it has a middle, it has an end. Satisfying. It's hella campy. Yes, it is 1960s Spider-Man to the T, and it's excellent. I loved it more than I remembered. I think it's excellent.
You get random shot. Like one of the times when I was watching this movie, there's like this random shot. I think it was a jump scare when Green Goblin goes rah.
Mhm.
I forgot what scene it was.
Is it when
transitioning-
in the fire?
No, it
No?
wasn't in the fire. It was just like this random. I think Peter was dreaming or something,
Mm.
and it might have been right before Aunt May was attacked by Green Goblin. I don't remember.
Mhm.
I just watched this movie this week too, but it was one of those things where I'm watching. It's like I don't understand why that's there. Probably could be a jump scare, but at the same time, it adds to the movie's charm.
That's Sam Raimi's filmmaking style.
Yeah, it's Sam Raimi's filmmaking style comes through in all 3 of these movies. In a way, and I think that when he leans into like the things that he is good at, it heightens the movie in an interesting way, even though for the most of the time he's doing something not generic, but like something more mainstream than his normal style, and then he like sprinkles in his normal style throughout, but sparks. You haven't said anything yet.
No.
It's a podcast.
Yeah.
Talk.
Well, we're just leaving time. That's all. Yeah, I don't know. Like, it's great. Like, I don't have a lot to add on a summation level.
Yeah.
No,
Of,
let's get it. Let's
We're
get
talking
into
about shit. Yeah.
Okay.
Oh
Open
my god.
notes.
Okay, man, let me tell you, Spider-Man's great. The zoom ins, the lines, I love Bonesaw. I think about Bonesaw all the time.
There's a thing in this movie that I really like that I didn't notice the first time I seen it. I haven't seen it in a very long time.
Mhm.
I didn't quite realize how well the parallels of Peter Parker and Norman Osborn were. Their journeys together to become Spider-Man and the Green Goblin are so well paired. There's equal amount of screen time for both. And you kind of see how they're both on a similar path, but choose to take different directions.
They're both scientists.
They're both scientists.
Mm.
And I think it's something that has been there in a lot of superhero media, but it's really well done. It's almost uniquely well done in this one, I thought.
Honestly, I think it's a perfect origin.
Yeah, I do too.
Like of every superhero movie of the last 20 years, like the origin is perfection. It's so perfect.
Ben, you gonna say something?
I was just gonna talk about like the meme lines.
Oh,
The absolute highlight of me rewatching these films again was just seeing the memes and just me. Well, not only that, but we grew up with these. I will never forget the weekend Spider-Man came out in theaters. My entire school was a buzz about talking about Spider-Man.
Mhm.
My mom bought me a Spider-Man animated TV show VHS to watch in preparation for the Spider-Man movie coming out. It was kind of like Pokemon in the late 90s.
Yeah.
But that year in 2002, it was all Spider-Man all the time that week, and everyone was hyped for it.
It was a hot thing.
It was.
Sparks, you look like you got your notes ready.
So I think that one of the things that I was thinking about when I watched it this time is that they did a really incredible job creating the movement of Spider-Man, because it didn't exist before that. And like even today, they're still taking cues from what they established in this movie for live action, how Spider-Man moves, how Spider-Man lands and swings and turns and does all these things, how he's framed. They've evolved, they've adapted, they've introduced new ideas, but the basic idea of his motion is established by the CGI artists in this film and some of the stunt workers. Like, that's really foundational. And I think it holds up really well. I think the CGI, you can see where it's dated, but it's still pretty good. Like, it still holds pretty well.
He's a little smooth, Spider-Man is, when he's fully CGI. When it is, because it is weird only because his suit is so textured. So when he's a fully CGI character, you lose that texture.
The nice thing about it being the early 2000s, and it's really like Spider-Man 3 is the real case, but like they did practical as much as they can, because like, you know, you can't have a Green Goblin flying around in the middle of the city. That's impractical. But you can have a close-up shot of the Green Goblin. That's real. You can do that.
You can also build a set.
You can also build a set.
But even the suits themselves, like both Spider-Man's and Green Goblin's suits, are gorgeous suits.
The amount of emotion that Willem Dafoe is able to get out of that Goblin outfit is incredible.
He's very expressive. He has to be.
Especially when his eyes go up and it's just his eyes, you can kind of see his mouth through his.
He's got the crazy eyes.
I will say, like, the disadvantage of like super high definition at this point is like there are some moments where like I need to not look right at the mouth of the Goblin mask, or I can see that Willem Dafoe is not talking at the moment when his line is happening on the outside. Like, 4K has ruined me. Like, I got like, don't look at his lips because he's not talking.
So I still have both of my original copies of Spider-Man 2 on DVD that were full screen editions. So when I'm watching it on my PS4, it's in a 4:3 with black bars on the side.
Zack Snyder be blessed.
Poor baby. Like, I would have just let you watch the high definition codes.
I already had them in my house, so I figured might as well.
Hey, Disney.
And
it's the way God intended.
No, even though it doesn't look the best, it brought back so many fond memories of me falling in love. I've always liked Spider-Man. Spider-Man was already was a household name in my house because, I mean, he was one of those most popular superheroes. My brother and I would rush home to school after school to watch the new Spider-Man show. That's how I know Morbius, Scorpion, all those guys.
Hell yeah.
And just that live action movie just put it on a whole nother level. And if I knew about the comic book store close to my house, you bet I would have been going to buy comic books after watching this movie.
I got for Christmas, I got Spider-Man and a DVD or a PlayStation 2. And I was like, oh my God, my life will never be the same.
I even bought those like silly string web shooters. They
me too. 100%.
There was a youth center by where I used to go to school, and they had a PlayStation whatever played Spider-Man 1. PlayStation 2. And we had Spider-Man 1. And I played the shit out of that game.
Yeah, I played that on GameCube.
I will.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Quick little story. I will never forget when my parents came home and they gave us Spider-Man on DVD. We were so excited, but unfortunately, we were going to our friend's house down in Marietta for a visit. And we were thinking, okay, cool. Well, we did. But right before we were getting ready, they said, but this other family is going to be there and they don't allow their kids to watch anything above PG.
Mormons.
So they were super religious too. But so the entire car ride over, my brother and I were like two lawyers trying to build up a defense of why they should let us watch Spider-Man. Because even though we were like, well, we could just watch it and they could go do something else. And my parents were like, but that's not fair. You all kids have to play and do something together.
That is not fair.
And we wanted to watch Spider-Man, damn it. We did not. And we were pissed.
That's why you shouldn't be religious, folks.
To be fair, like, there's a scene where he vaporizes people's skin off and they're just skeletons.
Ow, am I?
That's just Mars Attacks, baby.
Yeah, that's cartoony.
I watched this with Zara. She'd never seen it before, and when that moment I was like, whoa, she loved the movie, by the way. So that's why I kind of like pushed back, like, this movie holds up so well that like you can watch it today and still love it.
It's just a good movie.
Yeah,
it's nothing.
It's just a good movie.
Like the comic book relevance of it. It's like it's just like
but
a
also
good movie.
But also it leans into maybe not necessarily all the aspects of Spider-Man, but definitely most aspects of comics. Like it
leans into Spider-Man 60s 100%.
Yeah,
where he Peter Parker isn't as cool as he is modern. Like, he's still a nerd, but like 60s Spider-Man is a dork. A dorky dork. Nobody likes him. People make fun of him. Like old school bullying, not like modern bullying. Like old school, like people would like push his shit down. Like that's all real. That's all like old school Stan Lee shit.
When he's trying to chase after the bus and then Flash Thompson's giving him shit.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I really think that works out really well for the movie because it's not afraid. You know, at the same time, look, there was X-Men happening at the same time at this movie. So like one franchise was doing so well, embracing its comic book roots, while as the other was ashamed of it. Well, for the most part, like they really leaned away from the comic book elements of X-Men.
They wanted to be more sincere. and
No, that's what I
dramatic.
mean. Yeah, yeah.
And so Spider-Man comes along, and it's this it's the, it's kind of a modern day Richard Donner Superman.
Yeah,
Like,
100%. The inspiration's everywhere.
yeah,
all over
and
it.
it works because Sam Raimi has an affinity for that era of Spider-Man, that 60s era of Spider-Man that Ryan was talking about. That's this era of Spider-Man that Sam Raimi read.
Yeah.
It's also like the most bright and colorful New York has ever looked.
Yeah.
It is. Every other time I think about New York City, it's like movies up to like after Spider-Man or like in
The
the 20s.
next set of movies.
Like the next set of
specifically.
movies, yeah, it's like it's so
Honestly,
dark
even-
and sad. Even though like the run down parts of New York are still pretty damn colorful.
Honestly, like even Spider-Man 2, it starts to get a little less.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I love Spider-Man 2, but
No,
it
yeah,
does.
the one is the most comic booky, campy. Like 2 definitely tones it down a bit.
I think there's incredible transitions.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my god, dude.
They're
so
all
many.
around. Like when I was watching the movie, of course, like there's the one that's been going around on Twitter lately, which is the explosion of the generals that cuts to the graduation caps flying in the air, and I'm like,
That's cinema,
this
baby.
movie, man, it knows what
Mhm.
it's doing. Like incredible transitions throughout.
That's when Norman Osborn graduates to become the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
There you go.
The energy throughout the film, it's just really breezy and dynamic. Willem Dafoe's a force.
He's so good. Willem Dafoe is so good in this movie.
I always loved. Well, I think this was the first movie I knew. Every movie after this, when I saw Willem Dafoe, I never saw. Oh, hey, it's Willem Dafoe. I'm like, that's the guy who was the Green Goblin.
Green
This is
Goblin.
viewing it this time was the first time where it really stood out to me. Like, wow, Harry's just kind of a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Like
Oh,
as,
yeah.
as
He's
far
a-
as a friend, he sucks.
He's a trust fund. Yeah, he's
Well, he's like he knows how Peter feels, and he like goes behind his back and sneaks around and like gets with Mary Jane, and then he's like,
he is
"Oh,
like
Peter, my roommate, I'm real sorry. I'm sad right now because Mary Jane, I didn't tell you about
like-
her, and
yeah,
also
yeah.
she's now upset with me. And make me feel better, Peter. Make me feel better."
yeah, he's so jealous of Peter that his dad likes him, and like he has everything, but he actually has nothing because he's kind of a loser, and he's so jealous of his nerdy friend. I'm like, oh, what a loser.
He's just so constantly such a bad friend.
Yeah.
There's a scene. There's a scene in this movie there's a couple of scenes in this movie that I thought were interesting, and it harkens back to like if you watch all the Spider-Man movies, you can watch like the evolution of comic book movies like that. It's chronicled in those movies. And I really forgot about the era where they would just kind of shoved character names into dialogue just because they didn't think they were going to get a sequel. This is the only time, and so like Dr. Kirk Connors fires Peter Parker in this movie,
Yeah.
but he shows up as a professor in the next movie.
Eddie.
And then Eddie
Yeah,
Brock.
because he was an intern.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then
It,
Eddie
it
Brock.
tracks that he's like because it's right after he's finished high school. He was interning for Connors. He's always working with Connors.
Yeah,
I love it.
And then Eddie Brock is mentioned 2 movies before he'll show up.
Yeah.
I thought that
Eddie
was all-
Brock, but not Eddie Brock Jr.
I'm
Daddy
not-
journalist.
I'm
Eddie
not
Brock
making-
Jr., sir.
Hold on, I am not making a case for canonicity. I am not making a case
No,
that
I
this
know.
ruins the movie at all.
No, I know.
I just think it's really fun
Mhm.
going back to these early comic book movies.
Those are just
and,
Easter eggs.
the-
yeah.
and hearing the Easter eggs.
The only
pop in
reason I
throughout.
respond that way is because they make such a point of him always saying Eddie Brock Jr.
Mhm.
in Spider-Man 3.
It's true.
It's like Doctor Strange. Oh, that's good.
So,
But it's taken.
Real
No.
quick. I just think it's just cool inclusivity because I was thinking about just this movie. I'm like, man, it's cool that there's just a dude on the board who's a dude in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That's cool.
He's
Yeah.
just,
Like
yeah.
it's not for any reason. He's not a comic character. They're not trying to build something with him. He's just a dude in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
That's nice.
It's also fun because like if you like watch the show or read the comics, like Dr. Strom turns into Robot Master, who is a guy who is like a Norman Osborn like lackey turns into a Robot Master, and it's like, man, comic books like they're so like he's that character dies, but like if it's MCU, like he would show up like 3 movies later or something. And I'm like, it's just cool to have a
No,
little.
the
little
leader,
thing.
the leader still hasn't shown up.
He's the only one.
That's true.
He come back.
What's the guys who played the leader?
Tim
Doesn't
Blake
matter.
Nelson.
Tim Blake Nelson.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
It's a perfect Thanksgiving film.
Gobble gobble.
Yes, it is.
Thanksgiving happens in this movie, and all the themes of the movie are like, this is Thanksgiving.
Macy's-
This works
Macy's
for Thanksgiving.
Gray.
This is it. Macy Gray Day Parade.
Yep.
Yeah. Jameson's amazing. Obviously,
What
J.K.
is he
Simmons.
he has one of his best scenes, which is when he's protecting Peter.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
I love that scene so much. When Green Goblin shows and Peter's in the room and Jameson is like, I don't know, he sends his stuff into the mail. Like, it's such a great scene, and J.K. Simmons is an iconic performance right out the bat. There's every time that buzzer that buzzer is such a good comedic device and character building device
Mhm.
because as it goes on and Betty Brant is trying to give him like notes and whatnot, and there's a bit, I think it's in this movie. I hope it's in this movie. It's either this one or the second one. Where he goes, Chief, your wife lost her checkbook. And he goes, thanks for the good news.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
that's this movie.
That's this movie. And I think that's all hilarious and tells you everything you need to know about J. Jonah Jameson.
Yeah, he's
Sure.
like truly perfect casting. Oh yeah, every scene. Yeah, the protectors.
Spider-Man 2. Call the caterer. Tell her not to open the caviar.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, he's good with money. Yeah, yeah.
He's so funny.
And of course, the last one where it's like it's like
Yeah,
what?
we'll get to the bit.
No,
we'll
you
get to
can't
the
get-
bit.
Yeah,
yeah,
we'll
we'll
get
get
to,
to
we
it.
can't talk about
All right, let's
that
talk about
yet,
the performances real quick.
Okay, go ahead.
I think Tobey Maguire's totally fine.
Yeah.
He is very dweeby. He's very good at being dweeby. I think everyone excels so much better in the second movie. I think everyone of all the Sam Raimi movies, like the characters are kind of not in a negative way, but they're kind of like simple and flat. But it's because it's a 60s comic book movie, right? You know what I mean? Like there's not a lot of depth, but I don't mean that in a negative way. It's
No.
just it's very the second movie is the perfect like what I want those characters to be. And I feel like here they were all kind of softened up.
Mhm.
Because the second movie, everyone has so much more personality. I
Yeah.
think.
I think Tobey Maguire does a really good job of internalizing a solid Peter Parker in this film
Mhm.
and across the trilogy.
Yeah.
He just never fully becomes like Spider-Man.
Yeah.
For me,
Yeah.
when he's in the suit, like and maybe that's okay because I think for these movies, like I see Peter Parker when I see Spider-Man.
Yeah.
And I think other films, the Garfield ones in particular, have a sense more of like Spider-Man and Peter Parker kind of feeling like two separate performances from him.
Mhm.
And Maguire, it's always Peter Parker in the Spider-Man suit. Like that's the sense you get. And
Yeah, there's no change.
and it makes it feel a little less like Spider-Man. But I do feel like it's consistently Peter Parker, and maybe that works because this movie is so much more emotionally about Peter Parker.
And he is like he obviously is not as quippy or jokey as he is, but also like 60s Peter Parker wasn't joking
because he's
nonstop.
That's because his jokes are terrible.
Yes.
All of his jokes are bad.
Yeah, he's like a dweeby.
He's a huge dork.
It's you who's out, Gobby, out of your mind.
Yeah, I love that. That's so good.
The entire adaptation and rendition of the tragedy of Uncle Ben is super good.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Cliff
the-
Robertson is
Everything about it from the lead up, the car scene of talking and why before he goes into the wrestling match to coming out to the moment with him to
immaculate.
chasing down the burglar. All great.
It's
Classic film stuff.
It's honestly just a really well balanced movie with everything it's trying to do. It is it wholly succeeds and at what it set out to do.
Yeah.
I think that, and that's always to be commendable when something succeeds so well.
Who's the at Rosemary? What's her last name?
Harris.
Yeah, Rosemary Harris. Amazing Aunt May.
Always bringing her
like
A game.
nails it. Like what? Okay, when I was watching Rosemary Harris, it brought me back to the time we read some of the '60s Spider-Man books, and when she's talking to Peter Parker, obviously he doesn't say in the movie, but it's the scene where he goes, "Aunt May, your cake is the most." Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
I'm just watching this. I'm like, God damn, this is just like that scene. I mean, he doesn't say,
Oh, I forgot that. Yeah.
but it's not straight from the book, but it's like you were saying, this is that '60s comic book.
it's that
vibe.
mentality. Yeah,
And
yeah.
I've never seen that before as a kid until now rewatching. I was like, this is the '60s comic book Spider-Man. It's hokey. It does have good action.
I was like, oh boy, I do love you, Mary Jane. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, it's got that. It's got all that. It's got all those elements. But at the same time, I was watching this, I'm like, Sam Raimi could have put Aunt May, this is the most, or some sort of slang, and Aunt May goes, Peter, what does that mean? And you could have had an interaction like that. I went, this is perfect.
Yeah.
It really is like why I think my parents were so enthusiastic about like enjoying Spider-Man when it came out and watched it, because like it was their Spider-Man. It was their childhood Spider-Man on film for them and for us, but for them. And I think that's why it works so well
Yeah.
for that audience necessarily. It's an incredible script. I want to shout out David Koepp for being the screenwriter of it.
Hell yeah.
Because like we've said a lot about Sam Raimi, but it is a tight, well done script.
And he did all three.
No, he did not. Not even a little. And we'll talk about the other screenwriters after.
Oh, okay.
He only did this one.
Interesting.
It is just this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a tight script. It's got some incredible stuff. I love something I was making notes of as well. I was watching is like there's lines that are repeated to Peter by different people. There's obviously the "Don't tell Harry" as a motif that's carried over, but there's also "Thank God for you, Peter." People saying it in different circumstances and reasons. That's just kind of like these things that keep just repeating themselves in different cycles through Peter's life. Also, we are who we choose to be. Is
We are
said
who
by
we
both
choose to be.
said by Goblin, but also said by Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
Really keeping all those ideas constantly circulating around Peter, I think is a super strong. But it's like done even better than poetry, because
No, I
it's
just
all
made it
just
as a
like
joke. Yeah.
it's all just like circulating around Peter constantly and keeping it like he is being burdened by these things at all times. I think it's rare you see a film be that tight in how it chooses to use lines like that. The fact that like "Don't tell Harry" isn't like a bit, but like a thematic choice, and that usually it's said in a different context, especially the "Thank God for You, Peter." Like those are two wildly different readings of that line.
Bitter.
Take my hand.
I really love, in a similar way about the writing, I love that Osborne sees himself as a hero who the people turned on.
Oh yeah.
This was the first time that I really read that in his performance. I'm like, oh, he's saying all this stuff to Peter. It's not just like a bit to make Peter want to be a bad guy with him. He's not just saying like, what they love to see is a hero fall, fail, die trying. He's saying, this is what happened to me.
Yeah.
This is what they did to me. I was the hero, and they loved that I failed.
They didn't know how much he sacrificed.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
And I love that that's what's in that script. I think that's an incredible thing.
Bonesaw's ready.
His Bonesaw is ready.
First appearance of Mysterio.
True.
Bruce Campbell.
You can't say that though, because he plays 3 different people.
I know, but like the fourth film, the fourth
yes, I
film,
know the bit.
It was supposed to look like, we saw the concept art for the fourth film, and the guy dressed as Mysterio, looking a lot like Bruce Campbell. I'm just saying.
Goblin's scream when he turns in the fire, always a great moment.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
There's a lot of
So predictable.
There's a lot of just such quotable lines that Goblin has.
Almost every line.
Absolutely.
Sleep.
Much like the Star Wars prequels, where there's just shit that's we've kept in our cultural osmosis forever. But like, yeah, Spider-Man's super good. I really
Finish
love,
it.
I really love. Yeah. Okay. So I wanted to tell a story about Finish It, because I told Ryan already, but when I first saw it, and a few times after the first time I saw it, I didn't hear Finish It. I heard oh, sorry. I did hear Finish It, but it's not the context that I got out of it. I thought it was Goblin telling Norman to finish it, as in kill Aunt May.
Oh.
And that Norman was resisting it, and Goblin was like shouting at himself. And that was the reading I had like the first time I saw it, and for like a couple of times after, until I was like, oh, he's telling her to finish the prayer.
Deliver us from evil.
Yeah. And I but like the first time I saw it, I remember distinctly like thinking Norman was struggling against the Goblin.
That's
the
a
Goblin
good-
was
that'd
shouting
be-
at him, going like, finish it. And Norman's like resisting it. He's like, finish it. And he's just shouting it at her.
That'd be a good. That's like a Dark Avengers thing that happens.
That was the reading I had, and I'm like, because before that you have like Norman and Goblin kind of conflicted about it. I could see like Norman not wanting to kill Aunt May and like pushing back against that concept, but being more okay with killing Mary Jane.
So real quickly, if I may pause,
Pause.
have the chat be acknowledged. Grayson is in the chat.
Hey, buddy.
Hello, Grayson. That's why I liked Toby as Spider-Man. He really sold the fact that he's more nerdy and a bit of a brainiac.
Yes,
Mhm.
100%.
Yeah, and Mag says, love the fact that how this Spider-Man started out in entertainment work before as a superhero. You mean as a wrestler?
Oh yeah, wrestler.
Oh,
Yeah.
I
yeah.
mean, like that goes
Yeah.
back to the classic comics for
Mhm.
sure.
Yeah.
I love the way that he gets his ass kicked in that last scene. We love battle damage suits. And
Oh, I do.
Yeah.
I love that you just watch him get the shit
Bro, the
beat
thing
out of
about
him.
all 3 of these movies, Sam Raimi knows how to how to hit.
Yeah.
Like the impacts in all 3 of these movies are like, you feel them when somebody gets hit or they get like punched or knocked over, they fall off a building. Like boom, the impact's like, ow, owies.
Or even when his arm gets cut when he's fighting Goblin inside the burning building.
Yeah.
There's a Stan Lee cameo. Blink and you miss it.
Oh yeah.
In this one.
In the first 2, they're blinking and you miss it.
Because they're the same cameo. He's just pulling someone away from falling debris. you know?
Yeah, I think that's really funny.
Before he finally got a line. Yeah.
I can't remember when was the first time I noticed that was Stan Lee. It must have been well after I had this movie on DVD, because I was watching. I was like, "Is that Stan Lee?"
It was definitely, yeah. I was too young to know.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Probably didn't even know what Stan Lee looked like when I first saw Spider-Man.
I had no clue who Stan
Um,
Lee was when I first saw Spider-Man.
The couple of last notes I definitely want to get through are I really love Norman's last attempt to like appeal to him. Just the way that it comes out. I think that's just a really well written and well performed.
You
scene.
saved me. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God for you, Peter.
Yeah.
incredible visual choices and throughout the film, but like I specifically love the one about when Norman dies and Peter like lowers his head and then the goblin mask is overlaid next to him as he's like kind of defeated by Goblin, and Goblin's like grinning there even though Norman is dead. I think that's just, the movie's full of that kind of imagery, but like it's so good.
I love that. Like I think it's like the same year because the Two Towers comes out like with all the Gollum stuff, with like Gollum talking to himself. Willem Dafoe just talking to himself in a mirror, and them not even doing a cut. It's just like it's him being the Goblin, but then just immediately reverting into Norman. I'm like, that's just acting. They're just letting him do his thing, and I'm like, hell yeah.
I really love the design and feel of the pumpkin bombs, as you said. Like you feel every hit. You feel when that pumpkin bomb explodes.
Yes.
Oh, the slow motion.
Every time that pumpkin bomb goes boom, you feel it.
Right.
And they take their time to have that moment be something that you're just gonna slow it down a bit on it, or even go fast on it. But it's something that the audience is gonna be like, oh dang,
for sure. And then the last thing is like it starts here, and it's gonna come up for these films and also for the next ones. But one thing that Ryan and I've talked about that like is something that for a lot of reasons it's very obvious like the current Spider-Man films don't have is New York is a character in these movies. And New York is a character in these movies big time. And like as hokey as it is, there's nothing better than them being like, you're gonna pick on a guy who's trying to save a bunch of kids. You mess with one of us, you mess with all of us, and then throwing the shit at Goblin. Like
love it.
That shit is so good. And it works so well because it's such a good balance of, especially in Spider-Man 1 and 2, of New York loving Spider-Man and Jameson being mad about it. And
because they don't love him.
Both of those things, because when you just have Jameson being mad about Spider-Man but don't have people praising Spider-Man, it doesn't work one-sided, and it doesn't work as well.
We haven't talked about the music at all.
Danny Elfman's incredible. The score is so good.
You know Sam Raimi is directing the Multiverse of Madness. Do you know who's doing the music?
That'd be Danny Elfman.
It's Danny Elfman, baby. I can't believe it.
He's coming back from Age of Ultron. He did half of Age of Ultron soundtrack.
But I'm talking about he's talking to Sam Raimi again.
I know. I'm just saying.
Age of Ultron, get that shit out of here.
Danny Elfman's music is really great. I really love his Spider-Man theme.
It's honestly iconic, like for real. Like I listening to it again, I'm like, oh my god, this isn't nostalgia. Like this is truly one of the best soundtracks ever made.
For me, it was like, oh, this is nostalgia, but it was like also like, damn, this hits hard.
And
also,
you feel its absence in the third one.
The music choices, the needle drops, the credits. Take me right back to high school
for sure.
The soundtracks of my high school life in these movies.
I'm definitely a person who really appreciated that these were films that had pop culture music needle drops that I think fit the theme, fit the moment of what you're doing in the movie, but fit the time of the period that you were watching it as well.
Yeah,
they're not egregious or anything.
And releasing those songs in tandem with it, like the soundtracks that came out in tandem with it, were really strong. This is something that I also think is lacking in Spider-Man 3. You don't have great needle drops like you do in Spider-Man 1 and 2. I don't think it's as well orchestrated together. I mean, outside of it, like, kidding, but like there really aren't. And like you think about like some of the sequences here in Spider-Man 1, or like one of my favorites in Spider-Man 2, which is the I don't remember the artist or the song title off the top of my head, but it's the part where Peter starts like weighing between wearing the suit and the Spider-Man suit, and it's like the song saying like, you tried so hard to be someone, but you forgot who you were. And like that song plays through the whole sequence of him trying to get ready to go to Mary Jane's show and trying to be this person. It's so well calculated into working into the film. Sam Raimi's very smart about what he chose, where he chose to include it.
Two more things I want to say about Spider-Man. One is that watching a movie from early 2000s is always fun because you get to see a lot of cameos from actors that you've come to know.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Joe Manganiello, damn.
Yeah, Joe Manganiello. There's Xena. Xena's in
Lucy Lawless.
She has a brief cameo, and Elizabeth Banks. Before she was like really Elizabeth Banks. Ted Raimi, of course. Ted Raimi shows up.
He's in every Raimi movie.
So like seeing all those was really fun. And I really want to say one more thing about J.K. Simmons. I talked a bit about
real quick because you were talking about just the small appearances. The one that I was like, holy shit, didn't even register in this movie is Octavia Spencer.
Oh, Octavia Spencer. Yeah, you're right.
Herself.
There is a so in Star Trek Discovery season 2, Anson Mount shows up as Christopher Pike, and he walks off the transporter pad, and he's a fully fledged character that you immediately get and you immediately know and you feel comfortable with because you feel like the moment that man walks off the transporter pad, you've been watching him for like 50 years.
Mhm.
I played this role. J.K. Simmons filled the J. Jonah Jameson role in much in the same way, where the moment he's on screen, he's a fully fleshed out, fully formed character that has just existed for years before that moment.
As far as I'm concerned, like J.K. Simmons doesn't exist. That is J. Jonah
it's just
Jameson.
J. Jonah
Yeah,
Jameson.
that's the guy. That's him.
And
Also has fake teeth, which is real funny.
yeah. I love his performance. There's just such good stuff. Anyway, so we go into Spider-Man 2 then.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll reference back to this one, but
Spider-Man.
amazing film. Amazing film.
Yes.
Yeah, definitely better. Like I liked it before, but like better than I remember.
Closer to Spider-Man 2 than you thought it
Honestly,
was in
like
your memory. Yeah.
honestly, like real good.
Yeah.
Like, less negatives than I remember.
Mag suggests that the song title be Raindrops.
Oh no,
No, that's
that's
a different one.
No,
There
that's a
is-
different one. But that's also a good use in Spider-Man 2. But
Oh,
that's not
yeah.
the one
I
I'm
will say
referring to.
something that only is better with age, the Macy Gray stuff. Because in 2001, that's kind of like cool, Macy Gray's in this movie or whatever. But 20 years later, that's irrelevant. She's just a musical artist that's happening. So it's like it's not as intrusive because it's like a pop culture reference at the time.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah.
So it's just like they're at a parade.
Yeah.
It's not like this
Macy
is
Gray's just singing at a parade. Not
Yeah.
a big deal.
no nobody knows who Macy Gray is anymore. That's what I mean.
I do. But I get
Because
it.
we were there.
No, I get it.
Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Infinitely better movie. One of the greatest movies ever made.
How do you top a great movie? You make a greater movie.
Everything we just said about the first movie, yes, but better. And I'm
Yeah.
not joking.
So-
Every
so-
element.
So real quick, this is based on a story by Alfred Go, Miles Miller, and Michael Chabon. And
Oh.
the screenplay is by Alvin Sargent. And Alvin Sargent would go on to screenwrite with Ivan Raimi and Sam Raimi for Spider-Man 3.
Huh.
Based on a story by Sam Raimi and Ivan Raimi.
Huh.
But yeah, so David Koepp didn't come back.
One and done.
This is mostly on Alvin Sargent.
Well, this movie
Alvin.
is incredible.
Yeah. Like for real, like all the complaints I had about like any of the acting, it's gone. Like Toby is like so much more like he feels so much more like in the role. Like he's still that dweeb, but he feels like looser. And like he just feels like the character, and he's just like he is so put upon. This is I said to Sparks like there will never be a more perfect example of Spider-Man dealing with his life work struggle. This is the pinnacle of him trying to be Spider-Man and a person at the same time. Nothing will beat this.
Funny. Okay, not funny enough. But as I was watching this movie, I was like, damn, for a movie that came out in like what 2003, 2004? Yeah, for a movie that came out in 2004. This is still so relatable today because as I was watching Peter Parker deal with him being Spider-Man, his school life, him trying to work at the pizza joint, it's just, this is burnout. This is putting so much on your plate and you're not being able to you want to do everything, but you can't do a single thing. This is him dealing with burnout.
This
Jack
is-
of all trades, master.
Why is this like so relatable to me today?
Because this is the one where Peter and Spider-Man are allowed to be what they're always meant to be, which is it feels like it could just be you.
Yeah.
And like even Spider-Man 1 has that, but this is like directly hitting like this is anybody.
He's a
This
regular
is
person.
This is a regular person who's also a superhero, and this is how it is.
Yeah.
And no other movie has captured it this well because even like the Superman films and trying to like do Jonathan Kent, like Superman still has it pretty easy as Jonathan Kent.
Mhm.
Clark Kent. But this is the pinnacle of like, yeah, you get this because this is everybody at some point.
Yeah.
This is everybody.
We all have the same
even if it's not
time.
work specific, it's just overburdened by responsibilities. Everybody hits that point.
My favorite line is in this movie.
Sure.
Butterfingers.
Hey, Spider-Man just stole that guy's pizza.
I thought it was, I don't know why, but I thought it was gonna be Rent.
Oh no, Ren's pretty good.
Yeah.
No, but that I forgot about that line completely, and just the
Whoa. Spider-Man just stole that guy's pizza.
he definitely went the rest of his life thinking Spider-Man stole some pizza.
He went to Jameson saying, "You were right, 100%. You were right. I
watched him steal this guy's pizza.
like 10 boxes of pizza just gone.
It's the same one where he does where he almost gets hit by the car and he does a flip, and the kids are like, "How'd you do that?"
Oh, yeah.
You know,
that's
drink your milk, eat
vegetables.
your vegetables. That's what mom's always saying.
He's such a cool dork.
yeah.
He is. There one thing that did a little it didn't bother me. It was just something that I was like, oh my god, just say you love her already. Was the whole I love you, Mary Jane. No, I can't be with you. I don't know why. It just like it just bugged me a lot in this movie than it did in the other ones. Because he's like, oh, I do want to be with you, Mary Jane. Well, you don't want to be with me because you can't make the time for me, so I'm gonna go with this other guy. And then
that's
I'm trying
that's
to
life.
understand what you're saying is bothering you about it.
I don't know. It's just like it's the whole like I do, I don't, I do, I don't.
Oh,
The
you're
whole-
gonna hate the next set of movies you watch then, buddy.
yeah. But it bugged me a little bit, but at the same time, it didn't take me completely out of the movie. Because at the very end, it's resolved that she understands because he's Spider-Man. He has to protect her.
you just wanted him to say, "Hey, I'm Spider-Man."
Like,
That's why we can't be
like the
together.
whole phone call when the answering machine stops and he finally confesses, even though he knows the machine is done.
You
it's
wanted that to be real. You wanted
Kind of,
Okay.
yeah.
I don't agree.
Then yeah, that's missing the point.
Because
I think.
that's the arc of the movie.
That's the whole.
I know,
That's his
I
whole
know.
thing.
I know. The thing is, I know. It just
Mhm.
bugged me a little bit for some reason in this viewing. It might not bug me the next time I watch it.
Sure.
Gotcha. Well,
Interesting.
Peter Parker, lazy but brilliant.
I think the thing that's important, Ben, and maybe I'm misreading what you said, is that it's not that he's changed. His feelings for her aren't changing. He loves her the whole time. What's changing is that like he's like, oh, I think I could just maybe stop being Spider-Man. Oh no, I can't. It's not like he flip flops back and forth. He's hardline like I can't be that. I want to be as
It is
closer
a
as possible
series
without
of-
being that. And then he's like, maybe I can be that. No, I can't.
Mhm.
And then circumstances are revealed, and so he's forced to like say like, and in Peter's mind, he's still saying like, I can never be with you because of this. Mary Jane has to make the decision to say, I get to make a choice in this too. F you. We're gonna try this because I love you too, you dumbass. So I think that that's important, is that Peter is always of the mind, except for the one time where he thinks, maybe I can step away from this because I'm Spider-Man. I can't be with her, even though I love her.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
He's not wishy-washy.
Right. I mean, I could be trying to explain it off. It's just I know something about that was bothering me just a little bit, and then. But as the movie continues on, it's like this movie's still fantastic.
I think the human drama in this movie is excellent.
Me too.
I think it's excellent. And I guess I can understand like the will they won't they of like soap opera dramas, and like I get that, but like the execution of it here, it is 100% Peter Parker. He is that nerdy dude who's like he can't tell the woman he loves that he loves her because he's a nerdy dude.
But
that's who he is.
Here's my rebuttal, I guess, to Ben's thing. It's melodrama.
Yeah.
This movie, all three of these movies are melodramatic. And
100%.
this came out in a time period where blockbusters were allowed to do this. Lord of the Rings is incredibly melodramatic. This melodramatic. Pirates of the Caribbean, melodramatic.
Oh hell yeah.
Like these kind of up the emotional dial to 11 so that you're just getting nothing but like raw nerves walking around.
I think
as
blockbusters
emotion.
peaked around like the 1990s, 2000s, 2005.
Yeah.
Like, that was the perfect era,
And so
baby.
like they were allowed to be melodramatic. So having Peter Parker wrestle with the fact of like, if I'm Spider-Man, I can't be with Mary Jane, so I don't want to be Spider-Man anymore. That's very melodramatic, and it works for this movie. There is nothing in this movie that doesn't tonally, stylistically, story-wise,
Yeah. Narratively.
it just does. All of it works. All of it works at 100%. This is a perfect movie.
I honestly,
in my
I do.
opinion.
I rewatched it and I'm like, this is a perfect movie. I was waiting for something to be like, I don't like this. And we watched the extended edition. Everything is also even better. All that stuff is
all
good.
they did, like the only thing that might not work for you, and it's like your opinion, like it worked for me fine. The elevator scene is like so much longer.
Oh, it's like a 2-minute
it's a whole
extended
bit
scene.
because he's like a marketing guy, and he's like I can help
spitball.
like rebrand you, like we're gonna make it big, we can get you in commercials, like let me think of some ideas here.
Children's books.
Yeah. So that it's like a whole bit of him trying to like market to Spider-Man.
Does this also include a scene where J. Jonah Jameson puts on the suit? And
Yes.
it's like,
Yes.
oh,
It's
man,
excellent.
That's in the extended
The train fight.
Dang it!
It's honestly one of the best fights in movie history.
There's
That
a-
train
I
fight
can't believe it's so good still.
is so good, and also I love the
There's-
how they puppeteer / CGI, because I
Looks
know
great.
that at some point Doc Ock's arms are CGI.
Yeah.
But I remember watching a special feature, and most of the time
it's
they're
puppets.
practical.
There's
puppets.
16 people working on that.
It's so good.
I love Dr. Octopus. Doc Ock, Alpha Molina delivers an incredible performance, just flat out. And then all of the arms you can see like different characterizations in each arm and how they move and
It's like Ghidorah.
how he's talking to them, and having something real to kind of work off of is really helping him. The arms look great. There's the incredible scene where Sam Raimi's just like, I'm gonna do it real quick.
Yeah.
Where the arms are just killing people, killing the doctors.
Yeah.
Is insanely good.
It might
Right.
be like honestly like one of the scariest things in a superhero movie.
Oh,
Yeah.
you kidding me? The scene where they're dragging the girl underneath into
And
the
the
darkness.
nails.
And
The
the
nails?
That's a
my
wax
God.
floor.
I know it's a wax
Yeah,
floor,
I just like
but
the special effects of it.
but
I love
as
it.
I will never forget seeing that movie in the theaters as a kid.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it freaked me out because I know now I was like, okay, I'd want to know how they did that now, but no.
The chainsaw harking back
Uh-huh.
to,
Yeah.
to Evil Dead.
Yeah,
So good.
But when you're a kid and you see that and you see this lady gripping on these floors so hard that they're peeling off,
So
it's like,
good,
oh,
man.
she is desperate.
Some things that we the action in this film is incredible.
It's top notch.
Super good. Like the action in the first one's pretty good too. This one is like up in the ante big time. There in the extended edition, both fights with Doc Ock have extended bits. In the bank scene,
Joel McHale.
they go up the building, and at one point they crash through a window into an office, have a physical fight in there for like 30 seconds, and then pop back out to the side of the building and go around. And on the train, there's a part where they're fighting on the side of the train for a while, and he pins Spider-Man down. Spider-Man gets hit by another train and has to catch back up.
That's cool.
It's a whole incredible scene. And like Ryan's right, like the extended edition, it's all just more good. None of it hurt the movie. Like it's all just more
They just
good.
cut it for time.
The swinging choreography is also better in this movie, I think. Than
Oh
the
yeah,
first
yeah.
one.
Like they're able to advance.
The way he like steers himself with the different webs is really cool. There's a bit where he like pins the needle between the truck and then like following the train. I think
Yeah.
all
Such a
really
good shot.
interesting.
You could definitely tell the CGI got upped from the first
Oh,
movie.
the budget.
I mean,
significant.
yes. Once
yeah.
again, it's a 2001 or 2002 movie.
2004, Ben.
No, I'm talking about the
The
first one.
original one.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the original.
2002.
Yeah, the original one was 2002. Yeah, the CGI is a little raw. You can tell. But once again, it's
But
for
even
its time, it's still pretty good.
even
this
even
one, you can-
here, even here, there's sequences where the CGI has dated itself just by virtue of being
Just
when it
being
was-
old.
Yeah.
Well,
old.
It's the best of its time.
Well, I will say, like, I watched the not the 4K versions of most of these, but the still high definition and scaled up, and
Yeah.
the CGI still looks good even scaled up.
Yeah,
I-
I'm
I
just
had
saying
to-
that I was mostly getting at there's still the issue that like Spider-Man's very beautiful, very textured suit, which I have this huge nostalgia goggles for. Is smoother when we get to the CG Spider-Man. There's only the one time they have a fully CGI Doc Ock close up. Looks a little wonky. Looks a little
Yeah.
wonky, but ultimately, it's the CG is used in conjunction with how they were choreographing the film and the fight sequences, so they're able to blend it so well.
Yeah.
I think the movie looks
Honestly,
gorgeous.
like some of the special effects in here still look like better than some of the stuff that comes out today. Like it just like the composition of it and like everything. It's so like you just see every frame. It's never tight.
so brightly lit.
It's so brightly
It
lit.
is.
Yeah, and it's like it's so focused, and you always see everything. And like it's not like a Michael Bay movie where there's a cut every 7 seconds. Like that train
A
fight.
lot of long shots.
There's a lot of long shots. There's a lot of people beating the shit out of each other. It's crazy.
the physical stunt stuff, like when you see Spider-Man bend like the Matrix to avoid that other subway train that's coming at him,
Yeah.
and just everything. The train scene itself,
or in the train when he loops around the pole and is going to jump out through the nether pole, but then he gets hit with the tentacle.
yeah. Oh man, that train scene is just so good. And even the campiness is still here. It's like you have a train to catch, and he jumps off.
Oh, his little
And-
smirk.
Yeah, just a little smirk. Like
He's
"Haha."
again the Butterfinger thing. Like he's got charm, man.
Alfred.
Real
I've-
quickly, Ben, if you don't mind. Mag is in the chat. Says
Yeah,
wants
yeah.
to shout the opening credits with Alex Ross is awesome.
I
I
just gotta
want-
bring them up. Yeah, good job.
I wanted to mention. I tweeted about that because I'm watching this movie. It's like, damn, why is this so good?
The Alex Ross art is
Mhm.
incredible.
Mhm.
And the tentacles are nicknamed from the Three Stooges, but there's 4 of them. Mag, make that make sense.
The fourth one is Carly.
Um,
Again, like practicality. Again, obviously you can't be practical all the time, but like committing to mostly practical, like it really helps.
but
Especially
they lean into their restrictions.
Yeah, like the close-up scenes where like he's smoking a cigar, he actually lights it, or they take off his hat, or he drinks a drink. Those are actually really happening. And it's like, yeah, that took like 100 takes, but it looks real good. When
Yeah,
it
because
happens.
there's a bunch of bloopers of like the thing tipping the glass for him, and he's like,
There's also like, what isn't in the first film the tray scene is like 150 takes.
it's 130 takes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So like
Amazing.
Sam Raimi knew what he was doing.
Film. See, and now that would just all be CGI.
Yeah, that's
No,
true.
that
It's all-
would
be all
All the
CGI.
Doc Ock arms in the new movie are all CGI, which again, that makes sense. It's 21st
you know, going
century.
back to the train scene in the first movie, I was like, damn, that's right. He actually caught all that stuff. And it's
Yeah.
like, that's right. It took well over 100 takes, and then a bunch of the stuff with the arms. It's like, this is 90% of this is real.
Yeah.
That's what I love about this. I mean, there are times like Brand, you were mentioning how, and you can tell between a CGI suit and a real suit. That definitely happened in the third movie and in this one as well. But it's still not bad. That's what I love about it.
Not at all.
The special effects in this movie hold up kind of. I don't know if this is a if this is a good comparison or not, but Jurassic Park. The CGI, I mean, you can kind of tell it's CGI, but the CGI is still really damn
Spider-Man
good.
2 holds up better than all the prequels.
Mm.
All easy, 100% easy.
There's certainly a lot less special effects in them.
Yes.
Because those movies are like 90%
All CGI.
There's a lot of that CG.
What prequels are you talking about?
The Star Wars prequels.
Star Wars
Oh,
prequels.
The only prequels. Sorry, that we talk about. Are we talking about The Hobbit? Who talks about
the
Hobbit?
only film franchise that is collectively known as the prequels.
Just making sure.
But yeah,
okay.
it is because there's so few CGI shots and it's used sparingly. And this goes back to like what we talked about. Like, you compare like Davy Jones to something modern, and the difference is really just time. Like they had the time back then to work on them. They were working on them through production. They had a directing hand guiding them. They had a clear vision.
And they've talked about like, with Jurassic Park, when you have like less CGI shots, like why does the CGI in Jurassic Park, even when it shows up, it looks better than like just picking a random shot out of like Jurassic World in the CGI department? And it's because like they were only having like 140 frames of CGI in Jurassic Park relatively to like thousands will appear in a more modern film. And like by seeing that difference, like you recognize where the artists are able to just put so much time and effort into those specific frames, make sure that those frames just pop and sing. And Spider-Man 2 also has the benefit of things.
I just watched the Corridor Crew
Spider-Man.
thing about the Jurassic Park, and the thing they did is they built a model of a T-Rex, and then they lit it properly, did everything so they know what the actual lighting would look like. So when they made the CG thing, they had a reference. And instead now everything is just CGI now. So
CGI without like, it's all secondhand, like in post, and like nobody trying to do the work on
like
the front
Jurassic
end.
Park, that set, all that's a set. The only thing that's fake is a dinosaur. Now everything would be fake.
And here's what I am saying is that we would have much better CGI to look at if these animators were given the time that they need. And the thing is, they're not. They're beholden to ridiculous standards to get movies out on time. And sometimes it works out. We get some good CGI sometimes, but like other times, like sometimes it's good enough. Which just has to be it for them. Yeah. And that has more to do with the CG industry and less to do with just filmmaking.
Yeah, that's bad business stuff.
That's true. And also I think it's just, we would benefit more from like, just because we can do it in CGI doesn't mean we should just let's not even bother trying to do it in like practical. Like there are some things where like maybe that didn't need to be CGI. Maybe we could have just done the work and put in the day and made the practicals work for that. I think that in general it's gotten too simple to just be like we'll just CGI that thing in, like, rather than like, I mean, like it's the blasé feeling of like Cats, right? Where they're like, just have them in their regular clothes and then make them cats.
Yeah, screw the animators, right?
Have them in hoodies. Who gives a shit? Like, it's that kind of cavalierness about not even trying to like give them anything to work with, like what you were just saying, like having the model as a reference point, like not even trying to like, even if they're going to do CG, give them a helping guide in the shots, just like
final thing about the train, like the finale with Toby on it, just acting his damn ass off.
Phil Lamar.
Phil Lamar's there. Chloe Deisha's there. She's in actually both Spider-Man movies and cameos. I love like the people carrying him, like, we won't tell nobody, don't worry, Spider-Man.
I like that bit where it's like, we won't tell nobody. And it's like, you don't even know who this is.
No, but he's a white dude with blue eyes.
I think Forrest, friend of the podcast, Forrest, he'll come up again at some point, and you'll see him in our Hawkeye discussion. He brought up a good point, because we were talking about Spider-Man stuff the other night, and that is even more impactful, I think, with time, because by modern standards, like, it doesn't matter that they don't know who he is. Someone would have taken a cell phone video of him
in the 21st century.
Like somebody would have done that, and like it does make it more impactful that, like, it does mean something, that like they're not just going to try and like
rat him out,
find a way. Like you could go to the police. You can go to Jameson. You could give a description where somebody sketches out his face. You could do it.
Yeah.
You could eventually draw the connections, figure out who Spider-Man is.
If you want him, you'll have to go through all of us. Okay.
Yeah. That was a good scene. Even when they're like bring Spider-Man in, of course, birth of another meme. Careful, he's a hero. And they're laying him down, and they're all like, "Wow, he's just a kid.
He's only 27.
And
Yeah.
again, like that's obviously the pinpoint scene of like New York as a character, but it's in the movie and peppered throughout. Like it's the kids with the vegetables line. It's the kids that he saves from the bus.
Even like the cop in New York, yo, I'm gonna tow your car. I don't care.
Yeah, it's all these characters of New York feel like they are present and interacting with the world of Spider-Man rather than just like people living in the background of a world.
Yeah.
Oh my
about
god, like
Spider-Man.
Doc Ock like kidnaps Aunt May, and then like when Aunt May gets saved, the girls are like, "Take me with you, Spider-Man!" Like it's great. Like the city stuff in these Raimi movies is excellent.
I think Rosemary Harris is great in all three of these films, but I think she's at her best in this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kills it.
Yeah, when she,
Outside of having one of my favorite scenes in the third one, I think that this is this has
Like-
some of her best stuff. It's specifically the scene where like I remember like the first time seeing Peter tell her the truth about the day with
The
Uncle
hand-
Ben.
I was just
And,
about
like-
to say. I was just
and
about
that-
to say that's some damn fine acting.
They're
from her.
both given it. And the way that she just leaves, and then when he comes back and sees her, and she's like, "It's all water under the bridge" or wherever, and she starts talking to him about Spider-Man and like
There's
why
a-
people need Spider-Man.
there's a
I'm like,
hero
this
in
is
all
such
of
a
us.
great, well-written scene, and she's so good at performing like the deep sadness that's underneath something, but not letting it overcome her.
Yeah.
yeah, I think there's some. There's also so they do the Spider-Man no more thing in this movie,
Yeah.
and I think they do it exactly as much as they should have.
Yes, I
It-
agree.
It does not overstay. It's not a whole thing.
We got the
It's-
great montage. Of
I
him
think
being
this.
happy.
I think this is also the first time where you're really benefited by the decision to make organic webbing. Is all this factor of like Peter not believing he should be or wants to be Spider-Man,
Yeah.
meaning that he loses his powers because his powers are all based organically. I think is excellent for that.
Yeah.
I agree.
It's perfect. Like the headspace of like you lose your powers because like you're dealing with some shit. Like you're depressed right now, bro.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's Kiki's delivery
Oh
service.
yeah, I love
100%.
that the doctor scene is even
Yeah.
better in the extended edition because
Yeah.
he doesn't just like he like has a full-blown conversation with him, kind of like analyzing like it's more than just him saying like maybe you shouldn't be Spider-Man doing those things. He has like a whole relatable story about like a nightmare he had and like an anxiety thing he has that he shares with Peter, and it being like this is he reveals he's going to therapy. The doctor does and like relates to him on this level. It's actually a really nice scene. It's really cool. And I agree with you. Like I do think in that context, like it didn't read to me anymore like the doctor knows he's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Which it weirdly does in the regular cut, I think.
Yeah, it does.
But in the extended edition, like it's very clear that he's just kind of getting back on board with his concept of the premise of the dream. And it's not him being let in on like, oh yeah, you're Spider-Man. Like
Yeah.
that doesn't come across the same.
Yeah, man, I like this movie. J.K. Simmons once again. We get his spaceman son,
Space Sun.
his space son.
The reason Venom comes in the next movie because that's brilliantly planned out. Great job, guys. You nailed it.
Yeah,
Makes sense.
I will say like this movie is about Peter Parker, so it cannot be about Mary Jane. Like she's not given a lot of room to do a lot of character stuff.
Yeah.
It has to all be reactionary to like what Peter's doing. But I do think that like when she gets to do things, it's great.
The
Yeah.
whole Avenge Me part when
Avenge me!
I love it. Like because the whole movie like Peter is like
Nobel
Harry-
Prize, Otto.
Yeah. Oh, Harry just is like
He's so good. He's 100% better in this
He's
movie.
putting on his father's suits. He's slicking back his hair.
He wants to be his dad.
He's trying to be. He's trying to have.
please.
He's trying to
so
have
bad.
his energy when he's
Yep.
when he's like talking business.
I'm
with
something of a
people.
scientist myself.
Yeah.
And then of course he's like drinking. He's like constant, and he's like, I want to see his face. He's like, oh no. And then
Spider-Man hard on you.
like the whole when Willem Dafoe comes back for that hot second, and he just yells "Avenge me!" and he breaks the glass, and he sees the goblin.
Bro, when I was
hallway.
12 years old and in theater watching that was the hypest I've ever been for anything in my life. Because I knew Spider-Man 3 was going to come and he was going to be the Green Goblin. I was like, ah!
avenge me.
No, smash.
Uh,
I guess I will.
Yeah,
I do-
Harry finds out Spider-Man is Peter Parker in this
Yeah.
one.
Peter.
I do agree with you also that like my read is that Aunt May it doesn't know but definitely suspects that Peter is
Yeah,
Spider-Man in this movie.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Spider-Man 3
Oh,
3 seems to walk back away from that
100%.
concept.
No idea what's going on.
But in Spider-Man 2, like my read is that Oh, she definitely thinks he's
Yeah,
Spider-Man.
this viewing, I was like, oh, I think she might have an inkling.
Definitely in this one.
Yeah.
When I was watching that scene at the garage sale or her
Yes,
putting her stuff away,
100%.
it really reminded me of the last scene of the video game
Yes.
where she says, "Take that damn mask off. I want to see my nephew."
Yes.
And
right, the current
Spider-Man
video
game,
the
yeah.
video game ending. Sorry, the current PS4 one. But just seeing this whole thing where she's like, and it's like,
There's a hero in all of us.
I know she doesn't flat say, "I know you're Spider-Man," but it's one of those like, I'm trying to tell you subtextually without exclaiming it to the world.
It's all about the line where she says, like, Danny and I agree. We don't see his picture in the paper
That's
anymore.
the line
And
that
it's
I'm
like,
like, oh!
bro, she definitely at least thinks it.
She almost winked at the camera. Yeah, she's so good. Yeah.
I love her as Aunt May. I like all the Aunt Mays, but this one's like
J. Jonah Jameson's bit where he's like, he was a hero. I just couldn't see it.
Yeah.
A thief! A thief! He's a thief! He's
because
a vandal!
because it finally affected him personally.
yeah.
A thief!
Okay, so, yeah.
It's like he stole my suit.
The
I want Spider-Man.
precious tritium, the first fusion scene's incredible.
Yeah.
Poor Rosie dies with glass.
Oh,
It's awful.
horrific.
One of the greatest screams in a movie.
I love how this movie starts out with Otto Octavius and Peter Parker. Like at first, I was like, I don't really want to talk to this kid, but it's Harry's buddy.
Oh,
I
yeah.
got it because he's paying the bills. 2 hours later,
no, and
they are bros.
Well, and he, I think it's also smart writing that he also has like a preconceived idea of Peter because of
Brilliant but
Connors.
lazy.
Yeah, brilliant but lazy.
My
Like
favorite
that
line.
adds
Yeah.
a lot to it besides just like Harry brought him. It's him having like a concept of what kind of person he is,
Because
and then
Connors-
reading into him.
Because Connor sets it up as like,
He's a good friend of mine.
Octavius is a friend of mine.
Yeah,
And he clearly cares about Peter to know like this guy's a genius, but he just won't apply himself.
And
Yeah.
he said, and he says and he goes, and when he first meets, he's like, Peter Parker, right? Brilliant but lazy.
I think
and then
Connors.
that callback at the end,
Yes.
is so brilliant. to
Brilliant
me.
but lazy. Yes, exactly. Connors is a very good bit character presence in this film. He does a lot of good, important work
Yeah.
in fleshing out Peter's world and what he's going through without like overshadowing anything.
Mhm.
He only adds to a lot of story, both for Peter and contextually because of Otto.
Yeah.
I thought he's used incredibly well in this.
Yeah, I do too, because you kind of see him as like the disappointed mentor figure. that
Yes,
you-
absolutely.
and you get that impression the moment they see each other, and then you see how proud he is that when Peter's in class, and
Yeah.
I think that's some really good stuff. The callback to the brilliant but lazy line that Doc Ock has when he's coming to his senses,
Yeah.
Mhm.
is
After he got his world rocked.
yeah, he's just kind of sitting there and he sees now why Peter is that way, and he
Yeah.
understands Peter in a different way. And you get that just with that line is so cool.
And again, like Peter, like regurgitating the thing about like, if you're intelligent, it's a privilege. And Doc's like, you're right. And I've become the person that I said I never wanted to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's such good superhero
Like
shit.
the whole part in the beginning where it's like, look, if you're intelligent, you have to use it for the betterment of my can. It's like,
And-
that is such a good line. That's such
and-
a good thing.
And in that same moment, like bringing back up that like, sometimes we have to give up what we want the most, which is all Peter has been doing through
Uh-huh.
this movie is what he's been pushing himself through, what he's recognizing. He's trying to impart that, like, I understand, like, I had to be this and I have to give up things I want too.
Mhm.
I love that. I'm going to reference back to that moment when he pulls Otto out later after we've talked about Spider-Man 3, but I do really love that they flip Otto, that Otto gets to become the good man. I love him saying, I will not die a monster.
Yeah.
I really love that. It was powerful the first time I saw it. It remains powerful today.
So just to acknowledge the chat, Grayson is very upset we mentioned the game. Sorry. Scott Melville in the chat says, just I want Spider-Man.
he was that's a buddy of mine. He was messaging me because I put the I want Spider-Man scene from 2 on my Instagram story.
Oh my
and he
God.
was
Maybe the best shot in the movie where it's like, I want Spider-Man, then it cuts to Spider-Man swinging through the city, and then it zooms out into Doc's glasses.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh!
Beautiful.
Every
So-
time it gets me.
And
so good.
and then Jackson
Again, like incredible transitions throughout.
and then Jackson's in the chat, your former roommate.
Oh hey,
Um,
bud.
I get a lot of crap for this, but I think Spider-Man 2 is right there with the original Superman and The Dark Knight as a contender for best superhero movie of all time.
You're
I
You
don't,
should have crap for that.
I don't understand who's giving you crap for that. Find new friends.
Yep. No, we're with you, baby.
It's definitely the best.
Yes, it is one of the best
It
superhero
is
movies of all time.
It is so good.
I
Still
found,
holds up today
like,
too.
in the first movie, I find like Mary Jane, she's cute, but like she's just kind of like a cute girl. And this one, like, I think she's got the charm. I see why Peter likes her. It's like she's doing Broadway stuff. Like it's all there. And like, yo, man, he loves this model so much, but he's Spider-Man. He can't love her.
She also does have personality and agency. Like she's trying to force, like, please, like, just tell me what you want to tell me.
She wants.
Like
she wants him so bad, but
she
waiting.
knows. Like she is 95. She's also like Aunt May. She is 95% confident. She knows Peter Parker is Spider-Man.
Mm-hmm.
That's why she does the like I need a kiss thing. Yep. That's why when they like early on in the film when they first see each other for the first time in this movie with the birthday thing.
Yeah.
And then they're talking after and she's like, "Do you have something you want to tell me, Peter?"
Yeah.
Like she's trying to get him to admit it because she's like, I really like
she's putting in all the work, but he's a nerdy white guy, and like I get that. Like I have no confidence. I will not make you 5. I will not be the 5%.
Right.
You're the 95.
And I think it's good because it adds a lot of like weight to everything Mary Jane is saying because Mary Jane's also saying like, I'm pretty sure you are Spider-Man. I still need you to be able to show up for me and be able to count on you as a friend. And that just hasn't been happening.
And then she's dating someone, but it's almost more like a test.
Yes.
And then unfortunately, like she's so let down, she's gonna marry someone for the rest of her life and be miserable.
Oh yeah, great scene with her talking to her co-star in the show. They go out talking about the engagement. It's an extended edition scene. It's really excellent. It fleshes out like how she's feeling about Jameson in a really great way and what she thinks about Peter at that moment.
Basically saying like, do you really love this guy? Do you really want to spend the rest of your life with this guy?
She's challenging it. She's like, I don't think you do.
Yeah.
Quick correction. It's actually Borden Annoyed Jackson on the chat.
That's what I was gonna say.
He's on a different YouTube channel than is Borden Annoyed. He says Borden Annoyed Jackson here. On my other YouTube stream, and yes, my friends are dummies.
True. It's all true.
You
all
know
of it.
That.
The score is still great. The Doc Ock theme is fantastic. Love it.
I'm gonna run through some talking points. I really love the weight of things, how they are piled up in the beginning, the opening of the film, just like hitting you with the pizza, the bugle, Connors, like it's all just so piled on, so beautifully, well put together, all of it, that he forgets his own birthday in the mix of it. Incredible. Like they do such a good job of putting Peter through the shit in this movie. Really great.
You're fired. Chief, you can't fire him. Wait, can you do photography?
Alfred Molina.
Oh, real quick. Something I like about this movie is Peter brings in real photography for the first time. He wants to become a real photographer.
Oh, yeah.
He wants to advance as a person. But Jameson's like, this is crap. I want Spider-Man. I'm like, right, you're ruining his dreams.
And that's what he gives him, like, Spider-Man.
Fine, here's Spider-Man because I need rent. Yeah.
Rent.
Molina's great from beat one. The absolutely brilliant orchestration of moments like the one where Peter watches Mary Jane leave the theater and the cop cars go by.
Mm-hmm.
And like just giving you everything wordlessly in that moment where he's watching her walk out and the cop cars just like, you don't even really see them. You hear the sirens and you see the lights, but like they just go by and like, you know what's going on. You get it all in that moment watching him do it. I love the elevator scene. It's so good.
Very reminiscent of when I was playing the Spider-Man game, and I'm just trying to go to the main objective, and then cop lights just flash on. I was like, gotta help him because I'm Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Rosie's death, which we alluded to, like the way it's filmed, the tragedy of it is so good.
Yeah.
Let's see here.
I love the inhibitor chip. He makes a.
I really love drunk Harry confronting Peter at the party, and then immediately after he's being told that he was an empty seat for Mary Jane, you're just an empty seat to me. Drunk Harry confronting him, and then I'm announcing my engagement, and Peter's just like, "Oh my
life sucks.
My life is horrible. I want to die."
God.
It's just so many strides.
Where's that black suit? Jesus.
Yeah. I need that symbiote. Venom, where you at?
All the transitions are still top tier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I really love that scene between the Doctor and Peter. I'm glad we remembered that. Peter's imagination of talking to Uncle Ben leading into the No More thing, I think was a really good. The fact that like
Peter,
when he thinks of when he imagines talking to Uncle Ben, he imagines the last time he saw him.
Yeah,
like alive. Like I think that's so good. I think that's such a good representation of like, sure, it's easy to do, but like it is the moment that lives so strong. Not only that, like a moment where he carries so much guilt.
Yeah.
About
responsibility.
Like, yeah. That he takes himself back there to have that moment. I think is really strong. And that like to him being Spider-Man is a promise to Uncle Ben.
Yeah.
I really love that beat in the film.
Am I not supposed to have what I want? What I need.
Uh,
You want some cake, Peter?
great needle drops as always.
Ordinary.
Oh, Daniel Day Kim is in this movie.
Hell yeah! For 5
I
seconds.
did not.
Yes.
Well, we were
Successful fusion, Doctor.
we were talking about earlier about like Octavia Spencer in the first one. Daniel Day Kim's in this movie, and just
Is that Fire Lord Ozai, right?
yeah, he's gonna be
Yeah.
Fire Lord.
Oh,
Ozai.
spicy.
And then one more thing. So at the very, I just decided to skip through credits because I probably knew there was, but I was like, you know what, I might be forgetting something just in case, it had a little Caesar sizzle, but it doesn't. But I get to the end. Michael Bublé sings the original Spider-Man theme at the very end of the credits for Spider-Man 2, and it's really damn good.
Oh man, I love the bubbles.
The moment when Peter saves the little girl, sans powers from the fire.
Oh
yeah.
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 Really great.
Oh, and then some poor soul.
some
didn't get
poor
off the
soul.
pole.
The
Like it
little-
still wasn't enough.
The little girl tries to help him.
It's
Yes,
so
One
cute.
of
I
those.
really,
So
I
good.
really love that. It looks great.
Yeah.
The way they filmed it.
There's
it looks
so much
incredible.
fire. Like man, it's real impressive.
I really I enjoy it. I think it's very silly. The I'm back moment to the my back.
Oh yeah.
My back.
Real quick, real quick fun fact. Tobey Maguire wasn't supposed to be. He's supposed to be in Spider-Man 2. He wanted $25 million, or 10% of the gross of the box office, right? So they hired Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal started training. Jake Gyllenhaal was going to be in Spider-Man 2. Toby came back saying, "Actually, I don't need that much money. Can I please be Spider-Man again?" We almost had Jake Gyllenhaal. This is true. He was going to be Spider-Man.
I think I heard this. Yeah.
Now he's Mysterio. It's a fun world.
I mean, he got to be in a Spider-Man movie
I'm-
eventually.
I'm
20
glad
years later.
I'm glad it kept being Toby because I think Toby fits these movies.
He fits like the dweeby so well.
Yeah, it's good that we were able to follow a one character throughout, and like, oh man. So okay, I want to say, go ahead if you. I got a
real
long
quick,
thing I wanna
real
say.
quick, like spinning off from the Jake Gyllenhaal comment, like Toby Maguire is I'm not calling him an unattractive man. I think he's attractive, but like he feels like real world attractive.
Yeah, he's a
not
regular-
like movie star pretty. He's
Yeah.
never felt that way, and that helps him so much in this because it makes him feel like this is something Andrew Garfield.
That's
definitely had going
honestly
thing against him.
Yeah.
Is that he just can't be the dork loser.
Peter Parker
Like,
is
he
not
can't
supposed to be hot.
He can't be the everyman.
Yeah.
But like Tobey Maguire really can capture that energy, and I think Jake Gyllenhaal wouldn't have been able to capture that.
He's
the
a
same.
good looking dude. Yeah.
So Mag says that the landlord's daughter is a good friend of his.
No way.
That's awesome.
That's
dude,
very cool.
very charming lady. Brings milk and cake to Peter. What a lovely lady.
And
one of my favorite bit parts in both this and the third film.
Yeah.
And Grayson says, I felt bad for her. She hardcore got friend zoned.
It's true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially in that third one. He
You
treated her.
can tell that she has a crush on him.
Oh,
and
100%.
I feel bad for Ursula.
Hi, Pete.
There is a thing about early 2000s movies that used to be a thing before we got into the point of like the never-ending franchise, and I'm not just saying for like the MCU, but just like in general, like character arcs continue on throughout multiple movies. But it's really cool to see just how like the kind of the forgotten filmmaking of a blockbuster filmmaking, or like here's a character arc, cool. Here's the next character arc.
Yeah.
Cool. Here's the next character arc. And so like each film tackles something different. The first one is learning responsibility. The second one learning to live with the responsibility.
Yeah.
I think that was they each operate as a single unit that don't need each other. But are enhanced by existing together.
True.
To extrapolate on your point, because I actually do see this a whole in these films. Jumping to the third one for a hot second, it's like Peter gets his powers in the first one. He's learning difficulties, trying to balance his life with the powers in the second one. And the third one, he thinks he has it all figured out, and it goes straight to his head. Especially with all the drama that he causes with Mary Jane by letting Gwen Stacy kiss him during the ceremony.
Oh, we'll get to there.
We'll definitely get to there. But you're absolutely right, because in this movie, it's like, wow, this is like kind of like I could definitely relate to him trying to juggle all these things and still live a life.
There's not enough time for anybody.
Yeah, exactly. And then the third one, it's like, damn, he thinks he's hot shit.
It's crazy.
Because
This movie's just Kiki's delivery service.
Yeah. And then watching the third one, he's like, he thinks he's such hot shit because it really hit when he's right before he swings in. He's like, they love me. They really love me. It's like,
let's finish Spider-Man 2.
yeah, let's finish Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
But I want to say I completely see where you're coming from,
Yeah,
dude.
I love the ending of this movie. It reminds me so much, and it's obviously a reference to The Graduate, of Mary Jane leaves her own wedding, which is a wedding she did not want to be at. So it's fair. She goes to Peter Parker and she's like, listen, Peter, I know shit's gonna get whacked, but I love you, you love me. We should just try this and see how it goes. And they say yes to it. And then Peter becomes Spider-Man. He runs off, and she's just sitting in the doorway, pensive.
Oh, it's even framed like The Graduate with the door
Yeah.
frame.
And like she's not smiling. She's like, I guess
you
this
see
is my life now.
you see in the reflection Spider-Man swinging off.
Beautiful. It's beautiful.
Beautiful shot.
I like it to end your movie on like not a big action scene. It's like on your female lead, like in a kind of like, I guess this is my life.
I mean,
Alright.
it kind of ends. It does like it does end with him swinging through New York. The helicopters are following him and everything. But still, I get what you're saying. And also,
Well, the last shot, Ben, though,
Is Mary Jane.
is Mary Jane, because
Oh,
you
yeah,
come
yeah.
away from the helicopter swinging and you see him
and she's just like,
just off in the distance in the
"Oh."
reflection, and she's leaning against it. The last shot is her looking kind of like,
you're right.
Okay.
You're right.
I love it.
Also, a lot of really good reflection shots. Like you were saying, like the reflection of Doc Ock's glasses, the
Mhm.
one in the whatchamacallit, the one in the window was Peter swinging away.
When Rosie was dying. Yeah.
A lot of good stuff in this movie. A lot of good reflections throughout all the
love this
movies,
movie.
actually.
I love
Yeah.
this movie.
I'm so glad I
this
watched
wa-
it again.
This movie is why I'm scared for No Way Home.
that
Yeah.
last shot is incredible. What an incredibly powerful choice, because it basically says that like there really isn't an easy answer to everything we put forth in this movie. Like it's kind of going to be a mixed bag. Like that's what it
Sometimes-
is.
That's what life is. Yeah.
Sometimes Joel McHale is just a sleazy
which I
banker.
think is like you could have just as easily ended it the same way you ended the first one, with Spider-Man just going off to do the thing.
Yeah.
And we could have ended it with the helicopter shot, but it's because you come back to Mary Jane, and Mary Jane doesn't even look like she's like happy entirely. She's
Just
like
think-
she's complicated.
If
and
you
like
think about
that's
what she
awesome.
just left like a famous astronaut at the altar to go be with someone who can't dedicate his entire life to her because he is saving crime and he could die at any day. And I'm just like, wow, I really just chose this, didn't I? Wow.
But love conquers
Love
all.
conquers all, or does it?
And then
Spider-Man 3.
and
Da-da-da-da.
that scene, it gave me and all my friends all the evidence we need. Like he's gonna become Venom in the next Spider-Man movie. Never mentioned again.
What?
Yeah.
I'm confused.
Okay, so the symbiote comes from space, right?
Yes.
And he's
I see what he's saying. He's talking about
Mad.
Jameson.
I'm talking about
Jameson,
Jameson's
okay.
son.
Oh
Okay.
yeah. The setup that we deserved.
Yeah, the set that we
that they
deserved.
set up and
That
didn't
was
do.
right there in your face. It's like he gotta be Venom because he's pissed and he's gonna find out that Peter stole Mary Jane from him, and he's gonna get
This
the
just goes
symbiote.
to show you.
we talked about that. Same
This just
thing,
goes to show you that Venom was brought in like so late into the game that like the way that he's brought in is through he just shows up in the park randomly. Like wow, what a setup for your major villain. Wow.
Sam Raimi like very like blatantly has spoken to like no interest in Venom.
Yes.
He did not think there was anything interesting that he could do with Venom.
If you look at all of the villains, they're all like duality of man villains, and
Yeah.
Venom is just a big monster.
and so like the film Venom is not the only problem in this film.
No.
But it is a major issue for many reasons. But I think that if this movie had just settled on Sandman and maybe have the goblins,
Even Harry, I think, is good.
even Harry, and so like you have some of the Harry.
I think
Osborn stuff
you
still.
would see a clear, strong film of Sandman and Harry.
You
Yeah.
cut
it
the
should
Venom
it should
stuff,
be
yeah.
both, but no Venom.
Yes, and I think that's because I was watching this movie and I always remember kind of being bad, but I find myself always forgetting how much I'm into the Sandman plotline. I like it so much that it's gone for most of the movie,
Yeah.
and I hate it.
Mm-hmm.
I hate how long
So-
we're gone from Sandman.
Yes, rewatching this, I don't think this is a bad movie. I think there's a lot of bad stuff in it. When rewatching it, like compared to 1 and 2, like nothing could ever be those movies again, right? But like the Venom stuff is really just like the worst
Well,
stuff. Like the Sandman stuff is on par with some of the other villain stuff in this trilogy.
I think so.
And I think Spider-Man 3 is disappointing because like it's not that it's like, oh, it couldn't be Spider-Man 1 and 2 again. The thing is like you see it could have been.
Yeah.
It could have been. But it got messed up.
Like the second we saw I will once again. I have a lot of nostalgia. I have a lot of core memories tied with these Spider-Man films.
Yeah.
I will never forget walking out of the Point of Hills AMC out of a movie, and I saw the poster for the first time, and I flipped out. I'm like, holy crap!
The trailer dropped a year before this movie came out.
Oh yeah,
Not only are we gonna get Black Suit Spider-Man, we're gonna get Venom. I was so excited, and then I saw the trailers. I saw the Sandman, and as a kid, I'm like, no, I don't want the Sandman. I want Venom. Now as an adult, I'm like, no, I want Sandman. I don't want Venom.
yeah.
Thomas Hayden Church delivers a really good performance.
Yes,
as
I agree.
Sandman.
Yes, he does.
I think like I said, if he was just the main villain of this movie,
He is very much a 40s gangster character. adopted to
Yeah.
the time period. Like he is designed in that classic sense.
He could also be Hammerhead.
Like everything Thomas Hayden Church is giving. Yes, he could. Everything Thomas Hayden Church is giving is that like that old like, you know, grizzled criminal who did it for like just to get by what I needed
I
kind
did
of
what I
thing.
had to
Like he's
do.
got that exact energy going. He's got that exact presence going.
He's
I
like
thought it was
muscle,
really good.
just like pure
He-
muscle. Yeah.
Yeah, he's never been that stacked again in his life. Like he's great. I agree. Like I wish that Sandman was in this movie more.
Like his motivation of like he's got a sick daughter. Like
but-
it's a good motivation for a villain, sure.
It's really hard because this movie tries to juggle so much.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come together as well as it needs to.
Yeah.
Because there's probably 3 movies in this movie that they're trying to do. And
I would argue too, but go ahead.
and when you're losing when Black Suit Spider-Man quote unquote kills Sandman, and then Sandman shows up again, you're like, oh right, there's a Sandman movie here.
So the editor's cut helps a little bit.
Okay.
We'll
It cuts
admit,
15
because
minutes.
there's-
Yeah.
Well, it cuts 15 minutes, but it adds a scene that's not in Spider-Man 3
Mhm.
regularly, which is that after he gets quote unquote killed, Sandman washes into the bay and he comes up into a park. Guess who happens to be at that park? His daughter.
Oh.
So he turns himself into a gigantic
Like a
sand
10-foot
castle
sandcastle.
for her.
Mhm.
And then she like enjoys it, and then she and her mom leave, and when they leave, he turns back to himself and he says, I swear I'm not going to let him separate me from you ever again.
Oh.
And it helps to motivate why he would agree to join Venom
Mhm.
later in the film. It still doesn't sell me on it. I think that's a terrible, bad characterization thing. I'm like, this criminal you've set up Sandman to be up to this point in the film, I don't think he would join Venom. I don't think he'd be okay with Venom doing what Venom's doing.
He's not out for murder. Yeah.
Right.
He's the motivation in the theatrical cut of the film certainly seems to be like, Spider-Man was a jerk to me and I want to kill him.
Right. And in the editor's cut, they try and take it more in the direction of, I
have a goal.
cannot. Spider-Man was willing to murder me, and he at least vocalizes that. And like, I need to make sure that I can be around for you.
Yeah. I also have a hard time. I won't say that I just flat out don't care about this stuff, but because I feel like that might be too harsh, but I don't give a shit about the Gwen Stacy crap in this movie.
That's fair. Yeah.
I just lose all interest in the Gwen Stacy plotline.
It's interesting because I find most. Well, the further we get, the less I like it. But like, I do like the drama between Mary Jane and Peter a lot because Peter is just so full of himself, and Mary Jane's just going through it. And he does not get it. He's just being a bad boyfriend right now.
Yeah.
And the Gwen Stacy stuff adds to that in a really dramatic way. But I just don't think execution is fully there all the time, especially with Gwen herself.
Mhm.
But like, all the ideas are there that are really of like Peter does not realize the mess he is making just by being happy, and it's so fascinating. All the stuff is so good. It's just like literally there's so much stuff around it.
See, that's the thing. Like you say that, and like that's all good, and I'm into that, but the execution of it is just not there for me.
Yeah.
The execution of the character drama in the second film we talked about is so well done, and I'm so invested. But here I'm not.
Until Gwen Stacy shows up, like all the stuff with Mary Jane leaving Broadway and Peter not like listening to her at all.
Yeah.
That's all good. That's
I'm
all
into
good
that
shit. Yeah.
stuff, yeah.
It's when Gwen Stacy gets involved in like the stuff at like the diner and Gwen Stacy like kissing him or not kissing him. Sorry.
That kiss. Okay.
It's
am
awful.
am I alone in this? That kiss doesn't work on a,
No, it
on a
doesn't.
narrative
It's-
level.
it's-
It ruins his character.
It's the most uncharacteristic thing Peter Parker has done in this entire trilogy.
Yeah.
He is such a wife guy. His whole life's been about Mary Jane. There's no way in hell he would kiss another woman, especially with the kiss that he did with Spider-Man.
even with his like massive ego inflated head, like the fact that he's the person who like says, "Go ahead, lay one on me." I'm like,
Yeah.
this is not Peter.
Peter Parker
No.
would never cheat. He is not a cheater.
I 100% agree, because every Peter Parker or addition to Peter Parker I know, if he's whoever partner he's with, be it Gwen Stacy, be it Mary Jane, he's with that
He's a
person.
good
Or-
dude.
Well, you could just go to this movie, this franchise, like we talked about, like Peter Parker. Like it's not Spider-Man and Peter Parker. It's always Peter Parker,
And it's always been Mary
It's
Jane.
always been Mary
Yeah,
Jane and
it's
Peter
always
Parker.
been
And so,
Mary
like when Peter puts on the Spider-Man suit, he's still Peter Parker.
Yep.
We're still following Peter Parker. So I don't believe that there's any world where Peter Parker would be like, Spider-Man will kiss whoever they want.
right?
Yeah,
and
yeah,
like the only way that, and you'd have to move it to later in the movie, but like the only way I would believe it is if he's wearing the black suit.
And he wasn't.
Yeah,
yet.
it wasn't.
If he was wearing the black suit, I'd be like, okay, like I get it. I can get it on board with this because Black Suit Peter is Peter's id getting out of
Yeah.
control.
And even they could have done something where, what if Gwen Stacy like snuck a kiss on him? And like Peter had nothing,
Sure.
like, and he's like she very quickly did a thing, and like Peter's like, I didn't want to do that, and like that's a better counter instead of like you're the instigator, you are the cheater
Yeah.
here.
Mhm.
Like
There's this thing where like Peter can't figure out why Mary Jane is upset, and I'm like, really, dude?
Here's the
Yeah.
other thing I hate though. Mary Jane kissing Harry. And the
that's
reason
that's
here-
actually bad.
Here's the reason I hate it. I hate that like the ass backwards logic of writing it to happen because it doesn't work. And by doing so, all you are doing is saying like, well, we had to make them even. And like, no, bullshit.
No.
Mary Jane doesn't have to sink down because Peter did.
Yeah, that lessens her character too. Like she doesn't need to retaliate.
Everything about Mary Jane and Harry doing that whole bit just doesn't
The
work
oatmeal?
for me.
The,
Harry's amnesia sucks because and here's the only reason it sucks. Like I don't really have a problem with it I don't have a problem with it as an idea of how it could work into these characters and their dynamic and everything. My problem is that Harry's amnesia lasts for about 40 minutes of this movie and it doesn't further his character. It doesn't further Peter's relationship with Harry, nor does it further Mary Jane's relationship with Harry.
It doesn't
All
influence
it
his hero.
does-
It doesn't influence his hero turn at all.
No, all it does is put Harry on the back burner so we don't have to think about
also
him coming after him as Goblin.
makes Peter a bad guy because he's the one who put him in
and
that
I'm
coma.
like, and I'm like, it would have been much better if Harry had just lost the fight and then decided to go after Peter a different way by like manipulating his world around him so that like sometimes, Peter's the one screwing up, but sometimes Harry's making
you could
it worse.
honestly cut all the amnesia stuff and just have Harry just be like shitty in the background,
When
and
Harry-
everything would be fine.
because
Harry
because
threatens Mary Jane to break up with Peter. I'm like, that shouldn't be a threat.
no, but
She should just do it.
yeah,
well,
yeah, yeah.
because it should be what it should be is that Harry learns that Mary Jane knows that Peter Parker's Spider-Man, but not that he's the Goblin. And he uses that. And he uses that to his advantage. And if that were what we were doing instead, and he leverages against Mary Jane because of it, that would be better. That would be better than like the way they go with the amnesia route. It doesn't add anything.
Yeah. The other thing that like we're talking about Venom, but we have to talk about Eddie Brock Jr., sir. I feel so bad for Topher Grace. I really like that guy.
That character's written terribly. He's
the
nothing.
absolute worst choice to make your Venom character just a anti Peter Parker, because he's just Peter Parker, but not as funny, not as cool, just more of an asshole. And it's just like there's nothing fun about watching this character at all. I don't think.
And again, it's a villain turn because Peter was a jerk to him.
Yeah. Although like you want religion, go to church. Like I do like that. He ends up at a church. Like that's fine. That's all cool. But like the character himself,
The character,
just lame.
I
It's
just
kinda lame.
feel I completely forgot about the whole when A. Brock tells Captain Stacy he's dating his daughter, then they see each other at the ceremony. It's like
one date.
that amazing thing. It's like, dude, we just had coffee. It's like, oh, you're
He's a loser like Peter Parker. That's
well,
the
and at
thing.
the same
Yeah.
time, like even if that's the narrative he's created for himself, he was also hitting on Betty Brant at the
Yeah.
same time earlier
True.
in the film. So
Mhm.
like he's just a piece of shit.
Yeah.
So like you can't latch on to anything with him. There's no way to feel like bad about what happens with him.
He's just somebody who wants like the #1 spot, but like there's no real character to that.
There's nothing to him. All his lines are bad.
Yeah.
I feel bad. I do feel bad for Topher Grace. Like it's a nothing character doing a nothing presence just to get to Venom.
I don't know if this is true, but I was watching like some video essay, and apparently my spider sense is tingling, if you know what I mean, is him improving, and I just can't believe he would ever do something that terrible.
No, thank you.
I do not believe they would allow him to improv that. There has to be a line that they wrote.
Ben brought up something that I actually find really funny. Earlier, he talked about the desk. I think the desk is the desk gag with J. Jonah
Yes,
Jameson.
Yeah.
great
Funny.
gag. Great gag.
Very funny.
not that one.
that one.
Not that one.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
goes.
He's really calm in this one. Really, I love it. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, just thank you.
Or then he's trying to yell. I was like, "Are you serious? This is and your wife blood pressure."
You can tell my wife to. Thank you.
Thank you.
I
It's
love J.K.
Oh, sorry.
Simmons.
There's one part of Spider-Man 2 I forgot to mention when Robbie Robinson is holding Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, that's a
and
great
he's like,
shot.
oh, I think Robbie knows he's Spider-Man because there's a line at the beginning. He's like, I heard Spider-Man was there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
Robbie, do
Yeah,
you
he's
know?
looking right
Do you
at him.
know
Like,
Robbie?
yeah.
Like,
I think
good character.
I think they do a good job of like there are characters who definitely like have good reason to suspect, and they lean into like the subtext. Like they definitely have thought of it.
Yeah.
They've definitely considered is Peter Parker Spider-Man. They don't know,
But they got a hunch.
but they're definitely wondering it.
yeah. I just thought because I like that character a lot. Yeah.
Mag says, I do like the message Venom makes referencing the 90s cartoon style, title style. Yeah,
Oh, sure.
yeah.
Like come and get like.
Oh yeah, come and get us,
Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
save him if you can.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the font of the '90s cartoon.
And Grayson says, I wasn't really into the potential love triangle that wasn't really in character yet. We agree. Bruce Campbell's very funny in this movie, though.
I like.
Romance.
I'm
I am
trying to-
French.
I really am French.
Trying to think which is my favorite Bruce Campbell.
It's
thing.
this one.
Actually, I
It's
think it's the
this one.
first one.
It could be any of them. Really.
I mean, I like his appearance as the wrestler announcer, and
yeah.
I do like his appearance at the theater. He's a real piece of shit, but I think there's something so good about the comedy, the physical comedy of him constantly thinking
back
he's
and
being
forth,
summoned for the ring, and
Yeah,
he's
he's
like, go.
And he's all mad at the servers, and
Yes.
he's like, no, shoot. And he's like, okay, we got this.
Again,
Can we
like-
play this song? Oh,
like-
like their favorite.
I think that is a really good scene. Again, even the Gwen Stacy scene, like that scene works with her in it because like Peter is so oblivious. He's about to propose to the woman of his dreams, and he has no idea what she's going through. So he not only is about to propose, he also has the song of the Broadway play that she's not in
Yeah.
about to play.
And
He is so out of it. It just drives me crazy.
and you can have that scene without the kiss.
yes,
You can still
absolutely.
have- there's
Yes,
there's
exactly.
a version of that scene that exists without that
The
kiss.
hands, like she had her fingers all over you, works
Oh,
just
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
Man, I'm really glad.
And that
I
makes more
watched-
sense as something that Peter's oblivious of.
Oh yeah, totally.
100%.
Because she's all like rubbing his shoulders. She's like, yeah, my lab partner is like looking at Mary Jane, and she's like, I'm gonna take him from
Bro,
you.
like it is relatable in a way of like Peter's like, wait a minute, what's happening here? Like she's just my lab partner. Oh my god, what is happening right now? Like he is so good in that
But
moment.
when you have the context of the kiss, it's like harder to
Yes,
accept him.
It
by.
is,
Yeah.
yes.
Mhm.
I agree.
Speaking of like, because we talked about Bruce Campbell. Speaking of like great
I
small
am
appearances,
French.
the landlord has a excellent moment with Peter in
Oh,
this one
yeah.
where he gets shouted at by Peter, and he's like, "He's good boy.
Why he
He
must
be in
must be
some
wrong.
kind of trouble."
Yeah.
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 I
Fix
love
this
that.
damn
I
door.
love that.
Mr.
That
Dick
It's the
moment.
same. It's the same reason why I like the Goblin Jameson sequence. Like these people have been antagonists to Peter Parker, but like
They have heart. They have
they
good hearts.
have good hearts.
Yeah.
They like the thing about everyone in these movies is that it doesn't matter if like Peter Parker doesn't pay his rent or I'm a hard ass. Like
Yeah.
I like this kid.
Yeah.
Right.
This kid is a good kid.
Right.
Like because they know they can push him. Like they could be nice to him. Like he's late on his rent because like I can make fun of him for it. Like
It pulls on those emotional heartstrings in a pretty big way where when you feel that where he's just like he's good boy. I
Something's wrong.
really appreciate that. I'm really glad that moment is in there.
Yeah.
I think it does add something to the movie overall.
Mhm.
The Goblin Bomb makes an appearance again in a really fun way. Honestly, I think
I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
when he getting ready to when Harry throws the bomb and then Spider-Man without even thinking
Whips it back.
whips it back. It's such a good moment.
Really, like this is the one where there's an over reliance on CGI and it shows, and some of the CGI definitely does not hold up.
the opening action scene is like as an idea is really cool, and sometimes it is cool. to
Super
watch,
rubbery,
but a lot of the time it feels like you're watching a 3D ride.
like a
Yeah.
PlayStation cutscene.
I could act in this movie. I feel is like the most egregious with the CGI, and what I mean by that is like I could definitely notice when I'm looking at a CGI Peter and I'm looking at a physical Peter.
There's so much
Especially with the black suit. Like
yeah.
when he first puts on the black suit and it's the big reveal, and then it's him. It's like you can tell like the textures are like it's like blatantly out there. It's
Yeah.
like damn,
So
you
much
could-
more reliance on CGI.
I
in this
do
one.
really,
Yeah.
I do, however, really like when he's ripping the Venom symbiote off of him. I
Oh,
think
yeah,
that's
that
that's
is
looks
cool.
really cool.
looks
put-
great.
they put a lot of money into making like the movement of the symbiote and the like, its tendrils and, its
And the-
pieces look good.
the Sandman technology, like they developed for this movie of like the particle technology. Insane. Like
Yeah.
looks fantastic still.
There's another pumpkin bomb moment that I want to shout out real quickly, Ben. And it's the one that destroys Venom and Brock.
Sure.
Is also just a really
No!
good kind of visceral moment of the pumpkin bomb.
And you see you see his skeleton explode in
Yeah.
there. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, that was the first time I noticed that.
Me
when
too. I
watched
didn't notice it first. Yeah.
The other thing I was gonna say is for a very hot second, but I loved like the shadow art, like when Peter first gets the symbiote on him.
Yeah.
Like you see the symbiote, you see Venom's face, and then the
yeah, you
hand.
see like the face and it turned into the hand.
I thought that was
pretty
really cool, and also even the time. I normally don't like when we don't see Venom and it's Eddie Brock's face peel back.
Yeah.
But
it's the teeth.
It's the
yeah,
teeth.
the
It's the
teeth are.
teeth.
But one thing I do want to give credit to the costume designers, because that's a physical. Because I mean, yeah, there is CGI elements, but then there are shots where you can tell it's a physical headpiece.
Oh, like
and it's
the
a physical
tendrils.
suit.
Yeah.
And props to them because that still looks really good.
Yes, I think the idea of the Venom suit sitting on Eddie in a way where it's like pulled back here, I think is really cool. It's the teeth that bother me. I'm like, there's just no reason to do it. And it looks bad and it throws the whole thing off.
Yeah, the teeth I do not enjoy, but everything else about that costume, it's pretty damn good.
This is the first time, and there's something very specifically interesting about this movie, watching them all three back to back, and it is that you can tell that Spider-Man 1 and 2 are Sam Raimi's movies.
Yeah.
Like regardless of the different, whether he's not leaning too much into his style or whatever, they're Sam Raimi's movies. This was the first time where I was watching this, I was like, I see Sam Raimi's DNA in this, but it's not as prevalent as it was.
Yeah. No. And it's so crazy because he's one of the people who wrote the script for this one.
Yeah.
Because the producers are like, you have to put Venom. He's like, okay, like I'm gonna write the script for this one. Too many elements. Too many elements.
Him and Ivan Raimi, and then Alvin Sargent coming back from the second one.
There's too many cooks in the kitchen. Yeah.
And Sargent would also work on the Amazing Spider-Man script, by the way.
Interesting.
The thing about this that I think probably because the elements of Spider-Man 4 were in them.
The lizard stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The Sam Raimi-ness is still there, kind of like with the visuals of Venom and some of the stuff with the Thomas Hayden Church, Sandman. But there's such a. This is the first movie that I saw where like I noticed corporate energy.
Yes, sure.
Like this felt like a movie that Sony was what had their hands in.
Yes.
Trying to mold this.
When
movie.
I saw this movie midnight in 2007, I remember this was the first movie I remember seeing being disappointed in, like a big blockbuster. I was like, something's wrong with this one, and I was like 15 or whatever. I'm like, this one wasn't good, guys.
Yeah.
Everyone else like loved it, but now the world's turned.
It was definitely one of those things where we tricked ourselves into liking it, and then after a while, it's like, yeah, that wasn't that good.
But now, but now 14 years later, it's not terrible.
It's not terrible, but. One thing I will definitely put against this movie is I definitely felt the length on this one. It's 2 hours and 19 minutes.
I 100%. It's not longer than the first two.
Oh yeah.
But it feels like it is.
It feels so much longer than it is.
Full disclosure, Ryan and I have alluded to it. We did not rewatch the original cut. We will rewatch the editor's cut, which we know cuts like 15 minutes out of the movie. And at the same time also added at least one scene.
It shortens like
so
some of the dancing
a decent
stuff.
chunk is gone.
It shortens some of the Aunt May stuff. It adds the Sandman scene, which is good.
So the length of the theatrical cut, I never felt it in the first two. And the first two I think might be longer, but don't quote me on that. No, and if they are, they're all around 2:30.
Yeah.
And this one is not the shortest. Might be the shortest, but it's definitely not the longest. And it feels like it is. It feels like a movie that is going on for 3 hours, and not in a good way. Like you're watching. It's honestly, I find this movie to be a bit of a slog.
It is. It is definitely. I don't know if I'd call it a slog. It's just definitely after watching those first two, you're like, oh wow, this definitely is the one that's like.
I think we also are missing a decent chunk of the movie where we're not having it berate on us.
Maybe, yeah.
Definitely. Like, I mean, the first two Spider-Man films, those are fun. They're a ride. It doesn't. I get done with Spider-Man 1. I look at my phone. I'm like, oh wow, that much time has passed. It doesn't feel like that. I'm watching Spider-Man 3. I'm like, can this be over so I can play?
I do.
Pokemon
Again,
finally?
I think the action's really, really good though. Like I think specifically the first black suit side of Spider-Man Sandman fight's brutal. Like if Spider-Man didn't know any better, he is killing somebody in half those fights.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Sandman fights, both of them are really interesting. And the one that I do like Harry's hero turn. Well, it's not utilized very well.
I like
it's
it
not done very well.
Yeah,
but I like the idea that they are teaming up. That's a cool idea.
This is a good summation. We were overestimating the time difference. This is a good summation though of the editor's cut of Spider-Man 3. It only clocks in at 2 minutes shorter than the theatrical cut. But the editor's cut of Spider-Man 3 shuffles around the structure, extends one sequence, removes a handful of particularly egregious scenes, adds 3 new ones from the cutting room floor, and swaps out 3 other scenes for alternate versions.
Interesting.
Maybe the next time I'll watch that one.
I haven't seen the original in one full sitting since theaters, so I can't really attest to like how different or
it's been a while.
It is. But I definitely felt like there was something breezier in watching the editor's cut for me.
It sounds like the editor's cut fixes a lot of the issues, not all of them.
Yeah.
Well, because you can't take Venom out of the movie.
Right.
I think it's like pacing stuff.
And it's interesting to hear that, like, you guys came out of the movie a lot more positive than Ben and I. That theatrical cut is definitely a slog to get through. I think maybe next time, if should I ever desire to watch this movie again, the editor's cut is the way to go.
I didn't even know it existed until Ryan mentioned it, and
Yeah.
I was like, well, if that exists, let's do it.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
why not try and watch a better version of this one that we know is the worst of the three?
To me, like knowing that there's an editor's cut, I'm intrigued and I kind of want to watch it, but at the same time, I don't.
The part that got me is that like I didn't know. I don't think you knew either. The fact that they said blatantly, yeah, they moved the structure of the film around. I'm like, oh,
And yeah,
that might be a big difference.
it's been like 10 years, so I can't even tell you like how
because the structure felt pretty good,
Yeah.
honestly. Like like even though the movie's overstuffed with elements, I didn't feel like the way we were flowing from story beat to story beat or the pacing was bad.
Yeah.
Real quickly, Mag has a comment. James Cromwell as Captain Stacy felt not used a lot.
That's right.
I 100% agree with you. And when he was used, I hated it. I love James Cromwell, but like not used well.
So James Cromwell's still alive, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
'Cause I actually had to look up.
He's in the multiverse.
I also had to make sure and look up that Rosemary Harris was still alive because I was like, please
So-
don't be dead. Please don't be dead. Oh,
she's-
good.
yeah,
she's still kicking, which yay.
I want to start pumping out a few of these talking points.
Yes.
Bryce Dallas Howard was not a bad choice for Gwen Stacy, but Gwen Stacy was a bad choice for this movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
100%.
Why not do Felicia? Damn.
Why not do Felicia?
Why not do Felicia?
Bro, like the behind the scenes, like they were gonna set up Felicia too, and like she was gonna be Black Cat in this fourth movie. Like, so much opportunity.
That fourth movie, like
Lizard Black Cat, that would have been killer.
There was also Vulture. Remember,
Yeah.
one version of the script had Vulture, and Black Cat was going to be his daughter.
Hell yeah, I'm into it.
This movie does a really good job right from the beginning of getting across this idea of like Peter's on the upswing. Peter, everything's coming up. Peter,
They love
like
me.
everything's coming up so good for Peter. It's a real good pivot from where we've had Peter up through from the first film
Okay,
to the second film to the
If you
third
think
film.
about like the opening, like Spider-Man 1, you want to know who I am? I'm just an ordinary blah, blah, blah. And then like the third one's like, it's me, I'm Spider-Man, I'm having a great day. Like it's such a drastic change. I love it.
yeah, he's evolved so much. And then the second one, like where he's so melancholic because he's like, I'm Spider-Man, but like my life kind of sucks. And,
Yeah.
and there I have to see the love of my life on a billboard every single day. Like it's really good progressionally, like between the three films. I think it's really nice. Church is doing the work for the character. I think he's really good. Aunt May's always top notch. I really love her scene talking. I really love her scene talking about the proposal, giving him the ring. Ben's very beautiful personal proposal that he does, and Peter's like, "Cool, I'm gonna take this ring and I'm gonna do the tackiest, most cliche proposal in the world."
I am French.
It's cool.
I mean, but again, that's perfect for Peter Parker, that dweeb.
Right, exactly. We've covered a lot of these. Sandman's first reforming scene.
So good.
So good.
So good.
The way it takes its time of him like coming up, coming down, like how he has to create the moment where he has to create the fingers so he can grab the locket, I think is really great.
Like the furrowed brow because he can't grab it.
Right,
It's
exactly.
beautiful,
I think
man.
it's very well visualized. I don't know what they were trying to create out there, but they created a Sandman, so good for them.
Yeah.
There's a moment in there where Ryan and I were both like, man, what if Mary Jane became Venom in this movie?
Oh man,
where
she
there's
deserved
a
it.
moment where she's in the apartment without Peter and the symbiote's also in the frame and she's
a
trying
Sam
to
Raimi
leave
shot.
because the door is jammed and she's trying to leave. And I'm like, yo, what if the symbiote just took her right now and fed off her negative energy? Could you imagine?
And then it's like she becomes like a big Broadway star, but through negative energy and like, oh man, crazy.
What a wild turn that would have been. Science and model lady Gwen Stacy. I don't know why she had to be both.
I don't know, man.
Unsung hero sometimes. Ted Raimi playing off J.K. Simmons is also a big reason why Jameson works so well.
It's hip, it's now. I made that one.
And wow.
And
That's
wow.
Ivan Raimi.
That's Ted Raimi.
That's
Ted
Ted Raimi.
They got a whole bunch
Sam
of
Raimi's
brothers.
brother.
I never knew that. I just thought it was just some random actor.
He is in every Sam Raimi movie.
Yeah.
Kind of like Bruce Campbell.
Ted Raimi.
Yep.
He what was the nope, it's gone forever.
Bye
The
bye.
basketball bit.
Basketball bit?
Oh, well, when they're in Harry's house
Oh,
after the
yeah.
amnesia.
And he's like, hey man, like when we were in high school and Ryan and I were both like, I'm getting the Room vibes
Yeah, it was
out
like
of
The
this
Room.
one. Like they're so awkward with each other. Like that scene just doesn't work.
Then the vase drops and he's like, wow, I got super speed.
That's a real bad bit. Just a weird kind of arc that they're doing with Mary Jane in this movie. I don't think it all totally works. Like with
I like
with,
the beginning of it so much.
the beginning of it is
Yeah.
good, but like I get why Kirsten Dunst isn't a big fan of it. Like it feels a little directionless for her.
It's a bummer because like it starts off good of like her partner not realizing what's going on, but then it's just the trope. Oh, I just getting kidnapped again.
Right.
Blap, blap.
Yeah. Yeah, the Peter kiss with Gwen we talked about, like just insanely out of place.
Yeah.
I really do like though that Peter's ego is like out of control, and that's like a motivating factor for where he's
It's
at.
the
in
first
his
time
life.
he's
Like,
ever been like
he's
truly
never
happy.
been cool.
Yeah.
He's finally cool. He's the popular one through Spider-Man. Like I think that part is executed well. His ego being out of control even before the suit. I think that part is executed well. Like the kiss thing is too far, but like that aspect of it, I think is done.
I love overconfident
well.
Peter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mag wants to point out Bernard.
Yep.
Guest or guest.
Yeah. Bernard's pretty good. Thankfully, the editor's cuts out the scene where he says, "Your father was impaled on his own glider." That's not in the editor's
Yeah.
cut.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
It actually makes Harry's turn better
Yes.
because he does it on his own volition.
Right. Yeah. Yep. Great action in the Sandman Spider-Man first fight.
Bro,
I think it's
face
done real
into
well.
The train. Oh
I
my
love Spider-Man fully riding on his ego train, encountering Sandman, being like, "I don't know if you've heard, but I'm the sheriff around these parts." I'm like, "Oh my god, Peter!"
It's like time to get your ass kicked.
Bro, he's surfing on the back of like a car doors. It's great.
I do like the line where he takes off his mask and his boot, but at the same time, it's like, where did these guys come from?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a cool idea to use Sandman to dredge up and re-explore the loss of Uncle Ben and reanalyze it, but I definitely think it could have been executed better into this film. And like you can see where there's supposed to be like an emotional arc and connection thing for Peter in this film, but like it just gets so screwed up. I'm glad to have Connors in it more.
Yeah.
But like you didn't put any of this stuff on you, did you, Peter?
So the thing about like Marco having been responsible partially for Uncle Ben's death, like I really hate the scene where Captain Stacy brings them in and tells them about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, nobody would ever do this. This doesn't make any sense. Like it's just to motivate Peter getting upset about it now. Like nobody would go like, "Hey, by the way, your uncle, turns out we found out we caught the wrong that wasn't the guy. We had the guy. We don't have the guy. He's on the loose." But we thought now is the time when we should tell you.
Why
when
wouldn't you
he's
tell
on the
him,
loose.
Like 2 days ago? It was like 2 days ago he broke out. I was like, you think you should have told him sooner?
And like there's no reason that they don't even have like any bullshit reason to be suspecting that like, oh, he might come after the family for some stupid reason. They don't have that. Like they're just dredging up this traumatic pain for this family for no good reason. Like I hate that moment so much. It's such bullshit script writing that makes no goddamn sense.
It's tying the villain and the hero together in a way that's like doesn't.
There
really
would have
work.
been a better, more organic way that we could have gotten to here, and like this is just bad. It's just bad
Absolutely.
writing.
Yeah. I don't like this movie very much.
I think it's fine. I think there's certainly better elements than I remember.
I do like it's so weird, like Peter Parker's energy when he's doing the Spider-Man killed him and he's got that big old smile when he tells Aunt May.
Oh yeah.
And like she does this is the part where like they start to walk back that idea that like Aunt May might think that he's Spider-Man because she says like Spider-Man doesn't kill people, and it's not like, Peter, what did you do?
Yeah.
I
wish
could
that
you
would
imagine
happen.
if that was her reaction? Then Peter would, but you can't do that because then Peter wouldn't put on the suit. He'd be shaken out of it.
Yeah.
God,
that'd be such a good scene. Like
I do think like it's not. I don't think that it's done very well. That like as far as Peter knows, at 2 different points he killed 2 people. Like he killed Flint, and he might as well think he killed Harry too. And he just doesn't.
He blew
carry
up
the weight
that
of
dude's
that
face.
at all.
He might as well have killed him
at any point, which is kind of strange. And he even kind of does like he does. They do the bit where like he thinks, "Ooh, I maybe killed Flint Marko. I don't feel so good." So he puts the suit away. But like it's timed improperly in the film because he ends up like picking it back up later when like everything falls apart with Mary Jane and all that, and he's like, "I guess I'll just be bad anyway. I don't care that I killed
let's
somebody."
live in it.
Yeah, that doesn't totally land the execution.
Sandman.
The bridge scene is some good acting though.
Yes,
From both of them of
Yes.
like that painful moment
when she breaks up with him.
You're gonna have to tell me if this isn't in the
So
theatrical cut, but I
good.
hope it is. But Peter in the lounge chair after he figures out that Harry was playing him.
Oh, okay.
And
So
he shows up in
when-
Harry's apartment
when
and
Harry-
he's laying in the lounge chair and he's like, "That was quite a performance today." And Harry turns around.
yeah, how does that scene start for you guys? When Peter goes to confront Harry when they have the fight.
he's in the
window.
He's in the window.
Okay, so in ours,
Oh.
he's sitting in the chair that his father was murdered in the same position, saying
He's like
yeah.
he's laying on the same lounge chair he laid Norman down on, and he's looking at him and he's grinning. He's like, "That was quite a performance today." And
It's effed up.
Harry turns around with this also same smile. He's like, "I thought you'd appreciate it." I'm like, "I want this to go on for like 3 minutes of them just like smirk bullshitting
It's
each
so much
other."
meaner. Yeah.
They basically recreate the shot where Otto shows up in the window.
Okay.
Oh,
Um,
lame. Yeah, the editor's cut's way
yeah.
better.
Spider-Man.
Bully Maguire is in full force in
Yeah,
that.
he's just laying back on the lounge chair. He's like, "That was quite a performance today, Harry." And Harry's like, "Oh man, I'm so glad you liked it." Like, that's
I'm
what
gonna
they're
put some
doing. They're doing
dirt in your
this
eye.
shit-eating grin with each other. It
Great
really
fight.
works.
Really good fight too. Good personal fist fight.
Yeah, I agree. I agree.
I wish that energy between them went on for like
Yeah.
forever.
Yeah, I like the scene where he where Peter kind of gets wise and he just turns back and just like winks at Peter like, "Hey, you know what's up."
So good.
Uh,
I really like Bully Maguire. That's the
I
joke.
do
Like,
too.
I like the stuff like that he does with Mary Jane later in like the jazz scene. Like I think sucks.
That's the part that
Peter like embracing his dark dweeb is like so fun.
And I
like
love
I
that
accept it.
Like the women on the street that he's pointing to all look at him and like, "Ugh."
Dude, some of them are into it. And
some
then,
of them are
half
into it, and
like,
some of them aren't.
There's
Yeah.
like very few who are like, oh, okay, but almost 90% of the girls when he's like trying to show off is like they're like, nope.
When I was younger, I did not like the scene, but now that I'm older, I'm like 100% that is Peter Parker. He would so do that.
Especially like the film building you like. This is how Peter reacts to having a massive ego. It also makes sense that like Peter's idea of like being the bad boy, being the cool bad boy,
black
becomes
suit.
this. This is this version of Peter Parker thinking he's being cool bad boy. It's his internalized and generated and then exaggerated id.
Yeah, like I'm. Go ahead.
Even when he slips the waitress the money at the nightclub,
Sweet legs.
and it's like, find us some shade, thank you. And then she goes right this way. And
Yeah.
you could tell she's like, I don't like this dude,
Yeah.
but it's like
Again, like
fine.
taking this girl to your ex-girlfriend's bar on a date, that is awful, but that is something Peter Parker would do. Everything else is like, it's a little much. I think that might be a little much.
Yeah, they just, I don't know. So I put up a poll on Twitter.
Uh-huh.
I asked what the favorite is.
Oh, that's gonna be a shock.
43% said Spider-Man,
Wow.
57% said Spider-Man 2, and 0% said Spider-Man 3.
Yeah.
Surprising.
Yeah.
I am, yeah.
I just always
That
forget to shout out.
tracks.
I always forget to shout out the
Sure.
stuff I do online. So I wanted to be sure that I remembered this one.
There's a lot of good moments in the bullying Maguire stuff. There's the leveraging of Jonah, flirting with Betty Brant,
The cake
Yes.
girl.
abusing the landlord's daughter.
God.
Oh, Jesus. But it all makes sense and it works, I think, in the narrative of what they're creating.
Yeah.
Yeah. We talked about that. Harry gets hit in the head the same way like 3 times in this movie, no joke.
Yeah, he does.
That poor boy.
Oh, I don't know what we call evil Harry, like not bully Harry, but like the confrontation scene where he's like, "I'm the other guy." It's so juicy.
I wanted it to come from me.
Yeah.
I'm the other guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like then the confrontation battle where he's like, "Oh," and her lips like strawberries.
Yes.
God, it's so thick. I love it. Like I have such a good time with it.
Yeah, I think the team up is solid fun. I think the final fight has a lot of good emotion in it. I like how Harry dies, the same way that his dad does,
Yeah.
skewered with his own glider.
Poetry it rhymes.
Yeah, there's good things in this movie. It just doesn't come together.
Yeah.
In any real meaningful way for me.
That makes sense.
Sure. Yeah, I think that it suffers from there's clearly like a good idea of like how to tie in Flint with these. The thing that is that like I can see a good version of this movie where you did include the black symbiote suit and you did include Eddie Brock, but you didn't make Venom in this movie.
Save that for later.
So that Peter's like emotional distress stuff and him getting out of control with his emotions is tied to the black suit, but not to the point where we have to shoehorn Venom into this film.
Yeah.
But there's clearly like good ideas of what was going to be emotionally important, especially between like Flint and Peter and Harry and Peter, and that being the driving narrative of this film. And it's a shame that it didn't fully get to commit all the way to that.
You could I'm like everything that they do with Venom, just like the scene where Eddie turns into Venom, have that be like the final scene of the movie.
Yeah.
And he can still Goblin and Peter can still fight Sandman because he's a 100-foot tall sand monster.
Right.
Like all that stuff could still work, and to save Venom for like
or not even have it be the final scene in the movie. Like honestly, that would be one of those things where like you don't see it till like Spider-Man 4, and it's like a flashback to that moment that Eddie was down there. Like you see him because you don't want the last thing to be. You want to have a full, complete emotional arc of this film. So you have Peter like part with it at the beginning.
First
the third act,
post-credit
parts
scene.
with the suit. You
yeah,
could,
yeah.
but like the parts with the suit. And then the third act is him like fixing up these things with the Sandman, with Harry and all that, and Mary Jane, and he handles all that. And then in the fourth film, you're like, well, what? Like you cut back to that moment, and it's right at the bells, and it's the suit falling onto Eddie, and now that is part of the driving.
And we don't know
force
what
of a
happened to
fourth
Eddie
film.
in the third movie. And
Right,
then
exactly.
We'll find out. Yeah,
Right.
that works. Man, let's just go back in time and make this happen. Sam Raimi.
Yeah. I do want to say like a final thought about the Spider-Man trilogy before Brandon starts the book club, which I see he's raring to go.
Oh no, I just
wanted to say.
I thought we were winding down.
No, we are winding down. It's a final thing I wanted to say because this was a great point that came up. We were having a conversation with Forrest about the Spider-Man films, and I thought this was a really good thing that came out of that conversation, which is that watching the three together, like even with Spider-Man 3 being a little lackluster, there is something really incredible and powerful about seeing what they wanted the story to be across the three films. You watch as the films are go from being about Spider-Man to really being about Peter Parker. And like even then we've talked about like it being Tobey Maguire is very much Peter Parker in Spider-Man, but like Spider-Man 1, is about the journey of like becoming Spider-Man, being Spider-Man. But Spider-Man 2 is about like being Peter Parker in conjunction with Spider-Man. And does that work? Can I be Spider-Man and be Peter Parker? And the question in 3 is really, can you be Peter Parker? Like that's the question that he's facing, because like you are Spider-Man. Can you be Peter Parker though? Bro, can you
you'll never not be Spider-Man.
And I think that's really well articulated by the final shots of all three films, because the final shot of the first one is Spider-Man in front of the American flag, superhero, great. The second one we've talked about is that shot with Mary Jane with like looking wistful, like complicated. It is now like you are Peter Parker and Spider-Man. This is what that looks like. Not exactly the best, but trying to do it. And the third one ends with Peter Parker in that complicated. It's on him. And it's him trying to like just make the best of what he's got right now. He's got to try and just do better with Mary Jane. And that's it. And I think that's also a really good decision for a last shot of a movie.
It's them hugging, right?
Yeah, it's them. It's them in the dance club doing the dance. Like, I think that's a really good last shot for not a great film all the way throughout. I still think the last shot has that same kind of poignant thoughtfulness about what arc are we driving Peter Parker through in all three of these films.
Does ours end that way?
What?
Does ours end that way?
With them dancing together?
With them dancing?
Yeah,
Okay,
with them dancing in the nightclub, yeah.
And then like again, like to that point, I think Spider-Man 2 really does hit into the middle of that really well, because it's that beat with him taking off. Like, who do I need to be? I need to be Spider-Man. I need to be Peter Parker. Oh, I need to be both because I'm Spider-Man, but I am Peter Parker. And the only way Spider-Man can save Otto is to also say he is Peter Parker.
Peter Parker saves the day, not Spider-Man.
Yeah, and I think that's such a good, like, there is such a good thoughtful arc even up into the third film that it's just a shame that it's not as artfully well crafted all the way through.
The thoughts are there.
Good films though.
So if there's anything more,
I covered it.
I am happy to have rewatched these. I'm excited.
Let's rate them. No.
It's everyone's. It's gonna be the same.
I really happy we did this. So we're doing this to get ready for Spider-Man No Way Home, where a lot of these guys are coming back, and may or may not know there was going to be a Spider-Man 4. Sam Raimi was signed on to do a 4th Spider-Man film. There were rumors about Vulture by John Malkovich, but eventually it does look like they settled on the Lizard.
Real quick, so because I've been watching tons of videos, the Spider-Man 4 was in pre-production. They were gonna do it, but the studio was making Sam Raimi was very uncomfortable by the studio, because every time he would go to a new meeting, they're like, cool, you really want to make the Spider-Man movie, Sam? Because he was in a contract with them. Yeah. And he was just like, do you guys want me to make this movie or not? So after like a year of them like bullshitting him, he just left the project.
Yeah. The other side of that, which is what I was trying to get at, was the reason why a lot of that 4th movie ended up in Amazing Spider-Man 1 is because Sam Raimi said he could do it, but it would take 4 years because he wanted to do something in between. So instead of the 2-year gaps, and Sony didn't want to wait that long.
Yeah.
And they took that as an excuse to part with him. However, The Amazing Spider-Man still came out 4 years after Spider-Man 3, so they still had to wait 4 years to get their Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
So
the other thing that really gets me about that is because like if you kind of knew in the back of your mind you want Sam Raimi for a Spider-Man 4, or you want a Spider-Man 4 in general, one way or another, like, why not take your time to build up Venom? I don't know why they felt like they had to just shove Venom into this freaking movie.
It's a producer.
Like, you could have just taken your time and had Eddie Brock be a proper character just on the sidelines of the story you're telling in Spider-Man 3, and then get to Venom for the next one.
Well, it's super interesting. Like, we won't talk about it a lot, but like this is the beginning, really. It's Spider-Man, and Spider-Man 3 is like the beginning of like the studio interference of big blockbusters. Because like before this, we had like the Batman movies and Superman and like and like the X-Men, and like Spider-Man 3 is like, oh, they can interfere and really mess with it.
There is a lot. I said that watching the Raimi Spider-Man movies and all the Spider-Man movies throughout the 2000s, like you could see the evolution of comic book movie filmmaking through them all. And Spider-Man 3, in a similar vein to Spider-Man and Iron Man: The Dark Knight, like is a game changer. Unfortunately, in Spider-Man 3's case, not a good one.
The Spider-Man movies were like the first like big blockbusters to like X-Men made money, but Spider-Man was the first to like make that like almost $1 billion. And they're like, okay, what will get more people? And it's like the big characters. And this is the first time like studio was like really like,
after Spider-Man 2, the biggest thing that Sony saw was that people were begging for Venom.
Yeah.
And so that's the primary reason why they forced Sam Raimi to include him.
Understand.
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's neither will Sam Raimi, and he's still mad about it.
So the third film was going to be the Lizard with Black Cat. The fourth film was going to be the Lizard with Black Cat, and there's Mysterio concept art. There was concept art made, but like I said, it was going to take them 4 years, so they canned him. And so 4 years later, The Amazing Spider-Man. And that's all preamble because we're talking about The Amazing Spider-Man duology next week.
Woo, the duology.
Andrew Garfield, Mark Webb films. So
Web it up.
Stay tuned for that.
I'm so pumped.
Yeah. All right. Shall we get into our book club then?
Okay.
Ooh, should have had that right. All right. So this week it was my turn, and because it's December, it's the holiday season. I decided that we should dip back into Claus.
Klaus.
It's Claus or Klaus. I've heard both.
Clues.
The Life and Times of Santa Claus. This is the third hardcover that collects the last two one-shots. What's this? What?
The Crying Snowman.
The Crying Snowman and The Life and Times of Joe Christmas.
Did we skip anything from the last volume that we read?
No.
Okay.
So we've read all of Claus.
Oh, it doesn't feel like a lot.
Yeah, there's 4 one-shots and the 7-issue miniseries.
Oh, that's literally nothing. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
So Claus of the Crying Snowman. So this is and as of now, the last Claus.
For now.
Because Dan Mora made it clear that Grant Morrison has not written any ideas for another one. I'm bummed, but
Dan Moore is also hella busy, so.
Yes. So what do we think about the third and at this point final volume of Claus?
Crying Snowman.
Yeah, I thought it was all right.
Are you lying or are you doing a bit?
I thought it was all right.
All right, Ben.
No, I quite enjoy this. I will not lie. The Crying Snowman was a little hard for me to follow, but at the same time, all these books are just so fantastical and they just take so many different twists on things. And the ending was really nice. I really enjoyed that ending. Because especially when it's like, well, how is this about a crying snowman? And then it turns into like this giant cosmic war and Surtur and the Norse gods, like the Ragnarok's about to happen.
The Norse gods are assholes in this world.
The Norse gods are dead.
The Norse gods are dead. And all this stuff is happening. And then you see the ending of the crying snowman and why he's crying. It's like, this is actually really sweet and really powerful.
His little
Yeah,
boy.
I was bullshitting. I thought it was really good throughout. So
Okay.
I just like to make Brandon anxious.
Yeah.
Ryan.
I enjoyed it quite a bit.
These are my two favorites that Claus has done. Grant Morrison and Dan Mora has done. It is no surprise why The Crying Snowman is one of my favorites. It deals heavily with Norse mythology, and really just goes buck wild with the concept of Claus. This is the first time we also meet his like side Santas in a talking role.
The Yule lads.
The Yule lads. The Yule lads we hear about. We hear Father Frost's character and the Yule goat.
Yeah.
Who's a goat who can turn into like a were-goat.
Honestly, I thought that was going to be a version of Krampus.
I thought
or
that
the Krampus.
I think it's supposed to be.
Well, he defeated Krampus in the first volume.
Oh, that's true.
It's been a while, dude. I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Father Frost is the communist Santa, and he just kind of shows up and but the idea of like what
I thought he was Jack Frost.
No, he's the communist Santa Claus.
No, hey, things change as they must after the revolution in Romania, where I was Maguire. As the communist Santa, I'm being forgotten, replaced by a more traditional Santa Claus. Until then, I will go where I'm needed around the world.
Okay, then.
Oh man, my favorite page is just
Lord, this
Ragnarok.
I read this on my 50-inch television, and that was a very pretty page.
This is a gorgeous page. You can see all sorts of fun Norse mythology callbacks.
So what's cool about this? It's Ragnarok, and it's like Surtur and that, but like they're
the Barge of the Dead,
but they're-
Jormungandr.
but like the implication is like they're not actually the bad guys. The Norse gods were the bad guys, and they killed and murdered them, and they're just getting revenge.
Yeah.
And I think that's awesome because Norse gods were kind of, maybe they were assholes.
And
Right.
initially they hear about Ragnarok, and what, like the last time they showed up, they killed the Norse gods, and that was Ragnarok. And then because of that encounter, these people, these alien monsters are sending like tree men to like destroy the Mars, the lunar clock.
There's a
and the
lot
Mars
of
colony.
a lot of like fake big like fantasy nouns and verbs and like all that.
And
all that
it's
stuff,
it's
yeah.
so Grant Morrison because it just he's leaning into this idea that I really love with they are leaning into these really excellent ideas with Claus. The idea that there's this large science fiction fantasy everything world that Claus is just kind of a part of and is the protector of.
So something I didn't realize because I forgot. I for some reason I thought this took place in like not in the real world because the snowman's like, let me explain something, Chris Kringle. How about you call 911 and tell him I've been in an accident? I'm like, wait, is this a meta joke? And then I realized like no, it takes place in the modern times.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I forgot.
I love obviously Claus's sleigh. Anytime it's just he takes like, we're gonna go to the moon of Titan. We're gonna go to Titan. Well, that's like light years away. It's like an hour.
Mm-hmm.
It's like an hour by sleigh.
Just going to the ending of Sam is really doubting himself, and then Santa Claus is like, I've been around a long time. Sam, I remember you. Once upon a time, you were a nice kid too.
Oh, God.
And he starts crying. Ah, Claus!
Brandon's flipping through the book right now, but I just saw the flying bagpipes.
Oh
The
yeah,
flying bagpipes.
yo, saviors, the Eagles from Lord of the Rings.
They're the protectors of the hold on, what's the clocks? What's the clock called?
The cosmic clock.
I'm trying to remember.
Sounds right.
It's like the it has something to do with the universe or
The Mars
the
place.
cosmic clock.
the
It's
cosmic clock.
yeah.
Yes, you're right.
There's some really terrific like gross monster work on like that Mars planet where they're basically like giant scrap
Yes,
monsters. Like
yeah.
Dan Mora's like creature design is always exceptional.
his tree monster was absolutely scary.
Hell yeah.
That looked like something you fight in a video game.
Yeah.
I kind of want to
Yeah,
fight in a video
I
game.
love I really love the whole thing. I think the art's great. It's another great Claus adventure, both of them.
It's cool because like he's doing like the Hellboy thing where like this is like a one shot like every so often. I'm like, I'd like more. I would like more.
I would 100% like more. We're too late. They're heading for Earth. Father Frost is dead without belief to sustain him in battle. He as Jormungandr attacks Yulgoat. Too late. So
They
good.
didn't believe in him. Yeah.
So good. And then just the idea of like the snowman is like, let's turn back the clock an hour.
Yeah.
Let's just go back in time. We can
Right,
do
so
that,
we
right?
do some time travel. Yeah.
And I like how it ages Claus. I love the shot of his like crew.
Mhm.
Because like at this point we don't know who like the Gandalf dude is. We've never met him before. Or the girl. We've never met her before. But we've met these two. And I just love I love this book so much.
Yeah. It's I just go to Hellboy because that's my closest reference. It's like it brings you into a world where everything is established and like you learn little bits of it day by day.
Yeah.
And like it's fully realized. Yeah, it's this first one shot very fun.
I love how Klaus is like, or Klaus, he's like, we're gonna change your minds, and they're like, there's no need for vengeance. Just take what you need, and with our blessing.
Hey, you want the
and go."
sun? Take it.
Oh yeah,
That'd be
they
good.
just have a conversation.
You
Like we
just
don't
want
have to fight.
you want some of the energy that the sun just naturally gives off. Go for it. Go in peace. You have our blessing.
Surtur's design is excellent.
See you in 1500 years, dude.
Yeah, I love Surtur and Jormungandr's design. I
They're
think
all well realized.
Yeah.
Jormungandr was scary, and when I saw a big giant splash page, I saw Jormungandr and Thor fighting. I'm like, Brand's gonna hate that part.
I don't find Jormungandr too scary when he's drawn like a monster. It's when we see him as like a
Actual snake.
like I can watch the Basilisk for a similar reason.
Oh, okay.
And also I can't hear it, and most of my
True.
phobia comes from the hearing of
Oh,
snakes.
okay. So it's not like Scarlett Johansson singing as Ka in the Jungle Book, right?
Look, if I close my eyes, I can do that.
There you go.
But that is still watching a photorealistic snake sing.
Yeah.
And I'm not okay with
and,
that.
and hypnotizing Mowgli, but you're right.
Yeah, there's so many cool bits in this Ragnarok page. Like when I first saw it, I was just blown away. Thor fighting Jormungandr, the Barge of the Dead, Fenrir versus Odin, and like it's
Woden.
Woden in this. Yes, they call him Woden in this.
Hold on. Is it because Woden's a woman?
No, that's a guy. He's got a beard.
Okay, I don't know.
I don't know if there's too much I want to say more about this book. This is a really cool action-packed book with
Always gorgeous.
with some beautiful artwork.
It's honestly one of these books where like this is one like you should definitely read for yourself, because like we could say a bunch of cool fancy words, but like really this is one you should really experience for yourself, because like it's definitely like
It's a good
imagination out the asshole.
Yeah, and I really at the end was like, "You're so sure you died? We turned back time. We turned back 24 hours. I saved you, Sam." And like smash cut to him saving Sam from the tree monster. I love that so much.
Very nice.
Yeah, love this book.
Good emotional stuff.
So then the second one shot is all done horizontal pages, large splash pages. One page essentially is one day.
So it's kind of like an advent calendar.
A little bit
in
like an
way.
advent calendar.
A reverse advent calendar.
And it's completely silent. So it's Dan Mora's art. It's Dan Mora's imagination running wild.
It's 30 days of the life.
25.
25. It's
All the way to
17
Christmas.
days of Christmas with Joe and Klaus.
And
Klaus
Joe's
saved.
wife.
Oh yes.
And a cat with one eye.
That's my
Oh, that
favorite.
poor cat.
I love it. There's a
That
whole
cat
page.
was an adventurer. That cat had a life.
That cat did, but still a little sad when
It's
I
like
saw.
it's like all setups for like, not all, but like some are setups for like
Comics.
"Well, wait, I want to read that.
Yes. Yes.
I mean, I kind of like how it goes backwards.
I do too.
Because
It
him,
tells a story.
It's him being a happy old man, 71 years old. It's like it doesn't just give the date; it gives his age, the year, and how old he was.
Right.
And
It's
I really
Benjamin
like that.
Buttoning. Yeah.
he gets his own sleigh, it looks like, with like robot reindeer. One of my favorite pages is this one where it's him and his wife on this cosmic bike riding through space. What is this? I want this.
He's like 60 years old, and his wife is having the time of her life.
And he's just holding on for dear life.
The ones that I took pictures of that I really liked were him helping the Beatles with a card.
Mhm.
A card
That
sheet.
was very funny.
Love that. John Lennon's asking for an autograph.
Klaus and Joe.
Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past absolutely is beautiful. Joe and Klaus
Santa Claus is watching you.
have forks in hand, ready to attack it like a giant Christmas meteor.
Fruit, like it's a
It's a
fruitcake.
Fruitcake.
right?
I don't eat
Fruitcake
fruitcake, so I don't know what that looks like.
Who is Santa Claus? You can ask
Yeah,
me.
who's Santa
Like
Claus?
an evil
That-
Santa
evil
Claus.
Santa Claus.
Okay, because that
The
name's-
League of Super Pets, which is an infinitely better looking one than the one.
I love how we got the one where it's like the March of the Toy Soldiers,
Mhm.
kind of like a
Godzilla
Yep, on their wedding
on
day.
their wedding day.
on their wedding day.
Yeah.
And Claus like, oh, I'll save you.
It's a very interesting approach to make a comic. Yeah,
Yeah.
telling it backwards too. To like you realize like, oh, the first day was him.
It feels
meeting Joe.
Yeah.
Some of this comic stuff, like, and I think it works very well for Claus. I'm not drawing too many connections here, but like both this and the other one, and I think in general the one shots, they work in the way like good Doctor Who singular stories do, where
Yeah.
like you have a context of like a wider set of ideas about like what the universe has done, what the Doctor has done, what he's encountered, like, you know, these wars I fought in, these kinds of things, and like it fleshes out the world. And then you have things like this where it's like the one shot with like the person who the Doctor got to know over their entire lifetime, because he
Yes.
can do that in a single episode, and
Mhm.
like this Claus can do the same.
Yes. Very similar. You see, like, I guess they were on TV. All the Santa Claus
Uh-huh.
Legion
Sure.
was just on TV with Joe Christmas.
What year is that?
That was 1951.
Yep, sounds right.
There's the cat with the one eye who definitely had an adventure.
Mhm.
They're riding Christmas trees through the sky.
I mean, that's not the craziest thing I've
It
seen.
looked just all the stuff like Sparks. You said it earlier. I want to read that story. I'm like, I gotta tell you like how many stories I'm looking through. Like, I want to read that. Where is that story?
That's the idea, I bet.
they fight Nazis with a giant cat.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, I really like this book. And then like all the fantastical stuff kind of goes away to realize that this was the reason why is Joe Christmas is because he was found by Claus.
Right.
For
A baby was left on a steeple.
Yeah,
On Christmas Day.
on Christmas Day, and I think that was a really beautiful moment to kind of reveal it on.
On Christmas Day, he was found by Claus, and then he had a family. And I think the year with the Model T, I think this could be the year his family passed away in a car accident, maybe.
Oh, maybe
Because that's why I interpreted it. Because I mean, the page next is him with his family. I mean, they don't have much, but they are able to give him this toy action figure.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
then
that's a good point.
and then of course it's him meeting Claus and Claus taking him on his wing and becoming essentially a mentor,
Robin.
like Robin to his Batman,
Yeah.
and just having years worth of adventures until he's finally done adventuring, but he's being a mall Santa.
I want to see like the Joe Christmas era when he goes from being Bucky to the Winter Soldier.
There is definitely like a Bucky outfit he's wearing.
Yeah,
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Especially when he's fighting the Nazis.
I really love Claus. I love these two one shots are my favorite by far. I love that. I love the entire series. Go ahead.
The thing I also love about Claus is how Grant Morrison, they have such a talent of taking a beloved character, a beloved figure, a beloved person that we've known our whole lives, and just changing them in a way that doesn't stray far from the path personality wise, but makes it so fantastical that you would like if you were to put a traditional Santa Claus next to this Claus and you say, hey, they're supposed to be one and the same, you would go, oh hell no, this guy's got a giant sword, the sleigh is the reindeers are
He's the
wolves,
inspiration.
everything is just badass. And
I love that sleigh design.
but
though.
everything about like Klaus, like it, like when he's talking to Sam in the Crying Snow, is like gift giving and giving gifts and helping people is good. It makes you feel good.
Yeah, why should I do that? Because it's nice. It's nice.
Because it's nice. It's the right thing to do. And
Makes you
also,
feel good.
I know who's naughty. I know who's nice. And the whole time he's talking, and like when he's telling Klaus, is like, look, I cheated on my wife. I skipped out time on my son, and I was a bad person. I don't deserve it. He's like, dude, you were a nice kid, and nice people make mistakes, and I'm giving you another chance.
And what I like about that is that he was like, you know what, your kid only asked for Christmas that he
Well,
wants.
the way he says your son is a nice kid, and your son deserves that second chance.
Yeah.
So all
Even
he
if
asks
you
for
don't.
Christmas is you.
Yeah, and so like he by giving him a second chance, he also gave his son his Christmas wish,
Right.
and I thought
Right.
that was gorgeous.
2 for 1, baby.
It was, yeah. Klaus, every time you pick Klaus to read the books for the book club, I'm like, yay.
All right, Grant Morrison, get on the next one so I can do it again.
Please.
Hopefully someday they do return to Klaus.
Next Christmas.
I would really like to see it. I also understand, like, you know, if you don't have an idea, don't do it.
Yeah.
Don't just do it just to do it. But I do really love it, and it does feel like there's ample imagination to do anything.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
I hope that they do return to
to bring
the
up
world.
Hellboy again, it's like that's a comic that's been going on for 20 years. So like I absolutely see Klaus being a comic that Grant just comes back to every year, every couple of years, just like I got an idea, poop, here it goes, poop, poop. It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be a long thing; it could be a one shot. Yeah,
I would 100% read an ongoing, but I do get the appeal of just doing these kind of one
especially because like how much like thought and like especially Dan Moore's art. That's not a dude who you can be rushed. Like he needs like extra time to make these pages as beautiful as they are because they
Yeah.
sing. Yeah, like this is a book where like as much as I would love to read it every month, like the quality level's too high.
Yeah.
You just can't do it.
You'd have to do it kind of like how they do Once in Future, which is they give Dan Moore like a month or two
Yeah.
break. Which, hey, Grant Morrison, whatever you want to do to return to Klaus, if you want to do it, I'm always going to be there for
Not
it.
this year, guaranteed. There's probably a one shot next year.
Hope so.
I feel it in my bones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I was really surprised because normally the trajectory has been, since they started doing the one shots, has been one shot, hardcover, one shot, hardcover.
Yeah.
And then this year was the first year, nothing.
Yeah, pandemic.
So it could be a pandemic, could just be no ideas. You don't know.
True.
Grayson has something in the chat. If that's the message this conveys, that's so great. 100% enjoying giving more than receiving presents. Thank you for sharing this book. You're welcome.
Yeah, Grayson, you should totally check out. It's very much worth the read.
I am not a Christmas person whatsoever, and I think this book is great.
Shall we get out of here then?
Let's get on out of here.
Uh,
Go web, go.
Time
Live.
to go. So of course, next week it is Sparks's book club. Do you know what it's going to be, Sparks, or do you want to wait till?
No, I don't know yet.
So we will wait to reveal that at a later date. As I mentioned before, we are going to be doing the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies. So
Watch those.
stay tuned for that. Cool. All right, so till then, make sure to like this video, make sure to subscribe to this channel, and check out some of our other shows. We have Conversation, which hopefully I'm going to start working on soon. We have
You said January.
I did say January, and I'm reaching out to some people to make that work.
There you go.
And you can check out our other shows on this channel, such as Fictioners Watch. There's currently 2 Fictioners Watch going. We have recorded Hawkeye, so Hawkeye will be coming soon, and Star Trek Discovery is going concurrently with Downright Annoyeds, Downright Nerdies, Michael Carl's. Of course, Basement Arcade and Basement Arcade Pause Menu. New episodes are here coming soon.
Yay.
So stay tuned. Fictioner Book Club and Animation Station. Maybe a little bit later
They
till
exist.
those shows come back, but we'll see when they do. And of course, Crafted by Z has some masks still going on. There's still a pandemic going on.
I hear it's almost over.
If you want to buy some masks, they're still there. I'm not going to take them offline. So the link is going to be there. You know where to find it. You can check out our Patreon. You can check out our TeePublic to support us financially, get some merch. End of the year is coming. Maybe you want some gifts. Maybe someone wants a Fake Nerd Podcast shirt as a gift. You never know.
I mean, that's true. You'd never know.
You never know. And of course, you can check out all of these links in the description below, as well as our website at www.fakenerdpodcast.com. And thank you to everyone who listens. Thank you to everyone who watches.
Thank you
to all the people who chimed into the chat, who watched the live stream, who watches the rewind when this comes out tomorrow. Thank you to everyone who listens to the audio. Thank you to Jeremy Vellucci, who does our music.
Woo.
You can find him at Jeremy Vellucci Keyboards, and of course his podcast Suburban Proctologist on Facebook at Suburban Proctologist Official, or Instagram at Suburban Podcast. Of course, you can subscribe to it on iTunes and other audio things.
Thingies.
You can find Mike Matola, who does our logos and has collaborated with us many times. You can find him on TikTok and Instagram at Mike Matola. You can find us on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Fake Nerd Podcast, fakenerdguys@gmail.com. If you'd like to get in touch with us personally, I'm at BT McClure on Instagram and Twitter. Ben.
You can find me still posting pictures of my cat at BenMaca27 on Instagram and Twitter, and also writing for OldSchoolGamerMagazine.com. Like we said earlier, the newest article about buying video games, retro video games specifically, post-pandemic, is up right now, so go ahead, check it out.
Ryan.
You can find me giving you that rant when you fix this goddamn door at DJ Tony Snark.
And Sparks.
You can find me at Sparks Witty on Instagram and Twitter, SPARKZ Witty, and Ryan, DJ Tony Snark on Instagram.
Listen,
Okay.
if you type it in, mine's the only one that's going to pop up. So
Okay.
don't worry about it. I'm not going to fix it.
So-
Also, I'm more engaged on Twitter with nerdy stuff anyway, so just follow me on Twitter. Who cares about Instagram?
Subscribe to us on iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, TuneIn, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music and Podcasts, and Pandora. Rate and review wherever you get us. We greatly appreciate it. Like this video, subscribe to us. Like this video, subscribe to our channel, and until next time you see us,
Finish it!